The story opens under a bright moonlit night, where birds in silence weave a mystical mood. Peace shatters as two black-clad brutes drag a long-haired man with violent force. Without warning, they hurl him into a rock, turning the scene gruesome. The strange impact cracks the stone, revealing eerie power leaking from his body. One mercenary roars in anger for earning no coin despite brutal torture. The man mocks them with a defiant gesture dripping with disdain. Though gravely hurt, he calmly reminds them the deal isn't finished. The other thug snaps, attacking viciously while venting Brothel-related frustration. The blow spins him senseless, leaving him half-conscious on the ground. Turns out he's a modern guy who dreamed of transmigration and died ridiculously. At death's brink, a beam of light shoots down from the heavens, yet right before impact, the light oddly slows. As if destined, it aims straight at where he lies. Ironically, it lands on his most delicate spot. The sudden strike contorts him, blood gushing wildly. The truth that object from the sky is actually a girl. She's graceful and curvy, definitely not ordinary. Blocked mid-flight, she fumes and scolds him haughtily. Though crippled, he argues back that she crashed into him. Pain and humiliation drive him to curse in return. She retaliates by inspecting the crash site like a stern judge. Shocked, she discovers his rare and extraordinary physique. Her tone flips, she soothes him and vows to save his life. Without asking, she kisses him to transfer strange energy. While performing her art, she secretly gloats over her self-made technique. Once done, she warns him to guard his essence before reaching the supreme realm. Then she dissolves into light and flies off, leaving him baffled by reality itself. 3 centuries later, Dongxing Divine Continent, lush with forests and indecent wildlife scenes, beneath the lake meditates an old man, none other than the long-haired youth. Seeing the obscene sight, he scolds coldly with the tone of a sage. His shout shakes mountains, laced with threats as he nears a breakthrough. The beasts panic and bolt, escaping like near-dead sinners. Rumors spread the mountain Hermit will soon ascend to Quasi-Sage. Scaring monsters away, a female monkey panics, urging her mate to flee before the scary guy advances. The male monkey freezes as she sighs, saying Linka isn't truly evil. Scene shifts, Linka succeeds, divine light wrapping him like dawn reborn. Laughing proudly, he declares his Quasi-Sage rise, youth restored, lifespan boosted, lust ablaze. Gazing at his hardened hands, he murmurs about 300 years of struggle. Overjoyed, he declares his grand plan to found a mighty clan, mastering Tao and breeding hares. Suddenly, a glowing array beneath his feet sparks suspicion it's a summoning ritual. After a moment's thought, he eagerly steps in, self-proclaiming as a saint and joining the game. In another world, a queen kneels in prayer, willing to trade her lifespan for salvation. She raises the offering to a full century, begging for a holy savior to descend. The vow triggers brilliance. Link appears midair before her stunned gaze. Before she reacts, he falls on her, teasing arrogantly while insulting her. Panicked and flushed, she struggles and yells for him to get off. Standing tall, she lashes out angrily, calling him a rude summoned fool. A divine seal of slaughter crashes down, aiming to crush Linka. Facing the blow, he blocks it with one finger, mocking her weakness. But at contact, his body turns limp. He collapses, utterly powerless. The girl retrieves her artifact, grumbling that the ritual summoned another useless pervert. Linka looks around blankly, baffled by his sudden pathetic state. He panics, realizing centuries of cultivation are gone, his hands empty. Now she's shocked, how could he survive her full strike unscathed? Staring at his faint flame, he screams, his mountain-crushing power reduced to a spark. A stone pillar rises, golden runes glowing, demanding his attention. Reading them has stunned. It's an ancient contract beyond her cultivation. Touching the script, he learns his power is sealed, with only minor terms alterable. The pact binds life and death his master, Shiz's subordinate. Furious, he grabs her collar, accusing her of ruining his great dream. She snaps back, rejecting a fate tied to such a wicked man. Linga's eyes gleam, suspicion dawning as pieces click together. Seeing his sly grin, she recoils, fearing his guessed her identity. Sternly, she warns him to banish every filthy thought in his head. Watching her fluster, he senses something oddly special about this girl. He cuts to the chase, proposing a crazy plan that they're destined partners. Outraged, she shouts, citing his old harem as an uncrossable wall. Just then, palace maid rushes in with urgent news. Pale eunuch reports something unclean haunting the Imperial harem. Hearing of bloodshed show in palace, Lu Wei turns pale with dread. Amid the tension, Lin Ke adjusts his robes, volunteering to investigate. Lu Wei gapes at his attire, doubting his right to meddle in Empress Dowager's affairs. Amused, he cites the contract, forcing her compliance through authority. While explaining the master-servant bond, he casts a coercive seal spell. The sigils bind her instantly, making her cry out in alarm. Though restrained, she stands regal and unyielding. Refusing to bow, scene shifts. Lu Wei grudgingly leads the way while Lin, as teasing, makes her tremble with rage and shame. Entering the chamber, all servants immediately kneel, chanting royal rites. Before the imperial bed, Lu Wei coldly questions the rumors of ghosts and murder in Showan Palace. From behind the curtain, the so-called Empress Dowager replies softly that a master has handled it, no need for her meddling. Hearing the title, Lu Wei's face darkens, voice dripping with hostility. She draws her sword, killing intent flaring, stabbing straight through the curtain and shaking the hall. The fabric parts, revealing the dowager's voluptuous, radiant form for all to see. Linka freezes behind her, mind blank except for eye at that pale, rounded beauty. Furious, the dowager leaps up, screaming for her loyal guards to kill them all. Dungmama instantly strikes, her icy darts slicing through the air. The projectiles target Lin Kai instead of Lu Wei, forcing him to block and shout his innocence. Seeing him withstand the blow, Dungmama grins, readying her ultimate combo. A storm of needles rains down, fierce and relentless. In a blink, Lin Kai appears behind her, mocking her pathetic skill. Before she reacts, he slaps her hard, twisting her face into ruin. She utters one sound and collapses, leaving the hall deathly silent. The dowager grips her token, eyes narrowing. Her elite guard just fell instantly. Linka scoffs, saying such cultivation isn't even worth mentioning. To ease the tension, Lu Wei steps in, vouching for his identity and loyalty. The dowager immediately shifts tone, smiling warmly as if welcoming family. She tries to make small talk, but Linka answers with sharp, sarcastic jabs. Blushing, the dowager hints shamelessly at flirtation. Linga goes with the flow, helping her back to bed like it's nothing. In that instant, Lu Wei's sword is at his throat. Halting his indecency, she coldly condemns them both as adulterous scum deserving death together. Linka laughs awkwardly and retreats. The dowager sighs regretfully as Lu Wei scolds the court furiously. Su Nan retorts harshly, claiming her rightful Empress title and dismissing Lu Wei's interference. Linka mocks her, tossing in a jab about the late emperor's ridiculous past. Lu Wei cuts him off angrily, forcing focus back to the corpse in the ghost case. Scene shifts to the main hall. Gloom thick as the group delves deeper. Linka keeps flirting with his eyes, earning a sharp rebuke from Lu Wei. Before the mangled body, Jingyun Shidai explains the scene while Lin Kai studies the odd cause of death. Lu Wei presses him for his analysis. Watching intently, Linka acts out a ridiculous pose, theorizing the victim's final position. Sunan smirks, implying he shares the pervy creed of the Hewan sect. Playing along, Linka boasts about his pure yang power only to freeze his killing intent locks onto him. He straightens instantly, pretending to be serious, and suggests discussing corpse disposal instead. Jingyun Shitai takes charge, vowing to suppress the ghost era under Daoist authority. She places a talisman on the corpse, beginning the ritual. Black ghostly mist erupts, swirling eerily through the air. The abyss forms seals and chants, her power spreading to suppress the anomaly. All the ghost mist gets sucked into her body as if she holds a space inside. Her expression suddenly twists, signaling a terrifying discovery. Trembling, she reports the wounds contain 3 distinct ghost auras. Shunan gasps, insisting she saw only one ghost with her own eyes. She mutters in confusion, doubting her sacred technique could be wrong. Linka muses aloud, a ghost body fused from multiple attributes. The idea makes Lu Wei and Xunen both realize the fusion possibility. Hearing that term, Linka perks up, eagerly probing for details. Jingyun Shidai gravely reveals the suspect an evil path Grand Preceptor long opposed to the throne. Xunen admits prior suspicion, while Lu Wei impatiently asks if the ghost can be tracked. The abbess replies that the entity still lurks within the palace. Never having left, Lu Wei immediately commands its extermination, her tone leaving no room for doubt. The abbess calmly accepts, promising victory before swiftly departing. Watching her fade away, Lu Wei can't hide her worry about acting too openly. Sunan sneers, saying there's no point hiding once the game's exposed. Coldly, she analyzes the Grand Preceptor's power rising high enough to threaten the throne. Hearing that, Lu Wei glances at Linka, hinting she plans to strike first. Linka panics, sensing he's about to be dragged into deep trouble. Lu Wei cuts straight to it, asking if he'll join the coming Imperial examination. He refuses instantly, showing zero interest. Lu Wei tempts him, offering Su Nan as a temporary reward. Both named parties explode in fury, shouting at the outrageous proposal. Lu Wei fans the flames further with sharp, biting insults aimed at them both. Linka leans in, warning her to remember her servant status under their pact. Cornered, Lu Wei softens her tone. While Linka plays the hero and agrees to help, she turns away to hide her fluster, pretending indifference to save face. Suddenly, a guard rushes in with grim news. Jingyun Shitai was gravely injured battling the ghost. All 3 are stunned. Xunan can't believe a ghost-slaying expert could fail. Linka, in contrast, looks thrilled, seeing it as a rare learning chance. Scene shifts to the garden, where Jingyun Shitai leans against a wall, barely breathing. Guards surround the area tightly, wary of another attack. Sunan whispers in shock, unable to grasp why her defensive art failed. Linka studies closely, suspecting she's faking unconsciousness to hide something. In her delirium, the abbess murmurs strange, flirtatious words. Linka shows no mercy, slapping her awake and cutting off her delusion. Startled awake, she blinks at the man before her, Linga himself. Lu Wei immediately interrogates her harshly for the full truth, while Xunan quietly admires her queenly aura. A surge of dark violet mist freezes the air. Guards scream in chaos. Within the ghostly fog, a grotesque figure appears, flattening the guards in an instant. Under the crushing aura, the 3 gasp, draw blades, and ready for battle. The abbess warns it's a demonic art that stirs lust, especially deadly to women. Lu Wei confidently claims her imperial purity shields her from corruption. Xunan scoffs, saying such tricks can't match the Hehuan sect's legacy. The Shego sneers, mocking their arrogance. Tension peaks as the three women face the abomination in a power standoff. Meanwhile, Linka watches calmly, treating the chaos like a stage show. The abbess sidles close, speaking dreamily with a seductive tone. Linka snaps, striking her down without hesitation. Then he senses something's off about the whole scene. The demonic aura has seized the two remaining women, warping their behavior. The ghost laughs triumphantly, flaunting her despair-inducing magic. Then she notices Linka still standing unaffected. He casually scores the scene, as if judging a performance. Enraged by his mockery, the ghost targets him instead. As she nears, a droplet of spirit-charged blood flares from him, exuding pure dominance. The ghost panics, recognizing his blazing yang essence. Greed stirs, she plans to use him for her ascension. She shifts into a sultry act, trying to seduce Linka. With teasing gestures, she invites him to explore the demonic path together. Linka eagerly plays along, feigning excitement. The ghost, thrilled, approaches with burning desire. The two women snap out of it, frantically begging him to stop, offering anything to save him. Linka ignores them, grinning arrogantly and beckoning the ghost closer. As their lips meet, the ghost screams in agony. His yang essence devours her, and she curses him to eternal loneliness before disintegrating. Laughing madly, she fades into mist, leaving Linka stunned and silent. He realizes even higher realms couldn't withstand the yang power within him. With the demon gone, the aura lifts Lu Wei and Lang Shunan awaken. Relieved that Linka's plan worked, Lu Wei coolly acknowledges his merit, granting him a provisional post as royal guard. Linka quietly resolves that to keep these two around, he must help raise their cultivation, a heavy burden indeed. Scene shifts to the Grand Preceptor's mansion. In a dim secret chamber, an old man in dark robes meditates amid flickering candles. Suddenly, one flame snuffs out without warning. Opening his eyes, he murmurs that the sand demon must have perished. Two ghostly servants kneel, begging for orders and eager to slaughter the Imperial court. The Grand Preceptor waves them off, saying it's too soon, and orders someone to summon a new guest from the palace. Back in the garden, Linka chats with the Emperor and Empress Dowager. Lang Shunan bursts out, vowing to one day crush the Grand Preceptor underfoot. Linka, however, eyes the treasure she wears, sighing with suggestive envy. Lu Wei sternly asks his opinion on the Grand Preceptor's growing menace. Without hesitation, Linka pulls both women close, half joking that politics can wait for a beautiful night. Lu Wei punches him furiously, storms off, and calls him shameless. Holding his face, he groans, still clueless about what he said wrong. Moments later, he casually turns to the Empress Dowager, suggesting they continue their talk. She rises to leave, tossing a teasingly suggestive promise to meet again. Alone, Linka sighs, marveling at how quickly women can change moods. A eunuch arrives respectfully, relaying an imperial order to escort him to his new residence. Hearing that, Linka smiles, thinking Lu Wei still has some kindness left. Night falls, moonlight bathing the quiet, serene manor. The eunuch guides him there and silently departs, leaving him to enter alone. Excited, Linka bursts in, assuming the grand estate reflects his destined romantic fortune. Behind him, the old servant chuckles, suspecting this fool came straight from the mountains. Unable to resist, the old man points at the gate plaque. Linka casually guesses it's the marshal's residence. Turns out the servant is the Grand Preceptor's aide. Sneering with contempt at Linka's status and intellect, Linka replies coolly, mocking the Preceptor's mansion for relying on demonic trinkets. Enraged, the servant attacks, roaring that no one insults the supreme authority in lives. Linka blocks it effortlessly with one hand, moving as if swatting away a nuisance. His counter sends the foe ablaze, rolling in panic from bizarre flame. Linka turns away calmly, joking that he's got better things to do. Before he gets far, thick smoke swirls ahead, forcing him to tense up. From the mist, a Taoist steps out, praising him and pretending to plead mercy for the servant. Linka studies him closely, blurting out the man's true identity. The Taoist freezes, irritation flickering across his face. Then he laughs arrogantly, promising Linka high rank once his grand plan succeeds. Linka suddenly grabs his collar, mocking both his ambition and twisted cultivation. The Grand Preceptor panics, realizing Linka's speed and power far beyond expectation. Linka locks him by the throat, jokingly interrogating him like a bored cat with prey. Cornered, the Preceptor lashes out in rage, shouting over the insult. Yet within a heartbeat, he changes tactics, offering wealth and position to make Linka submit. Linka rejects him bluntly, declaring loyalty and shredding his pride with venomous words. Fury erupts. The Preceptor charges like a berserk beast. Linka blocks easily, already planning to spare him for future use. One punch later, the Preceptor's body flies through the air. Linka winces, realizing he might have hit too hard. When the disguise fades, the truth emerges, a breathtaking beauty beneath the mask. Linka freezes mid-air point, while she panics, ready to flee back to her sect for help. But before she can move, he grabs her, their eyes locking in startled silence. He presses a finger to her lips, speaking in grand, poetic nonsense about dying and living together. She shoves him away, blushing furiously and calling him a shameless pervert. He only laughs louder, proudly declaring his shamelessness and begging her to take him in. Insulted, she slaps him hard and summons ghost spirits through a forbidden art. riding her specter. She coldly vows to remember this humiliation and take revenge. Amid the chaos, Linka snatches her command token, gloating and teasing her, pocketing the prize. He laughs at himself for entering the wrong place but calls it the start of a long adventure. Scene shifts to the palace garden, crowded with people awaiting an important event. Among them, two men grumble about being summoned for an unexpected examination. An orange-robed man bumps into them, dropping a precious item and sparking anger. The orange-robed man sneers, mocking their rank and saying they're unworthy to face the monarch. A commanding cry announces the emperor's arrival. Silencing all arguments, the court kneels as one, chanting blessings for the sovereign. Lu Wei addresses the scholars, rallying defiance against the Grand Preceptor's corruption. The orange-robed man steps forward loyally, volunteering to lead in defense of the court. Lu Wei introduces Linga as the elite mentor brought to guide them, pinning hopes on the coming exam. Still, the orange-robed man scoffs, flaunting lineage and education to question Linga's worth. Linka frowns, muttering for someone to identify the loudmouth. A eunuch whispers that his kind AI, son of the academy chancellor, hopelessly in love with the emperor. Hearing that, Linka sneers coldly, calling him a delusional romantic. Lu Wei frowns, warning Linka to mind his tongue. Kazanai flushes with fury, loudly denying any improper intent toward royalty. Linka twists the knife with sharper mockery, wounding his pride. Provoked beyond reason, Kanai screams and lunges to attack. The crowd of scholars gasp. No one expected such insolence before the throne. Linke effortlessly counters, slamming the fool down and calling him weaker than a barnyard beast. He sternly proclaims new selection rules only the worthy shall obey. Watching closely, Lu Wei grows suspicious and summons Linga for a private talk. She leads ahead while he orders the scholars to keep kneeling until his return. The exhausted students groan, cursing their fate under his harsh rule. Linka leans close to Lu Wei provocatively, his stance thick with tension. She snaps in anger, striking out to warn him not to toy with state affairs. Her blow backfires, pain shooting through her as she blushes furiously at the strange recoil. Linka boasts smugly, calling it a divine reflex, and even drags others in as witnesses. Called out, Eunuch Liu panics, claiming he grew up in the palace and knows nothing of mortal matters. Lu Wei grits her teeth, threatening dire punishment if the examination fails, while Linka laughs and demands future favors. She curses him and storms off, leaving him standing proudly in smug triumph. Scene cuts to the worn-out scholars sprawled everywhere from overtraining. Linka's figure appears, prompting one to panic and urge everyone to attention. He surveys the crowd and concludes the true talents have finally surfaced. He calls two forward, dismissing the rest without mercy. The chosen pair stumble up, awkwardly correcting their embarrassing nicknames. Linka grabbed their hands, claiming he'd seen their potential and would guide them to rewrite fate. Then he slung his arms over their shoulders. One swore loyalty, the other just dreamed of city pleasures. The abandoned scholars gossiped, baffled by such a bizarre recruitment and training ritual. Sighing, Ae clenched her teeth, secretly vowing revenge for this humiliation. Linka led them to a lavish red pavilion. Shockingly, the capital's grandest Brothel. He strolled in calmly, declaring it body nourishment day and that the bill was on him. Elsewhere in the palace, Lu Wei sneezed repeatedly, seized by a strange sense of dread. The Brothel pulsed with music and cheers for a famed dancer mid-performance. The lauded beauty bowed coyly, her shy allure enchanting the hall. From above, a dashing noble tossed money, praising her as the unrivaled number one. Zhou Zongshu recognized him as the Grand Master's top disciple for the coming exam. Wu Hai immediately schemed countermeasures, convinced Linka had planned this all along. In truth, Linka just zoned out, here purely for pleasure, not plotting at all. After a drink, he claimed experience as his excuse to relax and ditch all official matters. His companion whispered that their rival was the courtesan's regular, and would see her soon. The scene shifted upstairs, where Sang brought wine to Ho Jae-yu. Striking up gentle talk, she raised her cup with a toast, offering veiled wishes of career glory. Ho Jae-yu smirked, saying the exam meant nothing and the court's plans bored him. He flirted boldly, hinting at a private midnight rendezvous. Below, Linka watched it all, eyes glinting with unreadable intent. His two companions wanted to slip away, urging him to keep drinking peacefully. Suddenly Linka barked, ordering them to address him properly while on duty. He stormed upstairs with commanding presence, leaving the others gaping. Wu Hai tried to follow but got blocked by a waiter demanding they settle the bill first. Upstairs, Ho Ji-yu lounged in luxury, surrounded by attendants like an immortal in paradise. Sang offered him fine wine, sweetly inviting him to taste a special selection. Ho Ji-yu downed it in one bold gulp. Laughing heartily, he praised her intuition and hinted at intimate rest. The room erupted in wild cheer, garments dropping in reckless delight. Even the madam panicked as she got swept into the unplanned reverie. Suddenly the door burst open. Linka stormed in, commanding everyone to freeze with hands on heads. The courtesans hid in fear, but Hoa Ji-yu sat still, eyes cold and calculating. Arrogantly, Hoa Ji-yu asked if Linka even knew he was dealing with. Linka replied coolly, calling him a useless brat in need of discipline. Furious, Hoa Ji-yu hurled his cup, proclaiming himself the Grand Master's disciple and issuing threats. Linka caught the cup effortlessly, letting it shatter like a child's toy. He stepped closer, mocking the cheap medicinal scent and the Grandmaster's crude techniques. Ji-yu screamed, demanding to know who dared insult him. Linka tapped a pressure point, instantly paralyzing his opponent. He glanced toward the curtain, amused that the night's entertainment wasn't over yet. With a half-smile, Linka left Ji-yu training alone and turned to leave. Suddenly, a shout announced the Emperor's patrol. Freezing him mid-step, Linka shuddered, suspecting someone had secretly set him up. Amid chaos, the Emperor appeared with Lu Wei, Lu Gonggong, and Xang. All looking smug. The Emperor sternly asked if Lin Ga and the examinees under him were present. Sang immediately bowed and confirmed. He seized the chance to accuse Lin Ga of abusing power and disrupting training. Lu Wei nodded and ordered the soldiers to investigate. Sang smirked, certain Linka was doomed this time. Soldiers searched and dragged everyone out, but Linka was nowhere to be found. One soldier reported that everyone in the room had been accounted for. Lu Wei scanned the crowd, coldly demanding Xiang Ai explain Linga's disappearance. Before he could answer, he saw the captive was Ji-yu and collapsed in panic. Lu Wei examined him closely, then turned to ask Lu Gonggong about his identity. Lu Gonggong quietly confirmed it was the Grandmaster's third disciple. Once the city's most charming man, Lu Wei's face turned icy, disgusted that someone of such rank had fallen so low. Everyone involved dropped to their knees, begging not to be implicated. The madam trembled, blaming everything on Ji-yu and claiming coercion. A decree was issued. Ji-yu stripped of title and banished from the capital forever. Murmurs spread, lamenting that their idol was nothing but a degenerate. Lu Wei smiled faintly, secretly pleased that events unfolded exactly as planned. In truth, Lin Ga had already slipped into the crowd, watching with cunning eyes, half furious, half amused. He vowed revenge on whoever ruined his fun. At the Grandmaster's manor, the master smashed his teacup, cursing Lu Wei's insolence. A disciple rushed in to calm him, fearing anger might harm his health. He assured the master that the Emperor's sudden patrol meant power was shifting their way. The Grandmaster coldly declared that even weakened, their faction still held the exam, and Lu Wei would soon fall. The disciple grinned, boasting he had enough schemes to guarantee victory. The Grandmaster stayed wary, ordering him to investigate the mysterious commander named Lin Ga. The disciple bowed, eyes gleaming with murderous intent. On King Shi Street, Sang, wounded, was helped by his men, cursing fate's unfairness. Grinding his teeth, he swore vengeance on Lin Ga, believing he'd bewitched the Emperor. Just then, the Grandmaster's second disciple appeared at the alley's end, giving him a bad feeling. As the man approached, Sang panicked, recognizing him and waving him off, but his men urged him to stay calm and hear what the other had to say first. Realizing the plot too late, Sang-Ai's heart went cold. He screamed in rage at being betrayed by an ally. Zhang Bailey fanned himself with a smirk, admitting he'd spent years and fortune for this very moment. Sang-Ai roared in fury, accusing him of hypocrisy for being a Grandmaster's disciple consorting with loyalists. Zhang Bailey sneered venomously, calling Sang-Ai a worthless leech no longer in the Emperor's favor. Catching the hint, Sang-Ai cautiously asked if he came not just to insult but to recruit a traitor. Zhang Bailey tilted his chin with a fan, slyly tempting him to sell intel on Linka in exchange for promotion. Their shady deal was secretly overheard by two spies hiding behind a nearby palanquin. Inside the palanquin came suggestive sounds, enough to make outsiders imagine something steamy. The curtain lifted. Linka stepped out grinning, claiming he'd predicted their little plot all along. As he turned to leave, Hanak Sang in seductive attire clung to him, cooing sweetly to make him stay. Linka teased back, smugly saying women couldn't resist him, yet still walked away coolly. Hanak Sang's face flipped, reminding him the payment was still due. Linka solemnly refused, citing mutual affection, then swaggered off, leaving Hank Sang stunned as Zhou Zongshu applauded. Back at the scene, Sang-Ai obsequiously spilled everything he knew about Linka to Zhang Bailey. Hearing this, Zhang Bailey frowned. How could someone so mediocre earn the Emperor's trust? Sang-Ai admitted he couldn't figure it out either. Lin just acted like a useless playboy. Before he finished, Lin Ka appeared like thunder, delivering a kick that sent Sang-Ai flying. Zhang Bailey's heart jolted at the sight, deep suspicion dawning. Linka landed calmly, icily dismissing the useless remark just made. Terrified, Zhang Bailey gasped, confessing Lin Ga's speed exceeded what eyes could follow. A trembling guard recognized Lin Ga and tried to speak, but too late. Lin Ga shattered his teeth with one kick, scolding him for betrayal. After wiping out the lackeys, Lin Ga glared at Zhang Bailey, warning him confront directly, not skulk in shadows. He then coolly declared he also sought dirt on the Grandmaster backing Zhang Bailey. As Lin Ga closed in, Zhang Bailey tensed, knowing their power gap was immense. He instantly cast a secret art, summoning two twisted energies behind him. Admitting he couldn't fight alone, the energies solidified into twin wraiths, one blooded, one sickly green radiating dreadful pressure. Zhang Bailey boasted coldly that even if Lin Ga had reached the fifth realm, he couldn't beat two peak ghost lords. Lin Ga stood upright, half-jokingly introducing himself with words that made everyone choke. Smirking, he said he'd revealed his background. Now it was the others' turn to expose their secrets. Zhang Bailey gave no reply, simply ordered his wraiths to kill Lin Ha on the spot. Linka dodged and countered, mocking that his ghost control was laughable compared to his master's. With one clash, both specters shattered and Zhang Bailu was blasted away. Coughing blood, flattened, he realized in horror that Lin Gaz's aura far surpassed his estimate, likely of a higher realm entirely. The two ghost lords froze, crushed by Lin Gaz's aura until they could barely move. Linka watched silently, concluding the wraiths were weaker than expected, barely half-formed. Still, he admitted his own disadvantage, unable to use spells. Relying only on brute strength was troublesome. Spotting that flaw, Zhang Bailey sneered, mocking that Linka was all show and no substance. Before he could finish laughing, Linka's thunderous punch sent him flying like straw in a storm. Linka coldly scolded, saying he might spare the half-burned ghosts, but humans were fair game. Zhang Bailey lay bloody and trembling, barely clinging to life. From above, Linka demanded answers about the Grandmaster's secrets, promising mercy if he cooperated. Then his gaze caught a nearby body, and a new plan sparked in his mind. Someone had seized Xian'ai as a hostage, shouting that one more step would kill him. The captive was a loyalist and his death would bring royal disaster. The blackmailer smirked, ordering everyone to freeze, flaunting his false authority. Linka spoke mid-sentence but struck first, blasting the man away before he could react. In a blink, his two allies fell as well. Gasping on the ground, Linka folded his arms, feigning innocence while scolding them for their cruelty. He barked at the survivors to scram before they ruined his mood further. Just then, another official arrived, demanding reports and casualty counts. Linka seized the chance, leaping into a treetop to hide and observe quietly. He cursed his sealed cultivation, vowing to break that cursed restriction soon. Night fell in the harem's glow. Lu Wei approached a chamber where maids bowed low. Seeing the crowd outside, Lu Wei snapped, demanding an explanation. A maid nervously reported the Empress Dowager had secluded herself for peace, forbidding visitors. Ignoring warnings, Lu Wei stormed in, teeth gritted with suspicion of foul play. Inside, Leng Xian sat cross-legged in fake serenity. Startled by Lu Wei's sudden entry, she couldn't hide her shock. Xu Yan quickly feigned weakness. Citing slow recovery as her excuse, Lu Wei ignored her, tearing through the room in a furious search. Making Xu Yan panic, the shocking sight appeared Linga, stark naked and tied up, cheerfully calling out her name. Xu Yan instantly posed as a virtuous victim, claiming she'd captured the pervert after a fierce fight. Lu Wei's killing intent flared. She drew her sword to cut them both down. Linka frantically broke free, grabbing the blade and begging Lu Wei to clear his name. He pointed at Xu Yan, shouting he'd been kidnapped, enraging her into a fairy retort. Lu Wei coldly presented a royal charge from Princess Bunduo, demanding Lin Qi explain his attack on Xiang'ai. Linda gawked at the document, then asked absurd questions about Lu Wei's fiancé instead. Furious, Lu Wei grabbed his collar, shouting that he was missing the entire point. Lin Qi switched tactics, gently holding her hand and claiming he'd fought out of jealous love. He got handsy again, crossing every line of decency, the price a brutal kick that sent him flying out the door. Lu Wei fumed, warning of grave political fallout and vowing punishment if he didn't explain himself. Lin Ga covered his face and mocked how fast women could change moods. Sulking, he recalled old memories and grew suspicious of the knight's true purpose. Chuckling with curiosity, Linka quietly cracked the window to peek inside. The moment he poked his head out, a full bucket of cold water drenched him mercilessly. Soaked and shivering, he could only stammer pitiful noises. At dawn, Linka summoned his two brothers to a tea house for serious business. Zhang Wuhai eyed him warily, asking why they were dragged out so early. Linka lazily munched grapes fed by Hangsang while casually asking about Princess Bun Dong. The two men turned pale, warning she was a ferocious fighter who never held back. Linka nodded sagely about freedom-loving women, hand wandering in sympathy. In truth, he wasn't philosophizing at all, just groping around mid-conversation. Hangsang blushed furiously, slapped his hand away, and stormed off. Xiao Zongshu whispered that the Duke of Bundong was forcing his daughter into marriage. Asking why Lina cared, Linka calmly revealed the Princess Fianti was none other than Xiang'ai. One of them spat his tea, the other nearly fainted. Realizing the disaster ahead, Linka coolly confirmed the scandal had already reached the emperor. Xiao Zongshui shivered, recalling the princess as a terrifying little demon in childhood. He panicked, urging immediate retreat to save their lives. Linka sipped his tea, telling them to hide while he'd handle things. The two bolted, already planning to move house and flee the city. Before they reached the door, a monstrous force shattered the entrance and flung them back inside. Even Linka flinched, impressed by the intruder's speed and power. A squad of experts stormed in, wrecking the brothel as the madam wailed over her ruined business. Guests scattered in panic, only Linka stayed, mocking his fleeing comrades. Princess Bundong arrived in full fury, shouting for Linka to face judgment. Linka stepped out calmly, eyes steady and fearless. He even flirted shamelessly, taking her hand and spouting indecent compliments. Her response a thunderous kick that launched him mid-sentence. Crawling up in pain, Linka compared her to a fiery chili hot, painful, and unforgettable. The princess smirked arrogantly, offering mercy if he agreed to serve under her command. Just then, three grotesque entities appeared from the void, mocking that sparing them was already mercy. Excited, the princess charged forward, thrilled to meet worthy opponents. Linka joined the fight, teasing her with vague battle conditions that made her agree instantly. She countered with a vicious kick aimed straight at his weakest spot. To her surprise, Lin Ke remained utterly calm, lips curling into a sly smile. In a swift move, Lin Ke reversed the fight, pinning the princess and teasing her with shameless words. Blushing and furious, the princess stammered threats to uncover his identity and take revenge. Lin Ke leaned close, whispering that she had found the right man but failed to recognize him. He then changed tone, solemnly claiming to be Lin Ren's loyal bodyguard. He even lied that the real Lin Ke was the one she had just knocked unconscious, making himself the scapegoat. With a sorrowful face, he hinted she should compensate him for the wrongful suffering. Softening slightly, the princess told him to state his demand. Lin Ke pressed his luck, leaning in to request a kiss as compensation. Suddenly, a monster roared, demanding he release the princess. It held Zhang Wuhai hostage, threatening his life for leverage. Lin Ke casually waved it off, suggesting they execute the hostage elsewhere for convenience. The three monsters froze. This script had gone completely off rails. Lin Ke puckered his lips, asking to continue, making the princess panic and shove him away. He blinked in confusion, failing to grasp her logic. Blushing, the princess whispered a secret invitation to her manor that night as quiet compensation. As the group withdrew, one monster spat insults at Lin Ke for overstepping his station. Lin Ke watched them leave, smiling in anticipation and vowing to show up on time. Xiao Zongshui popped in, announcing he'd be coming along that evening. Lin Ke turned, wide-eyed, asking why he'd tag along. Xiao Zongshui sighed, reminding him the real mission was rescuing Zhang Wuhai. Lin Ke froze, baffled why anyone would risk their neck for a hostage. Then realization hit. He looked around and panicked, realizing Zhang Wuhai had vanished ages ago. Elsewhere, the princess was slung over the shoulder of a naked brute, laughing wildly, thinking he'd captured the famed hero who beat Sang Yi. Lin Ke stood alone in the courtyard, cursing his cursed luck with women that always led to disaster. Scene cut to the prince's manor, where the princess and Zhang Bailey stood beside the comatose Xian'e. Surrounded by defensive tools, Zhang Bailey asked in surprise how Shed managed to catch that man. The princess scoffed, saying his power was only fifth realm, nothing special. She added mockingly that even the strong were trivial before the might of her family. Zhang Bailey seized the moment, taking her hand and sweet-talking about glorious futures under the Grandmaster's favor. The princess pulled away coldly, calling both him and Xian'e useless playboys, then turned her back. Inwardly, she admitted only that muscular rogue stirred her heart. At that moment, Duke Bin Duong's furious shout thundered through the manor. Zhang Bailey went pale, warning that her father had returned, and yelled for retreat. He bolted like the wind, not daring to linger a heartbeat. The Duke stormed in, scolding his daughter for sneaking out and dragging Commander Lin back home. Outside the manor, Lin Ke and Zhao Zongshu waited under pale moonlight. Lin Ke spoke quietly, assigning Zhao Zongshu to rescue Zhang Wuhai while he'd handle the princess. Zhao Zongshu gripped his sword nervously, asking if he'd be okay going alone. Lin Ke reassured him with a half-smile, saying he had other weapons and just needed to stall for time. Mid-talk, Zhang Bailey was suddenly flung out of the manor like a rock from a catapult. Lin Ke's eyes lit up. What a gift from the heavens! He immediately chased the target, leaving Zhao Zongshu frozen in confusion. Before Zhang Bailey could stand, a punch slammed him down like a sack of rice. Shocked and enraged, he shouted, demanding to know who dared attack him. Lin Ke strolled out from under a tree, munching an apple and mocking that Zhang had basically jumped into him. Zhang Bailey panicked, unable to believe Lin Ke was still free and tailing him. In fury, he summoned the monster Yang Kaifu to strike back. Lin Ke crossed his arms and taunted, saying even ghosts wouldn't bother following such a loser. He flicked his apple core right into Zhang's face, sending him flying and crashing painfully. Watching that, Lin Ke grinned cunningly, thinking this fool might still be useful. Meanwhile, the princess fumed, declaring Sang Yi's beating had disgraced her entire house. She argued firmly that capturing Commander Lin had been perfectly justified. Duke Bin Duong slammed the table, roaring that she had disobeyed orders, caused chaos, and arrested a man without cause. He sternly reminded her the Xian'e case wasn't settled, and Commander Lin, being the Emperor's man, must be released immediately. The princess quickly softened, coquettishly agreeing as long as her father didn't punish her further. Just then, a guard rushed in to announce Commander Lin requested an audience. The princess froze in disbelief at the news. The Duke frowned, doubting anyone would dare use that title so boldly. From outside came hearty louder Lin Ke himself, saying he hadn't visited the manor before, so faces were unfamiliar. The princess jumped up, screaming as Lin Ke strode in confidently. Lin Ke bowed formally, introducing himself as commander of the inner guard, here searching for a lost disciple. The Duke's expression flipped. He greeted warmly, calling the whole mess a minor misunderstanding. At that moment, Zhang Wuhai peeked out, looking exhausted but alive. He rushed forward, collapsing at Lin Ke's feet in tears of relief. Zhang Wuhai clung to his leg, sobbing that a royal recruit like him had been treated as a criminal. Lin frowned and hinted that the Duke's meddling in the Imperial exam smelled suspicious. The Duke panicked, denying everything and swearing loyalty to the crown. Fear crept in. He realized he'd stepped right into Lin Ke's trap. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed from above. A naked Zhang Bailey crashed through the ceiling into the hall, shocking everyone. Linke immediately shouted assassin, and ordered guards to protect the Duke and Princess. He punched Zhang Bailey midair, knocking him senseless. Terrified, Zhang Bailey fled, chased by a storm of guards. Linke accused him publicly of kidnapping his student, imprisoning him, and plotting lechery, claiming solid witnesses. The hall went silent as Linke calmly implied everyone knew how to handle this externally. The Duke had no choice but to nod and swallow his anger. By dawn, crowds gathered before the palace gates to hear the official verdict announced. Zhang Bailey was declared a traitor for plotting against the prince and insulting the princess. Caught red-handed and punished publicly as a warning, the crowd buzzed with gossip about this reckless nobody and flocked to see the truth. Whispers spread that the Zhang man had high connections, while nobles claimed the court and sect master were still wrestling for power. Scene shifts to the Golden Hall where the queen presides over a council of ministers. The sovereign sternly questions the border lord about the night intrusion and her daughter's safety. The prince humbly reports that a skilled guard saved her, though the fiancé relapsed into a coma from shock. An aged minister laments his gravely injured son, with physicians saying only a strong shock could revive him. The old man kneels, begging the ruler for fair judgment. The queen calmly taps the table, noting that the culprit once studied under the Tao Master. The Tao Master hastily denies any link, saying the man was long expelled and now guilty of endifying crimes. Gritting his teeth, he pleads for harsh punishment to preserve imperial dignity. The ruler agrees to punish both the criminal and the negligent overseer as a warning. She then mentions the heroic guard commander and orders him summoned for a reward. Inside, the queen is stirred by admiration and unease under many watching eyes. Time stretches as all gaze at the great door, waiting for the named hero to appear. A eunuch quietly reports that the summoned man is nowhere in the palace grounds. Outwardly calm but inwardly seething, she vows not to let him slip away. Cut to the prince's manor, where the guard asks to stay longer for a gravely ill confidant. He solemnly offers a golden fruit as a get-well gift, teasing his host's bold gaze. She blushes, but before she can scold him, he pulls her close with intimate playfulness. Whispering by her ear, he suggests starting with a little fun while times are favorable. She smiles seductively, saying she's learned a few tricks at home and is ready to spar. Just then the door bursts open, guards rush in, panicked with bad news. Meanwhile, the guard feeding the patient hears word of someone storming the execution ground. Clashing with soldiers, Linke reacts fiercely, declaring he only came to comfort the grieving, yet others rudely disturbed him. He strides off boldly to see who dares cause chaos in broad daylight, leaving Wu Hai dumbfounded. Returning, Wu Hai is shocked to find the unconscious man trembling and begging for help. Doubting his state of life or death, the scene shifts to the execution ground, chaos erupting as a masked man beats guards while carrying the condemned. Laughing madly, he mocks all who block his way as worthless pests. His arrogance is cut short when a weapon slices through the air from afar. He narrowly dodges, a chill of dread creeping up his spine. A cold voice declares fate immutable, none may defy heaven to save a doomed soul. The crowd instantly kneels, recognizing the identity of the one who appeared. The masked man panics, mind blank as the tide turns too fast. The truth shows the prisoner is dying, life force nearly gone. The masked one snaps, charging like a cornered beast. Linke stays calm, even sending troops away to make the duel grander. He stands firm, taking the fierce assault without a step back. While parrying, he probes the foe's origin, hinting this one is no ordinary man. The enemy laughs wildly, claiming his identity is beyond guessing, and the real fight begins. Amid fierce clashes, Linke mocks with ease, utterly dominating. The masked man reveals deep cultivation, aura bursting, but Linke coolly notes has never reached true heights. He proudly declares all realms beneath his eyes are trivial. A heaven-shaking vision rises behind him, divine might trembling heaven and earth. The foe recoils in terror, unable to believe the monstrous power revealed. Linke coldly judges him unworthy to face such supreme majesty. He activates a sealing art, summoning a holy body phantom in chains that bind space itself. One glance leaves the masked man in agony, his sight nearly destroyed. With violet pupils glowing, Linke gauges his limits while forcing a forbidden pact. The foe panics, summoning twisted power to strike back desperately. An evil art forms a giant monster that devours its master whole. Linke sneers, calling it a child's trick unworthy of concern. He easily suppresses the attack, turning his spirit force into absolute bindings that seal all corruption. Amid chaos, the masked man seizes the chance to flee with the prisoner, vanishing. Linke laughs, realizing it was a diversion and guessing the man holds high rank under the national preceptor. He gathers rare relics left behind, useful for mending the cultivation of a certain special person. Securing his spoils, he turns into a streak of light, racing toward the Supreme's residence. On the way, he imagines the other party humbly begging forgiveness to calm his wrath. Soon his figure appears before the central palace. Arriving, he puts on the face of a wronged man seeking sympathy. Before him lies a barrier and warning plaque. A eunuch whispers that the ruler is furious over being stood up. He turns to leave but curiously asks was there a man inside the hall. Within, the queen receives a returning general and inquires about the northern front. The general kneels, reporting the borders are stable yet strange signs abound, so he brought disciples for recruitment. The queen kindly helps him up, praising him as a pillar of the realm. She takes his hand and seats him, her gentle tone showing long-standing trust. During the talk, the guest secretly uses a strange art, offering an item found at the frontier. Just then Linka bursts in, chaos erupts, and their powers clash in an instant. Amid the strike, a blazing red artifact falls to the floor before everyone's eyes. Linka swiftly picks it up, pretending mistake, claiming it's just a fire-type spirit crystal rich in energy. Lo Wei bursts in anger, scolding him for disrespecting her trusted old friend. Without arguing, Linka pulls her close, bluntly accusing the man of hidden motives and urging her to discard everything related. Deep inside, he mutters a thought far too impolite to voice. Lo Wei hastily soothes the general, explaining Linka's special guard status during the northern mission. Only then do they notice the general's armor shattered long ago. Revealing inner garments, the queen steps forward, places the treasure before Lin, half smiling in praise but unwilling to waste such a rare item. Linka keeps nodding politely, though his eyes remain glued to the two treasures before him. Lo Wei drapes a cloak over the general, teasing lightly to mask her own flustered affection. Sinwu sighs, lamenting the inconveniences of womanhood and the invisible binds between genders. Linka's mouth speaks righteousness, yet his gaze betrays him, justifying himself with hypocritical philosophy. Suddenly embraced, is caught off guard by effusive praise for his noble character. Sinwu proposes an exchange of spirit armor, secretly gauging his reaction. She grips Linka's hand warmly, showing trust as if achieving her desire. Lo Wei cuts in sorely, breaking the overly cozy mood. Reading the room, Sinwu excuses herself, confirming the treasure's delivery and mentioning troops awaiting orders. Linka wistfully jokes after her departing figure, making the air even more awkward. Lo Wei explodes in fury, spiritual power surging as she demands to know where had vanished all day. Linka dodges confrontation, switch into a cocky, provocative tone backed by his confidence. Provoked, Lo Wei triggers her seal, dragon shadow rising, ready to risk it all through their pact bond. Linka coldly reminds her of their master-servant order, easily restraining her with suppressive magic. Amid her furious cries, he calmly declares his transferring power, using 2 spirit stones as conduits. After absorbing the energy, Lo Wei feels her cultivation soar and excitedly suggests another round. In contrast, Linka retreats exhausted, looking like a man utterly drained. He grumbles over the imbalance, bitter at the heavy cost for her advancement. Staggering outside, he catches the eunuch's mocking stare, soaring his mood further. Keeping composure, Linka coldly questions the man before him. Eunuch hurriedly denies wrongdoing, mumbling about harmless passing thoughts. Seeing him about to leave, the eunuch flatters, offering escort, but Linka curtly refuses, boasting of his hardy body. Before he gets far, a hidden attacker ambushes to capture him alive but even weakened. Has no easy prey. Scene shifts to a strange realm thick with spirit mist, gloomy as the underworld. Linka lies captive, sweating and mumbling nonsense in delirium. Regaining awareness, is horrified to find himself tied atop a massive cooking cauldron blazing with fire. A familiar laugh rings out. The former national preceptor appears, clad in bizarre, bare leather attire. Linka channels his remaining power, straining to shatter the chains restraining him. Breaking free, he leaps from the trap, shouting for the mastermind to reveal themselves and apologize. But upon landing, he slips miserably, sensing something odd beneath his feet. Looking closer, is stunned to find a spirit flower blooming in what seems like a watery pit. His foe laughs, explaining the flower nullifies yang energy especially sensitive to his body type. She smugly notes has a rare pure yang physique, which in this heavy place becomes a fatal flaw. Linka scoffs, claiming no petty corruption could suppress him. Furious, he charges forward to punish the schemer behind it all. Suddenly, a masked guard intercepts, shouting coldly to halt him. Caught off guard, Linka loses balance and falls backward. Lang Hanyan smiles, introducing the newly strengthened ghost creature she just perfected. Despite the tension, Linka casually slings an arm around her, teasing her so much the ghost freezes. Hanyan, blushing with anger, shoves him away and orders the ghost to kill the insolent man. The ghost shade growls coldly, slashing sharp claws toward its target. Linka dodges deftly, his movement like a deadly dance. He taunts Midran but doesn't finish the line before the ghost shade relentlessly chases. While Linka's vitality drains fast, scanning the terrain, he realizes the energy severely hinders his recovery. He strikes back decisively, blasting through the cliff wall to open an escape route. Meanwhile, outside, a female general rides through the streets, heralding new turmoil ahead. Sinwu halts her horse, sensing a strange aura nearby. Her eyes sharpening, Linka bursts through the rock, inhaling freedom like a man reborn. Yet his pursuer closes in, making him sigh at the unshakable persistence. Lang Hanyan coldly declares fate is sealed no matter what breaks. His end won't change. Bitter at losing her chance to strike personally, she hides her true form, reverting to the old national preceptor. The elder commands the ghost shade to unleash its final state, then departs to await victory. The ghost shade's disguise, revealing a half-human, half-beast form, vowing to drain her prey dry. Without hesitation, she swings a massive tail, aiming to end him on the spot. Linka spreads his arms, laughing that being drained feels like fate's cruel joke between natural opposites. Hoofbeats thunder as Sinwoo rushes in, shouting encouragement, but the ghost shade strikes first, binding Lin Ka with her tail and warning no one to come closer. Sinwoo roars in outrage, invoking Imperial authority to demand she cease. Though being crushed, Lin Ka urges her to retreat, not to endanger her troops. Sinwoo's steadfast gaze answers she will never abandon an ally Imperial. Lin Ka snaps, declaring this a duel of honor and ordering everyone to withdraw. The ghost shade agrees, insisting it's a private matter none should interrupt. Reluctantly, Sinwoo pulls back, admiration and worry mingling in her heart. Lin Ka smirks, admitting the foe truly lives up to being the National Preceptor's prize creation. The ghost shade grins wickedly, pressing his head down, using her body to restrain him with suggestive words. Lin Ka instantly senses something off, his face changing drastically. Horrified, he shouts a warning something unnatural is pressing dangerously close to his side. The ghost shade calmly admits her lower half still keeps male traits from the fusion process. Enraged beyond measure, Lin Ka roars and unleashes his full power, flinging the foe away. Spirit energy erupts violently around him, its pressure driving everyone back. The ghost shade reels, unable to believe the sudden transformation before her eyes. Lin Ka, reborn and mighty, declares he'll purge all filth from existence. In a blur, he seizes her throat, utterly overwhelming her as she screams in despair. From afar, Sinwoo watches silently, realizing his earlier restraint was to shield others from his terrifying power. Scene shifts to the Tao Master's mansion, where Leng Henyan rages. Baffled that one man ruined every plan, she mutters that Sect forces can't aid her in time, leaving no choice but to face the queen directly. Her fury spirals out of control as she screams like one possessed. Time passes, the Imperial exam resumes. Candidates writing under the Tao Master's icy supervision, the queen observes leisurely, mocking that the National Preceptor's disciples have all vanished. The old master humbly replies that his pupils withdrew to avoid disgracing royal favor. She smiles slyly, stressing that training talent is a duty that can't be dodged. The old man bows, trembling and promising to remember her words. Once she's gone, suppressed fury twists his face. Inwardly, he vows the game isn't over, the key still lies with someone else. Scene shifts to a lively tavern, wine spilling everywhere in drunken reverie. Lin Ka lounges among beauties, drinking straight from the jug. Hang Sang silently wonders why his sought only wine, never lust. For days, two subordinates burst in, panicked, reporting the exam's disastrous results like the end of the world. They wail that fate's turned, the National Preceptor's faction utterly crushed. Hearing the top 3 ranks belong to the Imperial Academy, Lin Ka sobers instantly, eyes sharp. He recalls the queen's teasing promise of reward if he triumphed in the merit trials. Grinning broadly, he decides it's time to reclaim all his investments. Zhang Wuhai freezes, dimly realizing the mentioned name belongs to someone world-shaking. One blushes in awe, the other clamps his friend's mouth shut. Fearing heaven's wrath, scene shifts again. Lin Ka strides into the palace, thrilled like a man about to claim treasure. On the path, he runs into Leng Henyan waiting for him. He frowns irritably, making clear he wants no entanglement. Suddenly, she softens her tone, bowing to apologize first. He waves her off, citing urgent matters to brush her aside, but she grabs his hand, offering betrayal of the queen in exchange for shared power and affection. Lin Ka pulls free, annoyed, saying he's already enjoying 2 beauties and won't give up either. He imagines the comical dilemma of being forced to choose, reminded of the unspent wishes he still holds. Facing Leng Henyan, Lin Ka mocks her lofty status and cuts ties with a gesture of pure disdain. Rejected harshly, Leng Henyan collapses while Lin Ka casually walks off, mumbling about another appointment. The Empress Dowager's palace appears eerily silent and empty. An old eunuch reports the Dowager is away and he can only receive guests on her behalf. Hearing she's absent, Lin Ka ponders, then suddenly recalls another target. Alarmed, he changes direction, running and shouting for the National Preceptor to return. Meanwhile, Leng Henyan rides her ghost beast away. Seething with humiliation, she vows to sever all ties. Flying off still consumed by rage, Lin Ka arrives too late. Seeing only her fading silhouette among the clouds, he blames himself for missing the chance. Fuming in regret and frustration, Eunuch Liu appears, delivering an imperial summons inviting Lin Ka to a reward banquet at the Imperial Garden. Lin Ka, startled, asks how long the man has been following him. The eunuch chuckles, saying the emperor foresaw exactly where Lin Ka would go. Lin Ka suspects Lang Shuyan's departure was orchestrated by Le Fei and vows to settle scores. He curtly orders immediate departure. An hour later, the Imperial Garden bustles with ministers toasting in celebration. Prince Pingyang flatters the victory, saying the National Preceptor's power wanes and success is near. Lo Wei humbly credits the court and her royal uncle's support. Prince Pingyang denies his merit, insisting Lin Ka is worth more than 100 officials. A newly crowned Zhuanjuan complains that Lin Ka oppressed him, begging the emperor for judgment. Zhang Wuhai and Zhao Zongshui mock him as a whiner after reaping benefits. The scholar flushes and retorts, asking their exam ranks among the students. The two fall silent, bowing like scolded schoolboys. Prince Pingyang laughs heartily, publicly praising the young man's talent and promise. The Zhuanjuan feigns modesty, secretly dreaming of a powerful patron. Prince Pingyang suddenly spots Ling Yan entering and cheerfully alerts the hall. Lin Ka steps in, greeting the prince with perfect decorum. Lowei instantly shows closeness, inviting Linka to sit beside her. The Zhuanjuan panics, trying to protest but failing to speak. Linka boldly sits next to the emperor, wraps her waist, and casually asks about the scholar's identity. Lafay confirms it with irritation, demanding Linka release her so she can handle the matter. Linka laughs, saying it's too trivial for the emperor and that he has a better solution. He proposes marrying the Zhuanjuan to Princess Pingyang, fulfilling a prior condition. Lowei agrees, her doubts about Linga's ties to the princess easing. She swiftly approves, citing the princess' frail health as reason for quick companionship. The princess freezes at being named, utterly unprepared for this. Confused, she bows and accepts the decree. Linka glances at the scholar, seeing through the hidden identity behind the disguise. Prince Pingyang solemnly thanks the throne, happily accepting the imperial match. The entire banquet raises cups, shouting lively congratulations. When the feast ends under the full moon, Lowei departs seriously, remembering the emperor's lessons. Lafay waves for Eunuch Liu to escort the guests away, then moves to the imperial study. Watching her go, Linka smiles inwardly, pleased that she kept her promise. The new Zhuanjuan secretly hides nearby, plotting to find a weakness to escape the forced marriage. He decides to shadow Linka, hoping to catch him doing something incriminating. After tailing him for a while, he spots Linka lurking near the imperial study, acting suspiciously, sensing mischief. He creeps closer and places a hand on Linka's shoulder. He loudly accuses Linka of spying on the emperor's private quarters, but Linka was merely relieving himself, leaving the scholar drenched in disgrace. Soaked and furious, the Zhuanjuan collapses to his knees, cursing and wiping his face. Linka calmly retorts, claiming he was guarding the emperor to justify his act. The scholar points at Linga's behavior, arguing the area is already heavily guarded. Linka casually denies it, insisting only the two of them are here now. He suddenly drops his pants, scaring the Zhuanjuan into screaming threats of imperial complaint. The imperial study door opens. Lowei steps out in thin robes, both shy and scolding Linka for being too brazen. Seeing her, the Zhuanjuan pales, utterly frozen in shock. Lowei's tone turns icy as she questions Linka sternly. Linka feigns innocence, counter-accusing the other of being a disguised woman spying on him. The person bows her head, admitting she's female, terrified that Linka saw through her from the start. She kneels, begging for mercy, naming herself Huangyan from Zhoushan County. Huangyan explains her tragic plight, forced to disguise herself to seek justice, only to fall into this mess. Hearing this, Lafay sighs with guilt, admitting her own negligence. She immediately hands Linka the command seal, ordering him to investigate Zhoushan's situation. Huangyan tearfully thanks her, expressing the people's gratitude. Though merciful, Lafay keeps imperial order, commanding temporary custody for questioning. She suggests erasing the woman's memory for now and asks Huangyan's consent. Huangyan agrees instantly, stunning Linka, who mutters something cryptic. Before he can speak further, Lafay knocks Huangyan out cold with a heavy blow. Linka frowns, disappointed, realizing he'd placed hope in the wrong person. Before leaving, Lafay reminds him she has fulfilled 2 of her promises. Hearing that, Linka fumes, dissatisfied with such meager gains. Lafay tosses him the command seal, coldly urging him to focus on real duties. The doorway, she adds a vague new promise, another wish if he performs well. The door slams shut, leaving Linka staring blankly in silence. He forces a grin, convincing himself to proceed step by step. Glancing at the unconscious Huangyan, a crook thought crosses his mind. He deems the trip worthwhile. After all, just as he's about to act, he masks his intent with arrogant excuses. The scene ends with a carriage quietly departing the palace into the distance. Inside, Huangyan awakens dizzy, her memories broken and head throbbing painfully. Linka greets her with a mocking smile, calling her revival a flawless recovery. Huangyan panics, checking herself, horrified to find her disguise and clothes gone. Linka casually admits to changing her outfit, even demanding payment for the new clothes. Enraged, Huangyan slaps him hard, shouting that he's shameless. In return, Linka threatens her with charges of insolence and treason. Pale with fear, Huangyan kneels, begging forgiveness and confessing she disguised herself out of desperation. Linka sternly stressed the gravity, claiming the matter could shake the imperial court. Huangyan trembled, clutching his leg and begging for her life in despair. Linka changed his tone, asking her to open her mouth so he could handle an urgent matter. Not understanding why, Huangyan complied, letting Linka tap her acupoint with a suggestive motion. He produced an imperial letter, assuring her the emperor had calmed down and assigned them to investigate Bamboo Mountain. Hearing that, Huangyan rejoiced, expressing deep gratitude and a promise of repayment. Linka pulled her close, teasing that repayment did need to wait till the next life. But then he worried about his unresolved engagement with the princess. He quickly brushed off the thought and lifted the carriage curtain to reveal the princess joining them. The princess, riding beside them, explained she was allowed out of the palace thanks to Linka. She laughed loudly, galloping ahead and leaving lively chaos behind. Inside the carriage, Linka hugged Huangyan with a sly, teasing smile. Scene shifts to the Grand Preceptor's manor, where Leng Henyan quietly drank tea, looking gloomy. A female voice filled with spiritual energy broke her melancholy. Recognizing Leng Shuyan's familiar tone, Henyan froze in surprise, Seeing her senior sister, Hanyan jumped up joyfully and called out. She hugged Shuyan, crying while asking about the unfinished mission. Leng Shuyan gently assured her, saying she came this time to eliminate Lin Ga. Her voice turned cold as she revealed assassins had been set along his route. Back in the carriage, Linka smugly sat between two beauties as the princess teased him half-jokingly. Linka retorted that it was the princess who insisted on coming, not anyone's invitation. Suddenly, he grew suspicious if the princess was here. Who was that rider earlier? The three exchanged confused looks, not understanding what was happening. Linka muttered doubtfully while lifting the curtain to check their location. Huang Yan looked out and reassured him, saying they'd only strayed slightly and could still reach Bamboo Mountain. As dusk fell, the nearby relay station sank into darkness where assassins lay in ambush. One of them whispered impatiently, wondering why the target hadn't shown up yet. Along the old road into town, scenes of starving peasants painted a grim picture. Meanwhile, Linke was haggling over prices with a female merchant. Gesturing irritably, the reed-haired girl, annoyed by his stare, bluntly asked if it'd buy or not. Linka sneered, pushing the price lower just to test her reaction. The merchant grew furious, accusing him of picking a fight. She boasted her grain was the cheapest in the region, praised by everyone. Huang Yan stepped forward, exposing her profiteering that worsened the people's hunger. The princess sternly joined in, threatening to report her to the duke for punishment. Thugs emerged from the shadows to surround them as the merchant ordered an attack. Her henchmen laughed, mocking the two girls as they prepared to strike. Huang Yan fought back fiercely, scolding them for aiding evil. The princess charged in too, loudly declaring her noble identity to intimidate them. The two girls fought in perfect sync, swiftly defeating the enemies. When it was over, they realized Lin Ka had vanished. In truth, he had already captured the ringleader and was lecturing her on how to handle lackeys. Seeing that, Huang Yan couldn't hide her admiration for Lin Ga's clean tactics. The ringleader struggled up, claiming to be just a hired hand. Using the county magistrate's name to threaten them, Lin Ka mocked him, declaring he could make the magistrate bow his head. He gathered the poor around, publicly vowing to buy all the grain for them. Hearing that, the peasants erupted with joy, cheering and cursing the merchants. Nai Nai was blocked by the crowd and screamed threats of execution against rebels. Huang Yan froze at the news of early executions, her voice full of panic. Before explaining, she shoved everyone aside and ran off in haste. Confused, Lin Ka told the princess to follow and see what was going on. They arrived at a small house, and the princess guessed it was Huang Yan's home. A frail old woman recognized Huang Yan, crying as she spoke of her granddaughter Bingni. Huang Yan comforted her, introducing Lin Ka as an Imperial envoy sent to help. Suddenly, an axe flew toward Lin Ka. He calmly caught it, realizing the attacker was a master of high cultivation. Huang Yan jumped in front, calling the man Uncle Kui and insisting they weren't enemies. Kui Shu coldly warned he was only restraining himself because of her plea. Lin Ka calmly stated he served the emperor and had nothing to do with the magistrate's faction. Kui Shu arrogantly declared Bamboo Mountain's matters would be handled by its own people and unleashed his power. The princess noticed his cultivation was at an extraordinary level. Her eyes turning grave, Linda chose to withdraw, politely bidding farewell to avoid conflict. He carried the princess away using light footwork. Ignoring Huang Yan's panicked calls, Huang Yan angrily blamed Kui Shu for ruining her plea for imperial aid. Kui Shu reassured her, saying staying away from the court was safer and promised to save Huang Bing. He suddenly suspected Lin Ga had slipped away through the back. The people nearby vaguely confirmed it. Suddenly, soldiers stormed in, shouting orders to arrest rebels by the magistrate's decree. Kui Shu roared in anger, realizing the informant might be the one who just left. Huang Yan was stunned, unable to believe Lin Ka was the suspected traitor. The fat magistrate appeared in a wheelchair, smugly boasting that the escort bureau had suffered heavy losses. He arrogantly declared that even if they feared not death, none would be spared. Hong Kui furiously accused him of hoarding grain and said the court had been informed. The magistrate sneered, bragging of powerful backers. He waved his hand to have everyone arrested, planning to execute them at dawn. Soldiers roared and charged, attacking Huang Yan's group. From afar, Lin Ka and the princess secretly observed, each with mixed emotions. The princess grew anxious to help, but Lin Ka told her to wait. He assured her that Huang Kui wasn't someone easy to capture. Lin Ka also noticed demonic aura on the magistrate, suspecting deeper trouble. Inside, Huang Kui burst out with fierce energy, unleashing Mad Lion Heavenly Steel. One strike blew the soldiers away, and he ordered his allies to retreat. Seeing his prey escape, the magistrate raged, calling his men useless. Two demon-tainted subordinates appeared, bowing and apologizing for being late. One reported that Huang Kui had exhausted his core, posing little threat now. The magistrate forgave them but warned not to ruin the Demon King's grand plan. A sudden voice interrupted, making the magistrate spin around in alarm. Lin Ka appeared standing over the two slain demons, calmly reminding him of his past dealings with the Demon King. The magistrate panicked and fled, shouting threats of the Demon King's revenge. Lin Ka crossed his arms with a smirk, mocking how fast the cripple could run. Before he could escape, the princess blocked his path. She kicked him down, declaring her title as Princess of Pingyang with regal authority. Furious, the magistrate roared and activated his demon seed in desperation. Linka leapt up, forcing demonic energy from the subordinates' bodies and told the princess to retreat. The magistrate cursed Linka for ruining the holy sovereign's scheme and courting death. Linka laughed, realizing they were wood demons controlled by Tai Sui, gluttonous and lazy, hence hoarding all the grain. He coldly declared that any woodpath beings, no matter how strong, were under his absolute suppression. Then struck, his spell flared, sending waves of fire that made the demons scream in terror. When the smoke cleared, their bodies were gone, only 3 spirit cores rolled on the ground. The princess rushed over, astonished the battle had ended so quickly. Linka collected the cores, explaining they were tools for controlling demon soldiers, an outdated trick. The princess stomped in anger, cursing the demons and worrying when the magistrate had been possessed. Linka calmly said investigating would be easy, as soul-swapping disguises were child's play. In an instant, he transformed to a perfect copy of the fat magistrate, ordering the carriage back to the manor. The princess, shocked but delighted, pushed the wheelchair while praising Linka's all-round brilliance. At the magistrate's residence, subordinates bowed deeply at their master's arrival. Linka bluntly ordered all ledgers brought to the study for inspection. Servants along the corridor bowed one by one, noticing nothing amiss. He quietly observed, concluding the place bore no demonic traces, so it wasn't Taisu's lair. The two entered the study, searching every corner for clues. Suddenly, a knock came with a sweet female voice asking after the situation. The princess tensed up, while Nainai entered, recognizing her and screaming in fright. Linka saw clearly it was the magistrate's housekeeper. Nainai suspected nothing, hugging the fake magistrate jealously and pouting. Linka feigned sternness, using the ledger inspection as an excuse to escape her clinginess. Nainai pressed closer seductively, revealing the real secret wasn't in the ledgers but with her. Linka smiled slyly, sacrificing for duty, making the princess blush and curse under her breath. By morning, after a stormy night of interrogation, Nainai slept exhausted like a dried corpse. Taking advantage, Linka retrieved the hidden ledger and found it had been tricked. Reading it, he confirmed the magistrate not only hoarded grain but secretly sent it to heavenly prison as offerings to Tai Sui. Realizing the full plot, Linka dispelled his disguise, returning to his true form. He reasoned Tai Sui hid in the heavenly prison not just for grain but to slaughter souls in existence that must be destroyed. The scene shifted to the execution ground inside the prison, where many prisoners knelt awaiting death. A court officer read the verdict, ordering executions in the magistrate's name. A young man, bloody but defiant, shouted curses at the cruel officials. Enraged, a soldier kicked him down, spilling blood onto the ground. Outside the execution yard, Huang Yan and Huang Ku's men secretly watched the scene unfold. Huang Ku quietly assigned roles, deciding to create chaos himself so his team could rescue the captives. With that, he charged into the center of the execution ground, shouting provocations at the guards. Soldiers panicked, scattering and yelling that the execution site was under attack. Battle cries rang out, yet Huang Kui froze for a moment, stunned by the uproar. Amid the chaos, his comrades successfully rescued Huang Bing and relayed the news. Elsewhere, Linka struck once, sending soldiers flying and coldly announced his status as Imperial envoy. Seeing Linka and the princess, Huang Yan was so moved she nearly cried. The two even exchanged playful greetings, making the battlefield atmosphere oddly light. Hearing their tangled titles, Huang Kui stood baffled, unable to grasp their relationship. Huang Bing, too, sensed that his sister's connection with the pair was far from simple. Suddenly, the magistrate appeared radiating killing intent, loudly accusing Linka of slaying demon troops. Linka calmly replied, mocking him and warning of what was about to happen. At once, the soldiers transformed into demon soldiers, roaring and attacking. Linka didn't move, raising his hand to summon sacred fire. Holy flames engulfed the yard, burning demons alive as they screamed. The princess crossed her arms, remarking that ordinary men could never fathom Linka's power. Huang Kui laughed heartily, admitting he had misjudged Linka all along. Linka closed in on the demon official, forcing him to reveal his true form in terror. The demon begged for mercy, confessing he only followed King Mu Sect's orders and would harm no one again. Linka sternly questioned why the Sects kept meddling in mortal bamboo mountain of Li Kingdom. The demon stiffly revealed the Sects sought a national treasure in the royal vault, plotting from outside since cultivators couldn't enter the capital. Linka frowned, puzzled, had never sensed any treasure's aura himself. He suddenly recalled Lu Wei's ancient pact and decided to return for answers. Seeing him lost in thought, the demon tried to retreat, bowing for permission to leave. Linka coldly blocked him, pressing a palm down to stop his escape. The demon screamed as the spirit inside him burst violently. From the ground, countless black tendrils surged up, ensnaring everything like hellish traps. Huang Yan's men panicked, shouting and retreating from the yard. Linka chuckled, realizing the enemy's true body was buried underground. Blood mist billowed, accompanied by furious roars threatening to devour all who gazed upon it. Linka flicked his fingers, sending power through the fiend and erasing it completely. He sneered calmly, saying the opponent was weaker than the demoness before. Huang Kui stared wide-eyed, unable to believe what he'd witnessed. Linka lowered his hand, briefly stating he'd reached the peak of the second realm. Huang Kui and his men immediately knelt, repenting for having underestimated him. Linka told them to rise but sternly ordered Huang Yan to kneel. Huang Yan blushed, thinking he was teasing again, and whispered that people were watching. Linka unrolled an imperial decree, proclaiming Huang Yan the new magistrate of Bamboo Mountain by royal order. Trembling, Huang Yan accepted the decree, bowing deeply and pledging loyalty to the nation. The scene shifted to the road back to the capital, with Lin Kai and the princess riding side by side under the setting sun. The princess pouted, complaining that she had just gained a marquis only to lose him again. Feeling utterly dejected, Lin Kai explained it was all part of the imperial arrangement, while the princess suspected the emperor actually feared him. Along the road, two women with demonic auras suddenly appeared, blocking their way. The short-haired one mocked, boasting she arrived faster than their entire group. The long-haired one retorted, claiming the return path made them the ones late instead. The two instantly argued, trading barbs that escalated into insults and blows. Without provocation, they launched into a fierce brawl while Linka slipped away unseen. He gleefully spurred his horse faster, proud of his escape, unaware someone was tailing him. Ahead, a massive pit trap lay waiting like a predator's snare. Thanks to sharp reflexes, Linka leaped, horse and all, soaring over it gracefully. The two women realized too late they'd been duped and fell straight into the trap. The princess looked back, astonished, wondering who they were and whether to help. Linka waved dismissively, saying they weren't worth worrying about, just puppets bound by dark arts. Alarmed by the mention of necromancy, the princess quickly asked who the puppeteer was. Right then, a surge of spiritual energy erupted from the pit, forcing them to turn around. Through the mist, a beautiful woman holding a mirror appeared, lamenting how wind and sun had ruined her looks. She crushed the mirror, releasing her pent-up rage. She complained bitterly that being homeless left her no choice but to obey her senior sister's humiliating orders. Linka stepped forward, producing a strange vial of spirit water and seriously pitching its divine skincare effects. The woman's eyes widened as she eagerly asked where to buy it. Linka took her hand, smiling that it was a free trial sample made just for her. Seeing his face clearly, she guessed it was the man who escaped her trap. Two little girls suddenly appeared before him, shouting in unison to protect their mother. Linka laughed and teased them, then vanished and reappeared, striking with lightning speed. The two girls were sent flying, unable to react in time, yet they beamed happily because Linka called them adorable. Aqua innocently asked their mother if that man could be their father. The woman snorted coldly, turning the two children into jade orbs and ordering them back. Linka folded his arms, half-jokingly suggesting she let them have a real childhood. She airily replied they were jade spirits forged by alchemy, not her flesh and blood. Hearing that, Linka instantly lost interest, waving her off without care. To his surprise, the woman obediently left, softly bidding farewell. After a few steps, she suddenly turned, angrily demanding why Linka mocked her identity. The woman lifted her chin and declared herself Yu Liying of the Xi Nu Sect, escort to the Saintess, peak post the even 9th realm. Linka didn't bother replying, calmly raising his hand to count multiples of 9. Yu Liying frowned, irritated and puzzled by the odd gesture. He casually explained he was calculating the distance between her 9th realm and his own Quasi-Sage level. Provoked, she unleashed her ultimate art, countless palm shadows like moons flooding the sky. Linka immediately summoned a phenomenon, a colossal dragon flame soaring into the air. He roared the name of his divine spell, spirit power blazing like the descent of the sun itself. The two clashed fiercely, shaking the land until their power waned and both stopped at once. Yu Liyin, panting in confusion, wondered how Linka could enter the capital unharmed by dragon aura. Linka shrugged with a sly grin, saying it was a heavenly secret he couldn't reveal. She frankly admitted the Saintess of Xi Nu Sect sent her, proposing to trade the dragon aura secret for an alliance. Linka calmly refused, claiming he needed no aid to handle matters himself. Yu Liying sneered, warning that the Saintess held a powerful treasure and other forces were on the move. Linka grew curious, asking why she'd betray the sect's most favored disciple. Yu Liying revealed her resentment. She excelled in all things yet lost the Saintess title due to an undercover mission. Linka chuckled, saying their interests aligned and asking her to share more secrets. She didn't fall for it, demanding to witness his method against Dragon Aura and offering a Jade Demon Orb as their pact. Linka accepted the orb with a smile, saying trust was key to cooperation. Half joking, he suggested a golden orchid bond and suddenly lunged to hug her. Yu Liying dodged, leaving only cold air behind and declaring she didn't trust him. Linka tumbled forward, muttering that she wasn't as cute as Luo Yun. Scene shift to the capital. Linka held the demon orb. Deep in thought, he suspected Yu Liying was watching him and guessed her earrings transmitted images. While occupied, he called through the orb, instantly hearing her furious shout. Moments later, the spot where he sat exploded violently like thunder and quake combined. a distant spiritual pressure struck forth a bow panicked. Realizing this was how she bypassed the dragon aura, disheveled, Linka grumbled that if she wanted to leave, fine, but did she have to blow up the latrine? Just then, a passerby saw him and screamed about a pervert in public. Soon patrol guards arrived, harshly interrogating who dared commit indecency on the street. Seeing danger, Linka sprang to the rooftops and fled without looking back. Scene cut to Spring Wind Pavilion, where Linka drank with Hansang to unwind from his travels. Hansang sadly reported the new magistrate had banned brothels. Forcing the pavilion to close, Linka suggested a discreet bribe, but Hansang hesitated, afraid of exposure. Just as they relaxed, the door burst open and someone barged in. The man loudly invoked the court's name, declaring Brothel's demonic dens to be purged, and Hansang calmly countered, claiming Linka was her lawful husband. Magistrate Liu instantly demanded proof, boasting he controlled the city's entire registry. Hansang rattled off a list of husbands, leaving Linka speechless. Magistrate Liu waved his hand to arrest them, calling daytime pleasure a grave crime. Linka coldly exposed him as a sect agent using governance as cover. Without pause, he flung his wine cup, striking like lightning. Magistrate Liu drew his sword in time. Slicing the cup midair, he released demonic aura, admitting his sect identity and using parasite arts to knock everyone out. Liu Qinian revealed himself as a disciple of the Forbidden Desire sect, claiming this was merely discreet work within the mortal realm. Linka didn't answer, he simply struck first with a powerful palm. Liu Qinian blocked while shouting about the alliance with King Mu's sect, yet was still knocked backward. Linka feigned guilt, probing for new intel while secretly plotting to exploit the alley for information. Liu Qinian clutched his face, whining that Linka hit far too hard. Despite his wounds, he revealed that an ancient empress once obtained a sacred relic from an ascendant to guard the realm, now sealed in the royal vault. Linka silently confirmed the story's truth, then asked if he had ever infiltrated the vault. Liu Qinian shook his head, saying even approaching it made him tremble under saintly pressure. He claimed the only way to seize the relic was to overthrow the Empress, shatter the capital's dragon aura, and summon their sect's patriarch to descend. Linka abruptly punched him again without warning. Liu Qinian froze like wood, baffled why he was being hit again. Linka bluntly said he simply hated the Forbidden Desire sect. Killing intent plain as day, he pinned the man down and kicked him repeatedly despite Lia's cries about the alliance. After that interrogation by fists, Linka left with Hansang, dismissing sect alliances as tricks for fools. Bruised and swollen, Liu Qinian still shouted threats to report everything to his sect. Scene shifted to the commander's manor. Linka stretched happily, declaring it a most satisfying day. Hansang, sitting on the bed half-dressed, tearfully begged him to stop being so domineering. Linka sternly argued had risked his life neutralizing Li Nian's aphrodisiac incense, so treatment fees were justified. Hansang furiously retorted had just used detoxification as an excuse for mischief. Linka pretended not to hear, claiming the emperor had summoned him, and bolted, leaving Hansang speechless. At dawn, court assembly convened with all civil and military officials present. Emperor Lu Wei followed routine, asking if anyone had petitions to present. An old minister kowtowed, pleading to reconsider the ban on music and singing, which angered the people. Emperor Lu Wei admitted fault, ordering the Ministry of Rites to lift the ban. Just then, bruised and battered Liu Qinian burst into court, loudly objecting to repealing the ban. He bitterly accused a certain noble of assaulting him at Spring Wind Pavilion, claiming lust and music corrupted the nation's fate. Emperor Lu Wei frowned, questioning how he, the ban's strongest supporter, ended up in such a state. Liu Qinian pointed straight at Linka, declaring the culprit was the head eunuch of that very name. Emperor Lu Wei believed him, gently suggesting he might be mistaken, while inwardly annoyed at being doubted. Linka stepped forward calmly, denying the claim and demanding concrete witnesses for confrontation. Liu Qinian faltered, secretly suspecting an unspoken bond between the emperor and Linka. He resolved that if he unearthed their secret, not even imperial favor could save Linka. Liu Qinian immediately knelt, proclaiming he had proof that Linka was a King Mu sect infiltrator plotting rebellion. The hall erupted and shock officials cried out at the gravity of the accusation. Prince of Pinyang slammed the table in fury, condemning the sects, while veteran ministers echoed that recent unrest all bore traces of cultivator meddling. Hearing that, Lu Wei shot up coldly and summoned her guards. General Xinwu appeared at once, bowing for further orders. Liu Qianian leaned close to Lin Qi, whispering that had planted fake evidence in his manor to trap him. Lin Qi smirked, sure the emperor trusted him more than any accuser. Before he realized it, Liu Qianian froze as Xinwu's sword touched his throat. Lu Wei sternly sentenced Liu Tianyan for sowing discord, ordering him stripped of rank and jailed in Chanluo prison. He cried innocence, stunned by the sudden reversal. Desperate, Liu Qianian pointed at Lin Qi, shouting to search his estate for truth. Lu Wei cut him off, waving for his immediate arrest. Eunuch Liu caught the cue and loudly declared court dismissed. In fury, Liu Qianian bolted, catching the guards and Xinwu off guard. Lin Qi moved like lightning, blocked his path, and struck him down. He stepped on his chest, warning coldly to stay put and reflect. Liu Qianian laughed madly, revealing he was from the Forbidden Desire sect and that their forces were coming to destroy the Greenwood sect. Lin Qi squinted, calmly doubting both his claim and rank in that sect. Liu Qianyan arrogantly called himself the sect leader's son, warning his death would bring disaster. Lin Qi nodded approvingly, deciding he was too useful to kill yet. He ordered strict confinement, but polite treatment subordinates obeyed in unison. Dragged away. Liu Qianyan kept screaming threats and vows of vengeance. Scene shifted to Tam Palace, where Lu Wei coldly scolded Lin Qi for barging in without permission. Lin Qi, fearless, drew close to embrace her and gently asked about her cultivation progress. Lu Wei rolled her eyes, mocking his fake concern and flirtatious nature. Lin Qi knelt, took her hand, and confessed had found clues about the national preceptor but faced deadly danger ahead. Seeing his worried eyes, Lu Wei softened, comforted him, and revealed she'd reached the fourth martial layer. Lin Qi brightened instantly, laughing and insisting on testing her strength himself. As he lunged, Lu Wei panicked and waved him off before he got inappropriate. Just then, a shadowy figure quietly approached outside Tam Palace. Both tensed up, shouting to know who dared intrude. The figure stepped into the light. It was Empress Dowager Leng Shuyan. Smiling teasingly at their forgetfulness, Lu Wei stood up in shock, not expecting the Empress Dowager's sudden return. Leng Shuyan calmly said outside affairs were settled. Though her timing seemed awkward, Lin Qi quickly interjected, saying her arrival was perfectly timed. The Empress Dowager moved close to Lin Qi, playfully reminding him of their old promise and his unpaid debt of love. Lu Wei burst up in fury while Lin Qi joked dangerously, as if asking for trouble. Before he could finish, Lu Wei punched him hard, warning not to return unless he captured the national preceptor. Eunuch Liu sighed as Lin Qi flew out of the palace, noting he always left in dramatic fashion. At the commander's manor, Lin Qi rubbed his swollen face, grumbling about the Empress' unpredictable temper. Before he could recover, two young girls rushed in to hug him joyfully. Startled, Lin Qi pushed them away, threatening to sue for trespassing before striking back. The girls fell, coughed lightly, and warily insisted they were acquaintances. A Bao complained that Leng Henyan was too fierce and her guard nearly captured them on arrival. Lin Qi was shocked, as the capital's dragon aura suppressed high cultivators. Where did that expert come from? A guy explained it was senior sister Hen Yueton of the Flesh Path, immune to dragon aura, urging Lin Qi to defeat her. Overwhelmed, Lin Qi wondered why Hen Yueton got involved and how the Xia sect was tangled in this. Agua sighed, explaining the Xia sect had split into two rival factions, and Leng Henyan's alliance was outright betrayal. Lin Qi laughed with interest, realizing sect politics were chaos and deciding to add more pieces to his chessboard. In Qian prison, Liu Qianyan sneezed repeatedly, sensing his sect's reinforcements might have arrived. The guard, annoyed by his mumbling, shouted for him to shut up and act like a prisoner. Behind the guard, a Bao appeared silently with a wooden club. In a blink, the guard was knocked unconscious without a sound. Then Agua appeared, scanning around and calling Liu Qianyan by name. Hearing the familiar voice, Liu Qianyan rejoiced, thinking only the national preceptor could command such spirits. He shouted for help, offering treasures in exchange for his life. Agua coldly reminded him of the sect pact and the top priority of sacred relics. Liu Qianyan eagerly flattered the Xiaoan sect for its integrity. A Bao cut him off, ordering silence and a quick escape. The two specters acted swiftly, freeing Liu Qianyan from Shanluo prison in total silence. In the wilderness, Liu Qianyan bowed in thanks, asking where to find the national preceptor for repayment. Agua bluntly refused, saying only those offering the promised treasure could meet him. Liu Qianyan hesitated, but the specters threatened him not to defy rules in the capital. Before he could react, both struck together, launching him skyward like a cannonball. Crashing down in tatters, he cursed the Xia sect for robbing him amid chaos. After his rage, he gritted his teeth, vowing to trust no alliance and rely solely on the Forbidden Desire sect. Elsewhere in the forest, a wide-hatted swordsman sharpening his blade noticed strange lights in the sky. He called to his comrade, warning of an omen. The other looked up, confirming it was an emergency signal from the Forbidden Desire sect. They coldly recalled old grudges, condemning the sect's betrayal and plot to assault their mountain gate. The other man instantly ordered 18 death warriors assembled to slaughter all Forbidden Desire sect disciples in the city. He declared that seizing the saint's relic would soon revive their sect's glory. On a tavern rooftop, Lin Qi sat beside Princess Lu Yun, watching fireworks light the sky. Lu Yun, moved, believed this whole beautiful scene was Lin Qi's romantic gesture for her. Lin Qi secretly mocked himself, knowing his real goal was just to trigger a new plot event. Lu Yun leaned on his chest, wishing the moment would last forever, unaware she was merely part of his plan. In the opposite building, Jan A sat in a wheelchair, wrapped in bandages, looking frail. A drop hit his forehead. He looked up, thinking it had started to rain. He decided to go meet the princess in the rain to move her heart, not knowing she was right across in another man's arms. Lu Yun, thrilled, told Lin Qi she wasn't satisfied yet and wanted more fireworks. Lin Qi grew suspicious the fireworks exceeded his setup, hinting at forces beyond his control. When light burst from two directions, he sensed danger immediately. He realized his scheme to use others to create chaos had spiraled beyond control. A familiar pink aura suddenly appeared before him. Two specters emerged, mocking him for flirting while the capital burned. Lin Qi snapped back angrily. Recognizing the figure as Yu Liang bluntly demanded he fulfill their pact now that her task was done. She offered a trade reveal the national preceptor's location for a secret art to resist dragon aura. Yu Liang distrusted him, revealing only that the preceptor was engaged in perilous work and insisting on entering the city first. Lin Qi reluctantly agreed but required her to seal her cultivation. Yu Liang cast a spell, setting a meeting at West Mountain outside the city. Lin Qi departed quickly, softly telling Princess Lo Yun to wait for his return. At King City Gate, Yu Liang doubted Lin Qi's proposed method. Lin Qi calmly pointed to a hidden tunnel, explaining it was an ancient sealed passage that evaded dragon aura suppression. Yu Liang grit her teeth, drawing her artifact and vowing to kill him if deceived. She chanted a dual spirit spell of the fox system and boldly went in first. Lin Qi stopped her at once, clearly annoyed as her action disrupted his plan. He explained that though he recreated the pact, it functioned like a body seal, as he carefully adjusted every array node. Moments later, a bow crawled out, reporting the tunnel only had guiding marks and no danger. Yu Liang appeared calm but secretly plotted to seize the relic and claim the SAINTESS title. Crawling through the narrow passage, she suddenly got stuck halfway, leaving Lin Qi dumbfounded. Trapped and unable to move, Yu Liang panicked and blushed in humiliation. Lin Qi, amused, offered teasingly to lend a hand. Yu Liang screamed in alarm, forbidding him from coming closer. Confident the earth and stone couldn't stop her, she channeled power to break free, but her power was fully sealed, and she finally realized the array truly suppressed cultivation. Lin Qi said nothing, rushing over excitedly to rescue the stuck damsel. Yu Liang screamed in panic as he suddenly grabbed her. As he pulled, Lin Qi muttered cheerfully, clearly enjoying the situation. Yu Liang shouted furiously, forbidding him from touching sensitive spots. Lin Qi feigned seriousness, telling her to stay quiet so he could focus his technique. After many failed tries, Yu Liang impatiently urged him to use more force. Lin Qi gave one strong pull, yanking her free and sending her tumbling miserably. The moment she got out, dragon aura flared above, stirring chaotic spiritual currents. Yu Liang rose in anger and humiliation, vowing eternal vengeance for this disgrace. She turned coldly away, declaring she'd never reveal Lang Hanyan's whereabouts. Suddenly, chains of light wrapped her tight, leaving her shocked and confused. Lin Qi calmly explained it was a temporary master-servant pact binding their life and emotions. Yu Liang cursed him as shameless for turning her into his subordinate. Lin Qi lit incense slowly, warning her defiance would last only one stick's time. Sure enough, moments later Yu Liang collapsed to her knees, trembling and begging. Smug, Lin Qi told her submission spared her pain, then demanded Lan Henyan's location. Yu Liang whispered that the target was in the Imperial tome. Lin Qi helped her up but doubted her claim, noting the tome wasn't within the capital. Yu Liang hastily explained it was the founding emperor's mausoleum of Li Kingdom, sealing relics in a forbidden array. Lin Qi grew heavy-hearted, fearing Lang Henyan was breaking the ward guarding national treasures. Scenes shifted to a rain-soaked street where townsfolk heard cover as an old man told them to pack up. Another grumbled about the sudden harsh weather. Amid the rain, a lone girl walked calmly, untouched by the storm. A cold-eyed elder noticed her. Sensing something off, he gripped his sword warily. Asking why she wandered in the downpour, the girl replied indifferently, then suddenly cast a spell. Struck by surprise, the old man panicked had provoked a deadly foe. The girl smiled serenely, calling herself the embodiment of water. One blow sent the old man flying, coughing blood from severe wounds. Before collapsing, he shouted that she was a traitorous disciple of the Hehuan sect seeking to monopolize the sacred relic. The woman coldly replied that other sects were thieves, while Hehuan sect now sided with the royal Lu clan. Even dying, the old man cursed that defying fate would bring ruin. As he finished, a figure dove from the sky at terrifying speed. The newcomer killed the elder instantly, saying talk was pointless. He turned to the woman, reporting that the royal treasury's defenses were gone and the mission rested on her. With that, he vanished into the heavy rain. A shout came from behind as another figure chased after him. Bald man covered in lusty talismans screamed, cursing the thief for stealing his woman and ruining his technique. Before he could catch up, another fighter appeared, battling for both the relic and the abyss in the chaos. Scene shifted quietly. Lang Shuyan pondered in secret, convinced her child was far from weak. On the command platform, Lu Wei descended with regal poise and sharp presence. Ahead, General Yan, Princess Lu Yun, and elite troops awaited her orders. Sin Wu knelt, reporting that demonic sects had breached the capital and treasury. With 3,000 Imperial guards ready to strike, Lu Yun added that Prince Wang's estate had sent 1,000 reinforcements to punish those who defiled the Empire's relics. Lu Fi drew her sword skyward, commanding the army to march, their war cry shaking the heavens. At the royal treasury, righteous and evil forces clashed violently, spiritual energy erupting like a tide of blood. Liu Qianyan, face flushed with madness, roused his sectmates to seize the sacred relic at all costs. Watching from afar, Yu Liang realized chaos had gone too far to protect the treasury. They must restore the sealed ley line at the Imperial tome. Lin Qi argued the current threat was worse if they didn't repel the cultists now. All later plans would crumble. Amid the chaos, assassins ambushed Liu Qianyan, shouting the name of the Green Eye sect to steal the relic's fortune. Blood drenched the battlefield as sects slaughtered each other like beasts over prey. Lin Qi and Yu Liang approached cautiously, Seeing the fight could drag on a bit longer, without delay, Lin Ke grabbed Liang and headed underground to infiltrate the Imperial tomb in search of Lang Hanian. In the dark tunnel, Lin Ke dug through the soil while humming a strange, carefree tune. Ahead, Yu Liang frowned back at him, puzzled by his mumbling. Lin Ke glanced up at her figure and blurted something that made the moment awkward. Yu Liang snapped angrily, scolding him for hiding behind her and leaving her all the heavy work. Lin Ke calmly retorted that she was the one leading so oddly, which only made her angrier. She hissed that her movements were tactical to avoid detection and threatened to quit. Lin Ke unleashed a strong spell, shouting for her to step aside before debris hit her. The ground exploded open, forming a new tunnel with an underground thunderclap. Yu Liang shielded herself in shock, yelling that he could be used that trick earlier. Lin Ke smirked, hinting Shed just missed a valuable bargaining chance, driving her mad with rage. In the Water Emperor's Imperial tomb, Lang Hanian was performing an ancient sealing ritual. Sensing danger, she sent a telepathic plea to her senior sister, warning intruders had entered before the ritual's completion. The senior calmly replied that within this holy scripture zone, no one below the sixth realm could use full power. At that moment, Lin Ke and Yu Liang appeared. He clapped and laughed, reminding them he was an old acquaintance, the national preceptor. Seeing them together, Lang Hanian was visibly stunned. Suspecting an improper bond between the two, her senior sister emerged, voice cold as ice, accusing Liang of betraying her mission by allying with the target. Liang lashed back arrogantly, claiming her talent surpassed her crippled, useless senior. The senior stayed firm, declaring that betrayal of the sect could never be forgiven. Wounded but manic, Liang laughed, convinced victory alone would earn her the SAINTESS title, hardly betrayal. Her senior roared, claiming Liang's strength had waned, and attacked immediately. Lin Ke blocked the strike with ease, teasing that no one could touch his woman. Knocked back, the senior warned Lin Ke, reminding him of his long feud with the Sect. Lin Ke grinned shamelessly, saying if she married him, he'd ignore all future palace catfights. Liang exploded, kicking straight at him and calling him a thick-skinned scoundrel. Lin Ke caught her leg, smirking and complimenting her softness and alluring form. Watching, Lang Hanian seethed with jealousy. Shade once risked everything for him, yet he never cared. Seizing the moment, Liang summoned a Bao and a Ga, commanding a SAINTESS for them to strike without delay. The two specters lunged at Lang Hanian, shouting vengeance with every blow. Hanian instantly raised a barrier, shocking Liang since the seal shouldn't have been broken yet. Lang Hanian rose calmly, eyes cold as frost, declaring she still had a way to turn the tide. Seeing danger, Lin Ke grabbed Liang and fled, shouting it was a tactical withdrawal. Scene shifted to the royal treasury, where Lu Wei and General Yannick Sinwu held the final defense line. Lu Wei stepped forward, voice thunderous, proclaiming that Li Kingdom had never allowed invaders to breach its treasury. Sinwu charged into battle, rallying the Imperial guards to slay the rebels. Suddenly, a monstrous figure flew in from afar, striking directly at Luo Fei. He sneered wickedly, saying if he couldn't conquer Li Kingdom, had at least claim its beauties. Before he could gloat, a crushing punch shattered his jaw and teeth like a storm. He flew backward miserably. The attacker was Lang Xuyan herself. Radiating royal might, she coldly declared the rumors foolish, for Li Kingdom still had a ruling Empress Dowager. Lu Fei frowned slightly, warning that her mother's anger might harm her health. Amid the distraction, a hidden foe grinned sinisterly, preparing to drug them all. He pulled out a porcelain vial of toxic smoke meza incense. But just then, Huang Yan appeared and struck him dead before he could act. From afar, Lu Wei noticed the disturbance, instantly ordering heightened defense. Huang Yan calmly sealed the vial. Moving as if danger didn't exist, she approached Lu Wei, introducing herself as governor of Bamboo Mountain, bringing loyalist reinforcements. At once, Huang Q's troops charged forward, roaring to impress the Empress. Huang Yan gently reminded them they were now royal soldiers, not wandering bandits. She then saluted Luo Fei, apologizing for arriving late and subtly asking about Lin Ke's whereabouts. Lu Fei sternly praised Huang Yan's loyalty for aiding Lin Ke and the royal family. Lu Yun grew suspicious, wondering why Lin Ke hadn't shown up as usual. Lu Wei smiled coolly, her tone laced with meaning, hinting at Commander Lin's special favor. Behind her, killing intent surged like storm clouds before a tempest. Eunuch Liu trembled inside, thinking he'd rather face war than stand amid this jealousy. Suddenly the ground ahead quaked violently, splitting open a blinding light. From the fissure, Lin Ke burst forth, carrying Yu Liang in his arms. Before anyone could react, he shouted for everyone to get back. A colossal hand erupted from the earth, scattering debris and chaos. From the pit rose a spirit beast of immense aura, towering like a divine catastrophe. Lu Wei turned pale as death, screaming in horror at the sight. In a blink, the monster snatched 3 nearby women in its brutal grasp. It lifted them high, staring coldly as those below froze in terror. Someone cried out in panic it was a 10-realm demon that shouldn't exist in the capital. Amid the panic, Lang Hanian's crazed laughter rang out, declaring only such beings could resist dragon aura. She revealed the creature's true identity, the vengeful soul of Li Kingdom's founding emperor, chilling the air. Hearing this, Lu Wei raged, condemning the desecration of the Imperial ancestor spirit as unforgivable blasphemy. Lang Hanian calmly threatened to release her captives only if Lin Ke surrendered. Lin Ke answered coldly, his power surging as he dared her to try. Xin Wu shouted frantically for the Emperor's release, vowing the Imperial guards would die fighting. Liang also cursed furiously, calling Henyan's tactics filthy and shameless. The massive demon struck, binding both Xin Wu and Liang tightly in its tentacles. Leng Henyan boasted of her control over the Imperial ghost, forcing Lin Ke to choose survival or ruin. Hovering above, Lin Ke hesitated in despair he couldn't save them without paying a price. Outside factions grew enraged, fearing the ultimate relic would fall to the Xia and Sect. Others sighed hopelessly, deciding to report back to their sects for higher judgment. A familiar name flashed in Lin Ke's mind, filling him with unease. Just then, the demon shattered the treasury's last defense line. It stormed into the sacred hall where the relics were kept beneath the idol of Jin Wu Liang the great saint. Seeing the idol, Lin Ke cud blood it was his accursed master, the reason for his centuries of singleness. The demon seized a box wrapped in spiritual light, the supposed saint's relic. Leng Henyan proudly declared she would unveil the sacred treasure before all. Liu Qianyan gnashed his teeth, furious that the prize wasn't his. Leng Henyan chanted a forbidden spell to break the seal on the divine box. As the lid opened, the hall froze inside was completely empty. Liu Qianyan laughed madly, mocking her for the spectacular blunder. Leng Henyan trembled in disbelief, unable to accept the twist of fate. Enraged, she pointed at Lu Wei, demanding to know where the real relic was hidden, claiming the box was bait. Lu Wei stammered, admitting the relic had already been used. Secretly pleased her decoy plan had succeeded. Lang Henyan strangles Lac Vi, screaming in disbelief that the Grand Saint's national treasure was used so quietly. Though restrained, Lac Fi defiantly replies that the relic isn't a treasure but merely a formation scroll. Hearing the truth, Lang Henyan staggers back, her spirit collapsing as years of scheming turn to dust. She howls in madness, eyes blazing red with killing intent, ready to burn the world. Raving, she accuses everyone of deceit and orders ghost souls to dig up the holy scripture inch by inch. In delirium, she keeps forcing spiritual power into the ghost creature. Wherever the giant monster steps, heaven and earth shatter. Spirit force raging like a storm, sect disciples flee in terror, all dignity and order forgotten. Liu Qinian shouts for a full retreat, declaring the Saintess of Xia Nu sect has gone demonic and seeks slaughter. In a hidden corner, a father and child cling together, the child sobbing amid weak reassurances. Before they can flee, the colossal ghost looms before them. Lin Ke leaps out furiously, yelling that Lang Henyan has gone completely mad. Without hesitation, he soars into the sky to face the monster head-on. Below, the controlled women cry out Lin Ke's name in despair. Xin Wu warns loudly, while Liu Ying scolds him for recklessly fighting alone despite her fear. Lang Henyan's senior sister appears, sternly condemning her for too much blood karma. But Henyan, insane, seizes her own senior sister in a savage strike. She laughs madly, vowing to turn this place into a demonic realm to force the relic to appear. Demonic energy peaks as she unleashes the world-ending demon fist toward the fortress wall. Lin Ke swiftly raises a formation, blocking the annihilating blow at the last instant. Just then, the mural of the golden crow Saint Liang trembles and laughs. Lin Ke curses at the painting, threatening to tear it apart for mockery. A majestic female voice scolds him, calling him a rebellious disciple for not visiting his master in 3 centuries. Lin Ke snaps back, blaming the bizarre formation for imprisoning his cultivation. The voice sighs, lamenting past mistakes that turn one into a restless wraith. The painting glows, revealing a woman's phantom who agrees to help but can only unseal part of his power. The seals on Lin Ke shatter one by one, spiritual force erupting like a volcano. Seizing the moment, Lin Ke strikes with lightning, blasting Lang Henyan off the ghost's back. At the same time, the captives fall safely to the ground, freed from control. Lin Ke stands godlike, breaking all remaining seals and roaring his own declaration. From the ground, Lang Henyan screams with venom, cursing Lin Ke to never know peace. She lunges at Lac Vi in despair, aiming a killing blow. Huang Yan reacts instantly, hurling a captured vial of sedative powder at her. The vial bursts, releasing thick narcotic mist that engulfs Lang Henyan. Drugged, she staggers and kneels, mumbling as her mind dissolves. Meanwhile, the unbound ghost is cleaved apart by Lin Ke. Turning to ash, calmly, he declares that the Shui Huanglai nation never truly awoke. Everything was just a lingering delusion. Lin Ke raises his hand to suppress and seal the lingering evil aura atop the ghost. On behalf of his master, he completes the ancient incantation, sending the Shui Huang's soul to eternal rest. As demonic power fades, an old man appears in the mist, blaming his greed for bringing disaster to later generations. The elder dissolves into nothing, leaving words of repentance as the dragon veins recover and celestial omens appear. Watching from afar, Liu Qinian panics upon realizing the earth veins have reconnected, proving the holy relic's effect. He concludes Xia Nu sect has been tricked and orders a retreat to await higher command. Lin Ke notices their withdrawal, smiling leisurely as he calls out to stop them. He plans to teach them a lesson, but the moment slips away. His spiritual power suddenly runs dry as his boost talisman expires, and he plummets pathetically to the ground. 2 people rush to catch him, while he lies dazed and half-conscious. When he wakes, Lin Ke is stunned to find himself surrounded by bashful beauties. He blinks in confusion, asking what on earth happened. Huang Yan blushes and explains that everyone inhaled loving chanting soul mist, trapping them in illusion. Lakwin now nearly loses control, eyes filled with undisguised desire. Lak Fi dreamily approaches, softly asking Lin Ki to give her an injection. Sinwu tries to stay lucid, reminding Lakwin to maintain royal dignity. Lang Shunan bites her nails coquettishly, declaring she'll protect his majesty no matter what. Lang Henyen's senior sister cuts in proudly, insisting the top position belongs to her alone. Lang Henyen pretends to meditate, discreetly suggesting a grand offering in exchange for Lin Ki's forgiveness. Yu Liyin, lost in delirium, suddenly hugs Lang Henyen thinking she's Lin Ki, even proposing they join forces to avoid Sect punishment. Lin Ki keeps a righteous face, claiming his hair of the holy path hell never stain his honor. Yet moments later he laments slyly, blaming torn clothes from fierce battle as his excuse. Huang Yan murmurs that the love drug's effect will last for hours more. Lin Ki instantly drops his restraint, shouting time waits for no one and charges into the crowd of beauties. Terrified screams echo as women's garments flutter through the air like rain. A day later, ruins remain cities shattered as if after a cataclysm. A dirt street girl yells, stopping a boy from doing something filthy. Turns out he was drinking water from a latrine, and she threatens to tell the adults. The boy laughs heartily, saying in the apocalypse survival beats manners. Inside the city, soldiers distribute aid, announce victory, and post bounties for surviving sect remnants. Scene shifts, crowds gather before a foggy sacred zone thick with spiritual energy. An official anxiously asks why the emperor has not appeared despite the grand victory. Prince Bin Duong reassures all that the barrier is stable and his majesty remains safe within. Spiritual energy surges violently, signaling someone is about to emerge. Princess Lakwin steps out first, pale and soul-weary. She calls for her father, and Prince Bin Duong trembles with joy seeing his daughter alive. Lakwin chokes up, asking if her father truly came to bring her home. Prince Bin Duong instantly turns stern, demanding news of what happened inside and the emperor's safety. 3 disciples of Xiao Nu Sect stumble out next, looking like they've been tortured. Someone recognizes them and loudly sounds the alarm. Prince Bin Duong orders their immediate arrest without hesitation. Lang Henyen still resists, shouting curses at those who strike while chaos reigns. The prince notices their depleted aura, suspecting they've been gravely injured. At that moment, Lak Vi appears with Sinwu and Huang Yan, firmly commanding their release. Seeing the emperor revealed, officials and citizens kneel, praising her glorious victory. Lang Henyen bursts with fury, calling Lak Vi a shameless lowborn wretch. Lak Vi calmly replies with royal decorum, declaring Lin Ki's merit grants her the right to shield them. Lang Henyen rages and lunges but is restrained by Yu Ying, who laughs and advises everyone to return to their sect for punishment. Lak Vi coldly shouts a single dismissive farewell. Lang Shunan lounges lazily on a chair, fanning herself and lamenting old age and endless battles. Lak Vi mutters in confusion at that complaint but still shows gentle concern for her mother. She turns to the court, ordering dispersal and urgent manpower to stabilize the capital. Prince Bin Duong steps forward, requesting an audience with Commander Lin to discuss critical matters. Lak Vi glances inward, softly saying Lin Ki is utterly exhausted and sleeping after the ordeal. She instructs all affairs be reported directly, her gaze lingering on the closed door. Prince Bin Duong gravely reports chaotic dragon energy and weakened seals that could let the 10 realms breach the capital. The urgent news makes Lak Vi cry out, ordering Imperial physicians immediately. Inside the chamber, 2 doctors whisper that his severe depletion may cause soul disintegration. The unconscious one is Lin Ki, his face pale, body drained as if life itself was sucked away. Lak Vi hurriedly explains his energy loss after the death battle, begging the doctors for a cure. Suddenly, someone storms in, tossing aside all who block the way. A furious nun bellows, bragging about Jingyun Temple's rejuvenation wine, spitting words like magic charms. Hearing that, Lak Vi lights up and anxiously asks if it can truly save him. The abbess approaches, eyes gleaming greedily at Lin Ki like has a rare delicacy, chilling everyone nearby. Muttering her technique, she stretches out her hand to begin an odd life-saving method. Then she puckers her lips and dives toward him in a most indecent maneuver. At that instant, Lin Ki suddenly opens his eyes, gaze sharp as if returned from death. A strange power bursts out of him, blasting Abbess Jingyun through the roof and far away. Her bitter vow echoing back. With the turmoil over, Lin Ki calmly steps off the bed, expression indifferent as though nothing happened. Standing still, he forms seals and chants, marveling that his master's guidance finally let him sense the path to unlocking his cultivation. Feeling his trembling hands and glowing eyes, is sure that with enough yin energy, his return to the peak is inevitable. Lak Vi promptly splashes cold reality, reminding him is only at the 4th realm, no need to dream too big. Annoyed, Lin Ki retorts that it's her weakness and their dual cultivation pact that dragged him down. Lak Vi snaps back, insisting the pact is a royal ancestral relic if there's blame. It's his bad luck for getting bound to it. Lin Ki suddenly asks if she has feelings for him. Eyes wide in disbelief, Lak Vi shrieks in shock, realizing Lin Ki is the living divine relic the world's been hunting. Scene shift to Xiao Nu Sect, where Jiang Jingmei proudly declares victory over the Wraith and the weakening of Long Jing's dragon veins. Below, Lang Henyen and her 2 peers kneel in loyal, proud acknowledgement. Li Buchu of Forbidden Desire Sect sneers, questioning why no relic was found in the ruins of Li Nation. Jiang Jingmei calmly replies that seeking the relic is a duty of all 100 sects. Not Xiao Nu Sect alone. Liu Qinian mocks her, bringing up Lang Henyen's betrayal and threats against allies. Jiang Jingmei snaps back, calling him useless and incapable of real achievement. Yu Liying interjects with sarcasm, reminding that the Forbidden Desire sect ravaged King Mu's sect and lost all moral standing. Their side fumbles an excuse, claiming they only searched for the relic since King Mu's sect was suspicious. Lang Henyen coldly presses what results they actually got. Panicking, he blurts that they were deceived by Li Jian of King Mu's sect and Lin Qi was the true mastermind. Jiang Jingmei laughs mockingly, telling Sect Master Liu to teach his son before questioning others. Li Buchu explodes, turning to viciously scold his son before everyone. Shamed, Liu Qinian stays silent while Lang Henyen steps forward, declaring the relic has appeared and it's a living person. The hall erupts, everyone gasping in disbelief. A holy relic in human form leaves all high elders stunned. Li Buchu furiously denies it, insisting the Golden Crow treasure could never possess sentience. Lang Henyen calmly explains the man invoked the Golden Crow Saints Divine will during battle an unfathomable sign. Jiang Jingmei mocks Li Buchu's dull mind, then urges Lang Henyen to give her final verdict. Lang Henyen concludes that man is the Grand Saint's descendant, inheriting not artifact but karma and a promise to guard Lai Nation. Jiang Jingmei muses in realization, understanding why years of searching turned up nothing. Li Buchu still refuses, arguing without a tangible relic they can't resist heavenly tribulation, even suggesting gambling with the Holy Scripture. Jiang Jingmei flares in fury, warning anyone who provokes early catastrophe will be a new sect's mortal enemy. Her spiritual force blasts Li Buchu back, leaving him wounded and gasping. She then softens her tone, asking Lang Henyen to contact the Saint's heir and invite him to see a new sect. Lang Henyen secretly rejoices, proposing to use beauty as bait since the man is easily charmed. Jiang Jingmei seems pleased and grants her full authority over the plan. Li Buchu silently departs, burdened with heavy thoughts. On the road, Liu Qinian cautiously asks what to do next, should they invite the Saint's heir or not. Liu Buchu glares and growls that refusal means only war with a new sect or a rematch through the Holy Scripture. Liu Qinian awkwardly admits Forbidden Desire sect has never recruited female disciples. Liu Buchu can only look up and lament his son's lack of wits for not improvising a solution. Liu Qinian hastily vows to put the sect's interests above all else. Back in Li Nation's palace, Lakvai anxiously urges Lin Qi to show himself soon, warning that as the living divine relic, all sects will hunt him. Lin Qi agrees thoughtfully, deciding to strike first both to protect himself and secretly gather yin energy. Scene shifts to desolate mountains where Lin Qi, exhausted on horseback, collapses on the trail. Wary, he grumbles about wandering for a week without finding any sect and regrets leaving the palace empty-handed. He sighs again, hoping Yu Liying finishes her mission soon and sends someone to fetch him from this ghostly wilderness. Suddenly, a cold female voice mocks that a new sect is frantically searching for him while he leisurely strolls through mountains. It's Lang Henyen's senior sister, and before Lin Qi can react, she points straight at him. A heavy strike sends him crashing into a cliff. Debris flying everywhere. She screams in fury, accusing him of defiling her honor and demanding how he wants to die. Her rage flares hotter as she grits her teeth, hinting that who the true victim was back then remains unclear. Lin Qi squints sarcastically, saying she was overdosed on spring poison and too strong for him to resist. Enraged, she calls him shameless and kicks straight at his stomach, but Lin Qi dodges swiftly, slipping behind and wrapping his arms around her, leaving her stunned. He softly confesses that ever since that day, her image has haunted him day and night. The woman skeptically demands he say her real name to prove sincerity. Lin Qi freezes, then blurts that he always called her elder sister. Hearing that, she bags him up neatly, hoists him over her shoulder, and coldly introduces herself as Shui Naijun. Scene cuts to another chamber where someone stirs from unconsciousness, mumbling oddly about the female sect. Two maidens cheer that the Saintess has awakened and rush to check on her. The woman jolts up in panic, confused about where she is and what's happened. Lang Henyen steps out, explaining this is a new sect, a place for women only, and asks for understanding. She turns away with a sly grin, vowing to repay past humiliation 100-fold. Truth revealed it's Lin Qi in disguise, who immediately flirts with two disciples, angering Lang Henyen with his shameless charm. Lin Qi stands solemnly, pretending righteousness, declaring that being female is no reason for inferiority. Lang Henyen doesn't argue, she simply drags him along, ordering him to stay close. Scene shifts to Demon Valley, shrouded in yin energy, packed with skulls and wandering wraiths. Two fiends spot the newcomers, rubbing their eyes in disbelief. Lin Qi mutters they're probably mocking him, though he lacks solid proof. Lang Henyen sternly states that if the Nine Sons' divine art inheritance is real, then the 1,000-year calamity depends on its successor. Hearing that, Lin Qi bristles, snapping that is not useless enough to be dismissed. Lang Henyen coldly clarifies she helps him only for the greater cause to save their sect from the coming doom. Lin Qi frowns, demanding to know what exactly this millennial catastrophe is. She points to the sky, explaining the omen of the sun being swallowed by darkness, a sign of doom for cultivators. Lin Qi scoffs, saying it might just be an old scare story. Lang Henyen insists the prophecy cost the heavenly sect master 3 souls, and the key to survival lies in the holy child's relic of Li Nation. Lin Qi smirks proudly, declaring himself the crucial figure and even demanding she bow to him. Lang Henyen trembles with fury, barely suppressing her killing intent. Suddenly, someone appears calling her name, asking about the rebel Xia Lin who fled the capital. She denies any knowledge, while Lin Qi gapes wondering how a man entered Xiaonu's sect. The newcomer waves frantically, nervously begging not to be misunderstood. He introduces himself as Liu Qinyan, young master of Forbidden Desire Sect, granted entry as an ally, and asks Lin Qi's name. Lin Qi seizes the chance, introducing himself as Qi and inquiring about the man's mission. Liu Qinyan solemnly says it concerns grave sins and the coming calamity. Needing the SAINTESS aid to track the target, Lin Qi plays along, curiously asking how he plans to do that. Liu Qinyan whispers that he'll disguise himself as a nun to lure Lin Qi out, since rumor says the man's a hopeless flirt. Lin Qi glares inwardly, outraged at whoever smeared his spotless reputation so badly. Lang Henyan holds up robes and bluntly asks whose outfit he wants to borrow. Liu Qinyan gratefully accepts, promising to report once the target is caught before hurrying off. As soon as is gone, Lin Qi suspiciously asks why allies must still hide things from each other. Cold voice and shadow emerge, revealing it was Jiang Jingman's order to guard against the great calamity. Lin Qi studies her closely, eyes wary and puzzled. Jiang Jingman introduces herself, declaring he is the destined one and asking if he is ready to offer himself for the tribulation. Lin Qi frowns, reverting to male form and insisting natural disasters have nothing to do with him. Jiang Jingman immediately suppresses him, asserting only the fated vessel can avert destruction by sacrifice. Lin Qi calmly defies her, claiming his body won't break so easily. She rushes at him with feverish intent, determined to uncover the secret within the Foretold One. As she nears, a radiant phantom like the sun bursts forth before them. Passing through the light, they enter a separate space like a personal realm. Golden spirals swirl, and Lin Qi realizes his insider spiritual sea. Worried his power is sealed, he only prays she won't go too far. Jiang Jingman leans close, sensing his yang energy stems from the rare solar saint physique. Lin Qi stiffly asks her to keep her distance. She casually replies that her own form, the mystical demon star body, is immune to solar influence. Pressed too close, Lin Qi finally shoves her back, demanding she behave. Her anger flares, insisting it's merely a cooperation of bodies and cultivation methods. She adds coolly that this is only a soul fusion, leaving no mark on the physical form. After a pause, Jiang Jingman admits his reasoning makes some sense. Lin Qi grins, pulling her into his arms and suggesting she pick the dual cultivation method herself. Visions of dragon and phoenix intertwine above them, symbolizing the union of yin and yang. Jiang Jingman sighs softly, sensing how different Lin Qi is from ordinary men. Lin Qi leisurely unfastens her belt, declaring his dual cultivation is perfectly righteous. After completion, they return to the real world within Demon Valley. Just then, Yu Liying appears mockingly, teasing that cold-hearted Lang Henyan let Lin Qi take the sect leader whole. Lang Henyan coolly replies she doesn't care for Lin Qi, it was merely the sect master's test. Yu Liying widens her eyes, doubting it was just a test. Lang Henyan freezes, suddenly sensing bad omens. Both turn ahead to see Lin Qi and Jiang Jingman still entwined together. Lang Henyan cries out sect master, while Yu Liying panics and urges to separate them. A surge of power blasts Lin Qi away, snapping him fully awake. He instantly realizes has completed the yin-yang fusion and broken through to the 10th realm. Lang Henyan steps forward, respectfully questioning the sect master about the strange event. Lin Qi pats his chest smugly, saying he just got startled and somehow advanced realms. Jiang Jingman mercilessly exposes him, mocking that he was startled at least 10 times, making Yu Liying blush. To close the matter, Jiang Jingman sternly declares it was only a test and admits the coming calamity may truly require him. Lin Qi, pleased, agrees to help but adds a personal condition. He requests the sect master assist his cultivation. Leaving Jiang Jingman momentarily speechless, she bursts out angrily, calling him arrogant, demanding he prove his worth first. With that, she blasts him away, while Lin Qi laughs and mocks in return. Scene shifts to the Imperial Palace. Lakvi awakens as her cultivation suddenly leaps to the 10th realm. She instantly deduces the advancement is linked to Lin Qi's reckless cultivation in dangerous lands. Lakvi hurriedly summons eunuch Liu, ordering an audience with the Empress Dowager for urgent discussion. Scene changes to True Demon Dungeon, where an ancient tower is bound by countless runic chains. At that moment, Lin Qi and Lang Henyan are suddenly pulled into the tower. Landing hard, Lin Qi looks around dumbfounded, muttering what kind of cursed place this is. Lang Henyan bursts into tears, lamenting her master's punishment and fearing alien clans will attack if her art is exposed. Lin Qi, clueless, curiously asks what these alien clans even are. Before she can answer, a massive figure appears, making Lin Qi yell for her to back off. A savage corpse of being emerges, shaking the tower with a single swipe and roaring to kill Xiaonu's sect disciples. Lang Henyan channels her power, furious to recognize the foe as a fallen corpse clan warrior. She chants a killing curse, summoning specters from the void to strike. The corpse of being effortlessly seizes the specters, mocking Xiaonu's sect's weakness. It devours them without hesitation, displaying grotesque brutality. Licking its lips, the corpse of being taunts and hungers for the sect's blood. Lin Qi charges forward, landing a punch that blasts away its vile tongue. Grimacing, he quips that the stench nearly killed him before the monster did. Lin Qi loudly scolds the corpse of being to stay dead where it belongs. Face twisted in disgust, insulted, the corpse roars in fury and prepares a savage counterattack. Linka swiftly forms seals, summoning the Golden Crow Holy Flame to release the foe's soul. The flames engulf the corpse clan, and in its dying breath, it warns of a vast alien army ready to drown East Victory Divine Continent in blood. Linka sneers, mocking that the threat sounds too rehearsed. Ling Henyan solemnly confirms that the warning is entirely true. Linka is startled, realizing the alien tribes in East Victory Divine Continent are far more numerous than expected. Sighing Jingman appears, explaining the great calamity comes from aliens exploiting weakened fortune to invade. She points toward the demon-suppressing prison, where 10,000 aliens are sealed, asking Linka to act if he can suppress them. Alien shadows bound by spiritual chains howl, creating a terrifying spectacle. Sighing Jingman sternly says Linka must prove his strength to earn recognition from the sects. Linka nods, accepting the duty for both Divine Continent and himself. Though still uncertain about some things, Sighing Jingman gently encourages him, promising Ling Henyan will release aliens in waves for him to face. Linka suddenly asks if there are any beauties among the aliens. Sighing Jingman is speechless, blushing furiously with rage. She grits her teeth, calling him shameless and regretting ever talking seriously to him. Ling Henyan arrives just in time, crushing his escape hopes and handing him a small item. She reveals her master forced the inheritance, driving her inner energy to the extreme. Linka reacts indifferently, acting like it's nothing to fuss about. From the deep darkness comes a guttural roar of alien beasts. Thrilled to sense the aura of the Sia new sect, the alien horde goes mad, frantically searching and screaming to devour their prey. Realizing the danger, Linka shields the front and urges blocking the monster's advance. Ling Henyan stays wary, thinking his move is both useless and suspicious. He jokes they should each run for themselves, then instantly turns to flee. She quickly stops him, agreeing to fight together on the condition she can pause her technique. Linka cheerfully agrees, casually hugging her as if it were natural. A corpse creature suddenly blocks the way, laughing madly at revenge after 20 years imprisoned. Furious at the interruption, Linka unleashes holy flames from his palm, burning the enemy to ash. Their escape shakes the entire dungeon as if it's about to collapse. Ling Henyan leads the way, explaining the three-layer structure and urging him upward. Along the path, Linka teases about the growing burden, earning her angry punches. The scene shifts to Demon Valley, where Xiang Jingman and Yu Liying watch through the sky mirror. Yu Liying wonders why Ling Henyan was sent into danger instead of testing only Linka. Xiang Jingman explains that objects can be controlled, but people cannot. She stresses that only life and death trials reveal one's true heart. Hinning Henyan doesn't seem displeased. Hearing that, Yu Liying grows secretly jealous, unwilling to let her rival gain more favor. Back in the second prison lair, Ling Henyan meditates beside a hornbroken demon ox. She feels relieved to have stopped transferring power but worries as many great beasts still sense her lingering aura. Linka carries a bull horn, whining about the dungeon's sturdiness while teasing her early determination. He suddenly turns serious, claiming women can't be trusted when is only at 10th realm facing tens of thousands of aliens. Insulted, Ling Henyan explodes, calling him cowardly for daring to say that to her face. He calmly mocks himself, admitting she's seen through his rotten nature. Disappointed, she laments bringing him back to the sect was a mistake, his unfit for calamity. Linka confidently retorts that once he restores his strength, any tribulation will be crushed with ease. His words rekindle her hope, and she eagerly asks how he'll recover. He pulls out a scroll, recalling his master's warning that his current talent stops at Quasi-Sage. Unfolding it, he explains that to surpass limits, he must seal his cultivation and restart with dual element power. Ling Henyan immediately questions her role in that plan. He slyly offers the scroll, saying she just needs to pick a proper cultivation pose, revealing a full dual cultivation scene. She freezes in disbelief, while he sneakily observes with a mischievous grin. In the end, she grits her teeth, cursing herself for trusting this lecher. Linka hurriedly defends himself, claiming cultivators shouldn't fuss over trivialities. Rage erupts. Ling Henyan unleashes full power to slay the pervert. Her scream echoes down to the third level, alerting the corpse clan. The corpse tribe swarms, howling for prey, while Linka panics and blames her madness for dragging him along. He leaps to flee, but she clings onto his back, shouting about purifying him. They struggle midair and crash into the corpse horde. The Ghostiger clan leader orders the man killed and the woman captured alive. Two ox demons instantly charge Linha under command. In danger, he carries Ling Henyan and leaps aside to dodge the blows. The chieftain blocks his way, striking a killing move that forces direct combat. Overwhelmed by enemy force and her weight, Linka loses balance and is flung away. He roars in anger, blaming her for leading things to this mess. Then he panics, realizing Ling Henyan has fainted, cursing heaven for her timing. Amid chaos, Linka realizes Xiang Jingman set this up to corner him completely. He deduces these prison cells could restrain even transcendence under normal conditions. The Ghostiger chief mocks him, planning to cook him for dinner. Linka laughs oddly, realizing he's locked himself inside a sealed chamber, stunning the corpse clan outside. He raises his hand provocatively, daring them to come get him. The furious leader goes berserk, preparing a reckless assault. A subordinate stops him, warning the cell's ward can reflect attacks. The chief shoves him aside, insisting the cell can't open by itself and venting his rage. He strikes the bars with full power, but they remain unscathed, Calming down, he notices the rebound barrier has weakened, more time will break it. He orders all tribesmen to line up for a joint assault. The alien horde pounds together, looking like a massive labor brigade. Inside, Linka curses Xiang Jingman while realizing he must find another exit. His gaze shifts to the unconscious Han Yan, sparking the idea of using her to find a way out. Linka grins slyly, believing dual soul cultivation can unlock hidden potential and break realms. Sensing danger, Ling Han Yan suddenly wakes, shouting for him to stop. She's stunned to find the surroundings completely changed. Linka wields a staff, solemnly declaring this is her sea of consciousness and she must atone. Ling Han Yan argues it's all his own fault to begin with. Before she can finish, he strikes her down with the staff, scolding her for stubbornly channeling energy. He explains the staff's suppression will mold her will and refine his technique through her spirit. Ling Han Yan fiercely resists, vowing never to aid him. Linka removes his outer robe, teasing her old stubbornness from the Holy Land days. Outside, the aliens breaking the prison notice strange movements. Stunned by the duo's bizarre posture, they see Han Yan lying motionless in an odd state. Meanwhile, Linka stays in a twisted cultivation stance, muttering threats to subdue her resistance. The alien leader, enraged, roars and searches for a wet. A minion gleefully rushes over, offering a massive blade. Gripping it, the leader unleashes savage sword arts, his power surging madly. With one slash, the prison gate shatters, followed by a thunderous kick aimed at Linka. Linka is kicked down at the leader's feet, who viciously declares hell humiliate Han Yan before him. Just as he's about to act, Han Yan reacts strangely, stunning everyone. The leader freezes, confused yet thrilled, wondering if has awakened some strange ability. At that instant, a deep voice commands him to back off. A fierce beam of light crashes down, blasting the alien like a divine thunderbolt. Coughing blood, his left gravely wounded as his underlings panic. Linka radiates authority, coldly stating the seal has loosened and asking how much more they can endure. The alien chief stares in horror, unable to believe his cultivation skyrocketed so fast. Linka calls it only a small step forward, then dashes in like the wind. His foe refuses to yield, confident in his unmatched physique. The moment their taunts end, their fists and kicks explode across the dark cell. Linka sneers, mocking that such fine flesh must taste amazing grilled. He unleashes a raging fire pump, burning his foe alive in a sea of flames. Amid swirling black smoke, Linka calmly notes he might have overdone it. As ashes fall, he frowns, his freshly gained energy has already dissipated, dropping him back to 10th realm. Han Yan furiously shouts, accusing him of draining her essence. Linka coolly replies that she experienced it fully while he only took results no one lost. Han Yan snaps back, denying she benefited at all. Suddenly, a giant hand appears, trying to seize them both. Linka reacts instantly, grabbing Han Yan and dodging the danger zone. Once safe, he looks back suspiciously, puzzled by what just happened. Han Yan explains grimly it's a great demon imprisoned on the 2nd level. Before they can react, Yu Liying appears, smirking while casting spells and mocking Han Yan. Ling Han Yan barely grasps the situation before Yu Liying strikes her with a direct palm. Linka freezes, immediately asking if Yu Liying has taken Ling Han Yan out of there. Yu Liying calmly confirms she's taken Han Yan out, then asks if her staying with him is a problem. Linka frowns, questioning why she didn't conveniently free him too. She snaps back, saying rescue him now would cause even greater chaos. Hearing that, Linka senses trouble, suspecting Xiang Jingman has more schemes outside. Yu Liying smiles mysteriously, promising to explain once is safe, but a giant hand appears again to block them. A colossal demon emerges, with a cold woman on its shoulder mocking their escape. She commands the demon to create clones for pursuit, revealing herself as the mastermind. Twisted bodies split from the demon, rushing after them under her order. The scene shifts to Demon Valley, where crowds gather before the sky mirror under summons. They gossip about the saintly treasure seer, shocked that it's actually a human sealed in the prison. Lu Wei and Ling Xuyan are also present. Lu Wei anxiously asks about Linga's safety. Ling Xuyan gently reassures her that Xiang Jingman would harm him. The key is keeping his identity secret. Hearing this, Lu Wei relaxes, convinced no one would dare meddle in such a grand affair. Suddenly, Lucian Nian rages, shouting that Linka made her search in disguise for days in vain. Back in the demon-suppressing prison, Linka tightly holds Yu Liying, alertly scanning around. Yu Liying gasps in surprise, not expecting they've gone so deep inside. Linka smiles calmly, claiming he knows this place even better than she does. Yu Liying pouts, complaining has thrown off her sense of direction. Even while dual cultivating, Linka sternly warns her not to drop her guard. On the 3rd floor, both are exhausted after battle, and Yu Liying marvels at how vast the demon camp truly is. Linka wonders why such a place exists and why Xiang Jingman doesn't just wipe out the aliens. Yu Liying sighs, explaining that aliens can never be fully destroyed since they are fragments of the primordial source. Linka still doesn't understand why killing so many hasn't caused any strange backlash. Yu Liying cites the Ghostfish clan. Each leader is a shard of the source that dissolves back upon death. Linka suddenly realizes the Ghost Doc's ancestors see humans as crops for harvest. Yu Liying confirms, saying the primordial source can't cultivate itself, so it breeds aliens to gather power and invade again. Linka asks if aliens return to the source when they die. What's the point of imprisoning them here? She smiles, explaining this prison severs the link, so those who die here never return. Linke immediately imagines luring aliens inside to slaughter them en masse. Yu Liying says that was the original plan, but trap fragments eventually detach from their hosts. She reveals those fragments fuse together, forming a new primordial called the Blood Ancestor. Linka realizes Siang Jingman's test to see if he can handle the Blood Ancestor. Yu Liying confirms and adds that countless powerhouses outside are watching to see if he is worthy of the saint title. Linka curses to the heavens, complaining he's too young to bear the world's burden. Just then, a massive demon appears, startling them both. Linka realizes it's the one that had been secretly tailing them. Yu Liying panics, warning that white hair and red eyes mark a newborn royal of the bloodline alien clan. Without hesitation, she opens a teleportation gate. Grabbing Linka's hand, she urges him to skip the trial and leave immediately, but Linka stays still, calmly observing the newly arrived female alien. He declares that saving the world is a duty he cannot escape. Reluctantly, Yu Liying retreats alone, leaving him amid peril. Linka spreads his arms, seemingly embracing fate itself. The giant demon seizes him, lifting him like a small prey. Even restrained, Linka teases the alien woman with carefree questions. The alien deems him insane and decides to deal with him later. Excited, she orders a feast, claiming she has a rare offering for the ancestor's awakening. The alien horde cheers, chanting the name of Grand Marshal Xu Ling. The scene shifts back to Demon Valley, where cultivators gossip before the sky mirror. Some experts scoff angrily, mocking that they came so far just to see a junior captured instantly. An old man snorts, saying the title of Saint's disciple is merely Xia Nu Sect's ploy to monopolize the treasure. Siang Jingman remains calm, saying arguing now is pointless, truth will soon reveal itself. The old man refuses to yield, insisting he must see firsthand if a youth can face the calamity. The view cuts to the Demon King's camp, where blazing fires roar amid alien cheers. In a dark chamber, Linke is chained and submerged in a boiling cauldron. Despite it, he lazily complains the water isn't hot enough. Xu Ling approaches, puzzled that he's bound yet still joking. She coldly warns that once the ancestor awakens, he'll be handled personally. Linka calmly replies he's here only to bid farewell to the Sunity. Enraged, Xu Ling amplifies the flames to boil him alive. At her order, the aliens fan the fire wildly, turning the cauldron into purgatory. At that moment, Linka mentions something about the primordial source. Stunning her, Xu Ling instantly demands answers, forcing him to reveal how much he knows. He jokes, inviting her to join him in the bath for a friendly chat. She furiously shouts, refusing to be mocked. Linka keeps provoking, suggesting a wager each truth earns him one step closer. After pondering, Xu Ling dismisses her subordinates, choosing to handle him personally. Seeing her take the bait, Linke begins analyzing the origins of innate primordials and the inferiority of the blood race. Xu Ling steps closer, demanding he continue. Linka calmly explains that the blood clan was born from stealing others' essence, making them inherently hostile to aliens. Struck at her core, Xu Ling goes berserk and leaps into the boiling pool. Linka continues, revealing the blood ancestor hides in the demon prison, gathering power as the calamity nears. Exposed, Xu Ling is speechless, pressing so close there's no space left. Linka laughs wickedly, mentioning a negative 1 foot distance. Confused, Xu Ling gestures for him to go on. He warns that when humanity falls and secrets are exposed, the blood ancestor's doom is certain. Just as she traces her hand down his chest, her eyes suddenly turn icy as she raises her hand to kill Linka. Linka calmly stops her, declaring the power to save rests solely in his hands. Hearing this, she hesitates, admitting she's helpless even as a primordial unable to suppress the aliens in the prison. Sadly, she confesses her regal act is just a facade to keep order, then asks his plan for aid. The mood softens as they embrace, and Linka whispers suggestive words. The view cuts outside just as the sky mirror's image cuts off at a delicate moment. The spectators erupt in outrage, furious they paid yet missed the climax. Lu Buchu angrily denounces this farce by Xia Nu Sect and demands Linka be handed to the Forbidden Desire Sect. Siang Jingman coldly responds, confronting Liu Buchu about his true intent. He argues that the great saint has ascended and only Linka still has a connection to him. Lu Buchu proposes a cruel ancient ritual to summon the great saint back against the calamity. Siang Jingman calmly questions the risk of divine punishment. He casually claims it's for the greater good and takes full responsibility for any fallout. Lu Wei mocks him outright, exposing his cowardice and daring him to stake his life on his words. Cornered, Lu Buchu seethes in silence. Unable to reply, the scene returns to the Demon King's camp, where the Blood Clan celebrates capturing a human cultivator. Their joy halts when Xu Ling panics upon seeing the cauldron water drained. Linka steps out leisurely, calling the dry hot spring a worthwhile experience. He notes the seal has weakened slightly and won't last long. Xu Ling is stunned by the energy surging around him, unable to comprehend its nature. Regaining composure, she smiles and reminds him of his promise to help, making him momentarily flustered. He seriously defines the limits of their deal, warning that anything beyond requires a price. Xu Ling finally realizes that their touch earlier marked her primordial seal. As the mark forms, her inner essence splits and flows into Linka. Half teasing, half serious, he sets a condition for intimacy. making her blush and nod in consent. Linka embraces Shuling and begins casting, gathering the scattered essence. The surrounding alien's energy trembles violently, drawn and funneled back into Shuling's body. Drained of power, the aliens panic and flee, screaming for the blood ancestor's help. The flow of essence continues endlessly, toppling every alien nearby into chaos. The scene cuts to Demon Valley, where factions fiercely argue over Xianu Sect's authority. One side counters, invoking heavenly law to defend the saint disciple status. Just then, 3 core female disciples of Xianu Sect appear together. The senior sister anxiously notes that the more chaos outside, the more danger Linka faces within. Ling Henyan bursts out in anger, declaring she can't let that shameless man wreak more havoc. She touches the sky mirror, shouting a warning to Linka not to mess around. Yu Li Ying teases her with an old story, only to be scolded harshly in return. The senior sister intervenes, forcing both to calm down. Suddenly, a group of aliens bursts from the teleportation gate, screaming in terror over what they witnessed inside. Once outside, they stare blankly, unable to recognize where they are. The outside cultivators immediately recognize and shout that they're aliens. The aliens flee in panic, cursing humanity as the chase begins. Siang Jingman swiftly orders the elders to seal the cave and suppress them with full force. Despite her decisiveness, she feels uneasy. The number of escaped aliens is far too few. At that moment, Linke emerges from the formation, carrying Xu Ling, greets briefly, then darts off like the wind. Someone cries out in alarm that has openly fleeing with an alien. Siang Jingman coldly assures that as long as the blood ancestor remains sealed, there is no danger. Suddenly, a terrified cultivator rushes out with urgent bad news. Trembling, he reports the demon prison is empty. Both aliens and the blood ancestor are gone. Siang Jingman's face finally changes. She grits her teeth and orders Linga's capture. The scene shifts to a deep forest where Linga flies with Xu Ling. Looking thrilled at their escape, he laughs proudly, boasting about slipping in and out of the prison and even bringing a beauty along. Moments later, he fumes, cursing the Sects for constantly meddling and ruining his peace. Suddenly, a flying dagger shoots from the forest straight at him. Linka dodges and counters, kicking the hidden weapon apart midair and shouting for the attacker to show themselves. A half-human, half-beast figure appears, calling himself Luya's subordinate, sent to monitor Xianu Sect and demanding to explain the alien aura on him. Before the creature finishes, Linka roars and hurls Chiao skyward like tossing a parcel. After that impulsive move, he sighs, realizing the situation has grown too obvious to stay hidden. Sitting down with Su Ling still in his grasp, he begins drawing strange glowing sigils. Linka softly promises to help, placing his palm on Xu Ling's chest as energy silently flows. In an instant, Su Ling turns into a massive egg fused with the newly formed runes. Finished, he tosses the egg playfully in his hand, looking pleased. Just then, a carriage screeches to a stop ahead, followed by a sharp command to halt. Linka tenses, suspecting new troublemakers. From inside, a cold female voice questions his actions toward the girl. He casually points to the shattered eggshell, acting innocent. Before he can explain, Lu Wei and Ling Xian leap out, attacking in fury with swirling sword cut. Linka blocks their strikes and smoothly pulls both into his arms. He laughs, claiming innocence and wondering why he has scolded without reason. Lu Wei soaks, accusing him of disappearing and reminding him of their pact. Ling Xian joins in, mocking that he went out to absorb yin energy for cultivation. Linka closes his eyes, then calmly concludes they actually share the same concern. He wraps an arm around each of them, pulls them onto the carriage, and decides to leave at once. Lu Wei quietly warns the danger is real. Siang Jingman has sent pursuers. Ling Xian drives the horses, saying her people are ahead, ready to help. Linka nods seriously, admitting their plan's been exposed and the enemy reacted fast. A furious roar erupts from afar, followed by a surge of spiritual power slashing toward the carriage. A fist imbued with spirit energy burst out from inside, instantly deflecting the attack. The one who struck speaks proudly, invoking past bonds to condemn the relentless pursuit. Siang Jingman angrily accused him of betraying her trust and staking her reputation. Linky coolly replied, suggesting they cultivate together and promising to shield her from the coming calamity. Siang Jingman sneered, declaring he had no choice left and summoned all her disciples. Linky dropped his calm act, pointing at her and shouting with fierce authority. Siang Jingman instantly ordered her followers to seize him. Dragged off the carriage, Linky softened his tone, begging for mercy. Hearing that, Siang Jingman smirked, pleased that he still knew his place. The chaos continued as Lu Wei rushed in, yanking Linky and calling his name urgently. She threw him into the carriage, making Linky cry out in pain. Lu Wei lifted her head and snapped that no one would steal her man. Siang Jingman powered up and coldly demanded to know who dared act so rudely before her. Lu Wei's terrifying aura burst forth as she unveiled her face, proclaiming her inviolable imperial authority. At once, guards led by Xin Wu arrived and sealed off the area. Lu Wei teamed up with Xin Wu and ordered a full-scale assault without hesitation. Siang Jingman snorted and unleashed her full cultivation, her aura flaring wildly, yet her counterattack was shattered by a single colossal divine hand. Only then did Siang Jingman realize her foe was the human emperor and staggered back. Lu Wei's divine statue appeared, its pressure making the Xianu Sect disciples tremble. Someone shouted in horror that the human Dao's fortune was suppressing everything. Lu Wei coldly vowed to settle all grudges with the Li Kingdom in one strike. Sighing Jingmin furiously retorted that Lu Wei was abusing her imperial status to dominate the situation. Inside the carriage, Ling Xuyan untied Lin Qi and sorrowfully asked about the massive reinforcements. She took the chance to tease, hinting that Lu Wei's rage came from jealousy. Lin Qi jumped up, pulled open the curtain, and yelled to capture Xiang Jingmin. His words stunned Lu Wei, and Lin Qi quickly covered it up with a joke. Sighing Jingmin sneered, saying human Dao fortune alone couldn't rival her sect. Spiritual energy engulfed the battlefield, throwing Imperial troops into confusion. The female disciples of Sai Nu sect froze as the grand formation activated. High above, the infernal prison array floated, rumbling ominously. A disciple shouted that the suppression had lifted and their energy fully restored. Lu Wei immediately summoned her sacred treasure to resist. Seeing this, Sighing Jingmin withdrew the array, admitting Imperial interference and retreating for now. Lin Qi sighed lightly, regretting that she left too soon. He struck the ground casually, hinting that the Holy Scripture hid more variables. Lin Qi warned gravely that those people clearly held ill intent. Lu Wei got annoyed but soon laughed, commanding the return to the palace. The scene shifted to the speeding carriage toward the center of Taisheng. Inside, Lin Qi gazed outside, marveling at how much the scenery had changed since his absence. Lu Wei explained that after the upheaval, the Holy Scripture loosened control over cultivators to recruit wanderers before they caused chaos. Lin Qi sneered, implying she feared her authority wasn't enough to keep them in line. Lu Wei confidently replied, claiming mastery over fate and readiness to punish any rebel herself. Half teasing, half serious, Lin Qi grabbed her hand to test her strength, making Lu Wei yell in outrage. The two were flirting when they suddenly remembered Ling Xuyan was still in the carriage. Under their stares, Xuyan calmly retorted, clearly having nowhere to hide. Lin Qi laughed and pulled her to sit with them. The three sat together, the tension fading as things naturally unfolded. Ahead, Yang Xinwu coldly warned that any royal embarrassment would be harshly punished. He grew suspicious as the carriage shook violently and slowed as if burdened. Huang Yan rode up, puzzled that the carriage moved unusually fast despite her rushing from the city gate. Xinwu dismissed her words as nonsense and asked her purpose for coming. Huang Yan solemnly reported that a Han envoy sought marriage. Suspecting hidden motives, Xinwu ordered the matter postponed to tomorrow's court since His Majesty was tired. As Huang Yan replied, a woman's undergarment suddenly flew out from the carriage. She caught it, stunned by the absurd gesture. Lu Wei immediately reached out and snatched the garment back. She lifted the curtain and ordered the envoy sent to Spring Breeze Pavilion. Handle with beauty tactics. Huang Yan obeyed, watching the carriage roll away. Inside, Lin Qi asked again about the suppression, and Lu Wei turned aside, admitting she failed. Ling Xuyan warned to beware of Han, as that power always drew the sect's attention. Lin Qi showed interest, asking about Han's strength. Xuyan explained that the Li Kingdom stood out for traces of a saint, aiding tribulation breakthroughs. She added that Han was managed by others but rumored to house a mysterious water beast in its palace. Hearing of the beast, Lin Qi's curiosity flared, and Lu Wei promptly assigned him the Han mission. Lin Qi cheerfully accepted, treating it as a nostalgic trip, then vanished into the wind. Lu Wei pouted, muttering he only wanted an excuse to chase other women. Ling Xuyan calmly wiped her hands with the garment, saying some people never knew they had it easy. Curious, she held up the garment and asked Lu Wei why she wasn't wearing it. Lu Wei blushed furiously and shouted in shame and anger. The scene cut to Spring Breeze Pavilion, where curses rang out and a chair shattered. An elderly Han envoy raged, smashing furniture and calling the reception insulting. Huang Yan entered to ask the reason for his outrage. Around them, the madam and courtesans watched in tense silence. The envoy loudly accused the Li Kingdom of intentionally humiliating Han's delegation. The cause was that the women provided were unattractive and even talked back. The young Han men panicked at the sight of older courtesans, turning pale. Huang Yan, shocked, demanded to know why true beauties weren't sent. A servant explained that all the pretty girls had been bought out by a wealthy guest. Huang Yan, displeased, assured the envoy she would provide an appropriate explanation. She then calmly went upstairs, leaving behind resentful glares. In truth, the Han delegation plotted this as pressure, secretly laughing in triumph. Their leader sneered that the small Li Kingdom wouldn't dare offend Han. After a while, Huang Yan returned with a serene face as if nothing had happened. The elder immediately questioned her about the results and the promised beauties. Huang Yan replied that everything had been arranged by Imperial order, and further demands were beyond her authority. Finishing her words, she turned away, ignoring his angry shouts. Huang Yan didn't look back, leaving only a firm farewell. The Han envoy gritted his teeth, unleashing power and flying upstairs to find the culprit. His charge blew the floor apart, scattering debris and shaking all of Spring Breeze Pavilion. Amid the chaos, Lin Qi calmly sipped wine, muttering something odd and grinning with amusement. Outside, Huang Yan worriedly realized that Lord Lan had truly returned. A sign of coming turmoil in the Holy Scripture, the Han leader roared furiously, his voice booming like thunder. Kneeling on one knee, he cast his spell while two subordinates channeled power beside him. Winds howled as he lunged forward, ordering Lin Qi's death. Lin Qi remained seated, enjoying his drink as attendants served him, lazily complaining about the noise. Mid-sentence, he casually tossed a wine cup straight at his foe. The cup struck the leader's forehead, making him flinch in pain like from an insect bite. The seemingly light hit disrupted their formation, causing massive backlash and severe injuries. They fell sprawling, terrified that their vaunted spell had shattered so easily. Lin Qi stepped out, mockingly saying their magic was fit only to scare children. He then declared he would show them a true divine manifestation and began channeling his Tao. Just then, a golden needle flew in, blocking his move with a plea to stop. A beautiful maiden appeared in the wind, gracefully retrieving the needle. Lin Qi halted his spell, studying her closely, sensing a strangely familiar aura and weapon. The maiden introduced herself as Jin Shengxi, Princess of Han, come to seek marriage and thank him for his mercy. Lin Qi coldly replied, suspecting she meant to manipulate him. He flatly rejected Han's proposal and denounced the engagement. A retainer quickly warned the princess that her appearance violated decorum. The remark made Lin Qi secretly question the true target of this alliance. Jin Shengxi calmly accepted, saying fate wasn't theirs in deciding to cancel the betrothal. Lin Qi was slightly startled, wanting to clarify he hadn't meant it that way, but the princess turned away in a huff, mocking him and departing decisively. Outwardly indifferent, Lin Qi was already scheming new plans inside. He ordered the entire Han delegation imprisoned. Ignoring the leader's desperate cries, Lin Qi stood outside weighing the gains and losses, half regretting the missed beauty yet excusing it as the loneliness of 3 centuries cultivation. He left decisively, tuning out the chaos behind, focused only on using Taoist inquiry as a pretext to investigate further. Once he vanished, the captured leader cursed bitterly, enraged by the humiliation and royal insult. In the dungeon, Jin Shengxi wondered if she'd been used as a political pawn. Bitter over noble birth turned to captivity, she recalled rumors of a Lingshan disciple once serving in the Li Kingdom, hinting at a potential rescuer. The old envoy confirmed it, saying the man had been expelled for eccentric tastes and drifted to Li for work. With no other choice, the princess agreed to indulge his obsession in exchange for help. The elder revealed the man's name, Jingming, whose lifelong passion for feet made him utterly devoted if granted permission. Suddenly she shouted, "Warden!" startling the guards outside. Jin Shengxi reassured them that once she escaped, every warden could be handsomely rewarded upon her return home. Hearing that, all attendants knelt, vowing to sacrifice themselves for the princess' cause. Startled by their zeal, she merely frowned, quietly puzzled. The scene shifted to the grand inner palace, where Lu Wei meditated in deep cultivation. Seeing Lin Qi appear, she instantly focused and asked about his progress. Lin Qi casually replied that the place was rich in spirit energy, perfect for endless training. His vague answer enraged Lu Wei, who struck out, accusing him of dodging questions about the Han envoy. Lin Qi deflected her blow, pulled her close, and joked that all was handled, she need only enjoy the fruits of his enlightenment. Hearing this, Lu Wei brightened, curiously asking when it reached the supreme realm. Lin Qi gave no direct answer, saying cultivation was arduous and hinting the Han princess might aid his breakthrough. Lu Wei ignored others' realms, frowning and demanding to know his Tao essence itself. Lin Qi confidently claimed mastery long ago, his hands restlessly sketching as if to show off. Lu Wei sternly stopped him, reminding him a child was nearby. The words jolted Lin Qi, who awkwardly glanced around. She pointed at a nearby egg. He then recalled it was a foreign spirit fetus absorbing blood power in the demon sealing prison. Yet he didn't stop, teasingly tugging her robe, saying the child was grown and unlikely to wake now. Surprised by the pull, Lu Wei looked displeased, coldly calling him shameless. Clothes scattered as the two slipped under the blanket for a cultivation session of ill repute. A stray robe fell over the egg, triggering strange energy as if it would hatch. Suddenly, a foot stomped it, rolling the egg violently to the floor. The impact cracked the shell, revealing a dazed blood spirit asking what happened. At that moment, Lin Qi's excited voice boomed, bragging about chaotic divine arts. Annoyed, the blood spirit lifted the curtain, complaining about being summoned only to be ignored. Before she could look around, a foot from above kicked her square in the face. The blow sent her tumbling in pain. Roaring in fury at the ambush, she staggered up, crying and cursing, saying she'd rather be captured than endure this humiliation. Before leaving, she hurled a proud remark as the scene shifted to Eunuch Liu stopping someone seeking audience, words that reached the blood spirit's ears. The man blocked was Fang Jingming, outwardly citing diplomacy but inwardly fuming over missing Princess Shengxi. Just then, the blood spirit strode in, scolding them both for blocking her way. Eunuch Liu eyed the girl leaving the royal chamber and grew suspicious of her identity and ties to Lin Qi. Realizing a possibility, he knelt and addressed her as princess, leaving the blood spirit stunned. Amid the confusion, Fang Jingming suddenly turned hostile, coldly declaring his intent and lunging to seize her. He swiftly restrained her, throwing the area into chaos, while Eunuch Liu accused him of rebellion and shouted orders. Fang Jingming menaced them, demanding both the princess and Han envoy be surrendered or he'd kill without mercy. Seeing the crisis, Eunuch Liu fled to report, shouting for guards to hold the traitor. Meanwhile, Yixuan leisurely finished his task, mumbling smugly about his long lifespan. Lu Wei sat on the floor staring at the broken eggshell, puzzled by what she might have just kicked. Eunuch Liu burst in panic, shouting that the princess had been kidnapped. Lu Fei sprang up in shock, unable to believe her ears. Linky spoke gravely, suspecting the culprit was the blood spirit and wondering how a foreign being appeared so fast. Cut to the rear palace gate. Fang Jiming was slaughtering guards to escape with the blood spirit. He killed while flaunting his sect identity, mocking anyone in his path. During flight, he schemed to use the blood spirit as a hostage to break into the celestial prison and rescue Jin Shengxi. Dragged along, the blood spirit casually complained about the awkward pose and demanded a ride on his head. Her insolent remark made Fang Jiming snap. He halted and grabbed her collar. He glared furiously, growling for an explanation. The blood spirit coolly replied that his stare was rude and denied wanting him as a mount. In that instant, she secretly counterattacked, striking him off guard. As he collapsed, she walked away coldly without a glance back. Lin Qi arrived too late, finding Fang Jingming's corpse and confirming the blood spirit was responsible. Yet he couldn't trace her aura. She had vanished without a mark. The scene shifted to the celestial prison, where a guard roughly threw Fang Jingming's body into a cell. Jin Shengxi and the old envoy inside stared, confused who the newcomer was. The moment Fang Jingming's eyes met the princess' feet, his body trembled uncontrollably. He dropped to his knees, clutching her feet, caressing them madly and mumbling "Warden." The old envoy suspiciously questioned why he had fallen so low, suspecting he'd been dragged into their mess. Without discussion, Jin Shengxi and the envoy simultaneously punched him in the face. He crashed into the dirt as Jin Shengxi coldly called him a pervert who dared insult a royal. Spiritual energy surged within the cell, the three shouting as magic flared and space trembled. Guards outside barked to suppress them, declaring that all status meant nothing in prison. Those words enraged Jin Shengxi, who renounced peace and vowed to use force. Her followers grew excited. Guessing she still held a hidden trump card, she drew forth a radiant holy relic, chanting solemnly to summon a sacred beast avatar. Meanwhile, Linky soared through the clouds seeking the blood spirit's trail but found none. Suddenly he sensed turmoil at the celestial prison, a forbidden area shattered by a giant beast. Jin Shengxi burst out from the chaos, accidentally crossing paths with Linky midair. She bluntly revealed his true identity and declared she'd abandoned diplomacy to seize him by force. Linky's face darkened, mocking himself for being valued only as a tool. Jin Shengxi ordered the chaotic great ape to capture him, startling the sacred beast itself. Defying orders, the ape turned tail and fled, leaving Jin Shengxi dumbfounded. Linky immediately cast chains of spellite to block its escape. The ape was bound as Linky smiled, reminiscing about old times as if greeting an old friend. The beast roared in fury, swearing it would die before revealing Ahua's whereabouts. The name froze Linky in place, his face suddenly paling. Memories resurfaced, an ancient warning about Ahua and the danger tied to Linky himself. He suddenly connects the dots, realizing Ahua always stays close to Xing Xing Gay. The chimp tearfully says Ahua left because of a quarrel. Recalls Ahua once said Linka wasn't truly a bad guy. Hearing that, the chimp angrily demands Linka pursue openly, no tricks allowed. Faced with that knave's seriousness, Linka laughs bitterly, denying any intent to chase Ahua. Upon hearing the denial, Xing Xing goes berserk, roaring and shattering its chains into flying shards. Sensing Linka's aura weakened, it grows suspicious, wondering why he's so much weaker now. Linka chuckles, explaining his true body split into many clones, searching for clues. This one's just a fragment. Hearing that, the chimp bursts into tears, screaming that Ahua was bewitched by Linka. Linka pats its shoulder, treating it like a common tale of a girl lost to a scoundrel. Jin Shengxi stands dumbfounded amid the chaos, wondering if she's just a background extra here. The chimp recounts following Ahua to Hen Kingdom and being named the nation-guarding sacred beast. It points at Jin Shengxi, stressing her mission to escort her to Li Kingdom for marriage. Forcing Linka to comply, Jin Shengxi coolly sets her terms shall stay if Linka can protect Hen Kingdom from the alien races. Linka awkwardly laughs, lamenting his weaker than even a fraction of the chimp's strength. The chimp instantly rebuts, declaring Linka's power enough to scare their ancestors back into the grave. Suddenly, a violent explosion from the royal palace makes Linka whip his head around. Without hesitation, he dashes off, shouting Xuling's name nonstop. The scene shifts to Li Kingdom's gate, where Xuling is blocked by soldiers mid-road. She calmly explains she doesn't want to fight, asking them to open the gate for Linka's sake. A young man sneers, claiming he's never heard of Linka among the 5 immortal clans. He shouts a threat if she dares to charge and kill her on the spot. Suddenly, another soldier rushes over with urgent news, drawing the commander's attention. The man cautiously notes Xuling's identity isn't ordinary, suggesting they wait for Commander Lin. Wang Beishan ignores him and slaps his subordinate, flying to assert dominance. He boasts of his noble rank, arrogantly declaring the celestial clan only honors the 5 houses, not nobodies. Xuling instantly counters, blasting him away with a scream of agony. Furious, she shouts at Lin Ka for letting her suffer such humiliation. Her rage explodes as she casts dark magic, making Wang Beishan wail for mercy. Just in time, Lin Ka appears and blocks the killing strike. He gently coaxes her, urging her not to resist and to leave with him. Xuling coldly turns away, refusing to return, claiming Linka lacks sincerity. Grateful to be spared, Wang Beishan kneels and thanks him, offering generous reward on behalf of the immortal clan. Linka laughs loudly, revealing his true identity as the head of the kingdom's royal guards. Hearing that, Wang Beishan freezes, forcing a strained smile to hide his embarrassment. Linka turns to Chu Ling, sternly warning she'll be hunted by alien races if she leaves. Su Ling confidently declares she has evolved her bloodline and will hide until all factions slaughter each other before emerging to clean up. Yet just as she steps out, she suddenly stops and turns back into the city. Su Ling rushes to hug Linka's leg, desperately begging to team up again and changing her stance completely. Linka coldly mocks her for breaking her word right after becoming an ancestor, even threatening to personally send her off. Su Ling clings to him in tears, recalling her old confession, leaving Linka helplessly surrendering. Just then, Jin Shengxi arrives with her team, frowning angrily at the scene. The hen subordinates whisper mockingly, calling Linka a shameless flirt. Su Ling looks around confused, wondering why no one cares about the monster warning outside the city. A foreign being wielding a huge blade enters, naming himself Evil Sun Patriarch and threatening to flatten the kingdom unless they hand over someone. Linka calmly admits the enemy's arrival, while Jin Shengxi is shocked that the aliens bypassed Han territory. The alien instantly unleashes divine arts, spawning countless clones that fill the sky with killing intent. Linka strikes back, his glowing hand blocking the fierce assault. Yet as the clones near, they hit an invisible wall and vanish completely. The alien sneers, claiming his foe is all title and no skill. The crowd panics and screams as the clones swarm in. Even Lin Kai is startled that the city's dragon aura barrier doesn't retaliate as expected. In that perilous instant, a golden barrier suddenly appears in front of him. Turns out Wang Beishan activated a modified Swanwu formation from the 5 immortal clans to barely block the strike. He excitedly releases Golden Kai, laughing and bragging about the immortal clan's deep foundation. Wang Beishan glares at Linka with disdain, scorning the lone wanderer. Linka angrily rebukes him, saying the sacred scripture is of water virtue, and forcing a Xuanwu formation violates the Tao and invites death. He orders the formation dispersed and commands all guards to follow him outside to fight. Shocking the operators, Wang Beishan defies him, urging the 5 great clans to defend the city and settle life and death by the grand array. All members of the 5 great clans turn their backs on Linka, siding with Wang Beishan. Seeing Linka isolated, Wang Beishan laughs triumphantly, mocking his empty words. An old rogue cultivator comments that though the 5 clans are domineering, they've earned their merit, so let them test their luck. Linka frowns warily, sensing something off. Sure enough, cracks begin spreading through Wang Beishan's barrier. The alien's clone seize the chance, charging and demanding their target. The fierce attack devastates Wang Beishan's side. Blood floods the ground amid screams. Wang Beishan stares in horror, unable to believe what he sees. He kneels in despair among the ruins while Linka quietly shakes his head in disappointment. Without hesitation, Linka unleashes Golden Crow Sunflame, his body glowing as he faces the alien. Upon clashing, he realizes his clone can't withstand such intense combat. The alien laughs, declaring he'll slaughter the city even if they surrender the target. Linka calmly says his clone won't do, planning to summon his true body and look for a hua. The male monkey volunteers, insisting Linka need not act personally. Linka teasingly asks if he's being forced. The monkey beats his chest proudly, calling helping Linka the greatest honor of his life. He soars into the sky, hurling a meteor-like punch straight at the alien. Contrary to expectation, the alien isn't angry but wary. Recognizing the holy ape of Hen Kingdom, the male monkey roars and charges, swinging his weapon in a thunderous strike. The sheep-like alien panics, lacking his treasures ready. As black smoke suddenly rolls in, Wang Beishan clutches his head and wails, unable to comprehend the disastrous collapse. Linka approaches, pointing out the fatal flaw in the array: its killing flow reversed and layout misaligned. Jin Shengxi watches the battle anxiously, feeling she can no longer stand idle. Linka swiftly adjusts the formation, chanting to realign the array. Golden talismans rise, forming a radiant halo that becomes a new protective barrier. Lin Ke tells Jin Shengxi the repair is only temporary and advises her and Shuling to retreat to the palace's stronger array. Shuling eagerly agrees, happy to take the chance to flee the danger zone. Jin Shengxi, however, grips Linka's robe firmly, refusing to abandon the holy beast mid-battle. Linka reassures her, saying he knows the old ape's strength and that the foe can't harm him. Jin Shengxi insists the holy beast's fate is tied to Hen Kingdoms, begging Lin to aid and promising the nation's eternal gratitude. Linka agrees, revealing a special method to boost combat power that requires her joint cultivation. Jin Shengxi immediately accepts, showing full resolve and zero hesitation. Hearing the answer he wanted, Linka lifts her in his arms and turns into a streak of light soaring skyward. They vanish into the dark mist, leaving Shuling muttering bitterly before heading alone to the palace. Outside the city, within thick black fog, golden and crimson energies clash violently. Inside the red aura, the sheaf-headed alien roars with rage. He curses and threatens the monkey while swinging to grab him. The monkey twists midair, channeling Iron Heart Core to shatter the attack instantly. He taunts back arrogantly, mocking the evil Sun General for sending lackeys to fight. Suddenly, a piece of cloth flies in, blinding the alien, who shouts in panic. The monkey seizes the chance, laughing as he smashes his staff onto the alien's head. The alien howls in pain, a huge lump swelling on his forehead. Before he can celebrate, another cloth blinds the monkey, making him stumble and yelp. The alien laughs gleefully, declaring the real fun begins as he attacks from above. The monkey narrowly dodges, escaping the deadly strike by inches. Both glance down, realizing each is holding a piece of cloth. Confused about its origin, the monkey suddenly finds the fabric familiar, suspicion stirring within. A faint voice nearby cries out, begging someone to slow down. It's Linka, flying at breakneck speed with Jin Shengxi pale from fear, shouting that her robe got blown away. They're actually racing toward the battlefield where the monkey and alien are locked in combat. As they near, Linka calmly removes Jin Shengxi's outer robe, saying it hinders energy flow. Jin Shengxi panics, protesting that this secret art seems very suspicious to perform mid-battle. Linka calmly replies that one may doubt his morals, but never his cultivation principles. Jin Shengxi skeptically asks if the Yuanyang Union truly aids the holy beast or is just a scam. Still dazed, she barely hears him whisper that every answer must be personally experienced. Linka suddenly leans down and kisses her, leaving her blushing and struggling in protest. At that moment, Linka's clothes are blown away too, stunning the two fighters below. The monkey roars in outrage, lamenting that even men's clothes now fall from the sky. The sheaf-headed alien mutters in disbelief, suspecting some bizarre breeding fog. He hastily channels demon energy to summon creatures in the mist for scouting. Nothing appears until a deep, golden pressure voice speaks from behind him. It's Linka's true body, transcendent and overflowing with boundless spirit force. He instantly unleashes Golden Crow Sun Flame, grabbing the alien's head like a lifeless weight. Killing intent erupts, the crushing grip cracks the air, making onlookers think the alien's done for. The monkey hesitates, unsure if Linka's true body or some forbidden art has emerged. Below, Jin Shengxi, barely covered by a thin cloth, trembles with fear and worry for the holy beast ignored by everyone. The monkey flies off, cursing Linka for practicing the Eindavaring Sun technique. Vaunatelahua. Watching him leave, Linka frowns, sensing that monkey's grudge runs deep. Suddenly, a blade of sword Kai dives from above with a killing shout. Linka reacts instantly, dodging death by a hair's breadth. He coldly rebukes the attacker for such a dangerous ambush. The alien steps from the mist, reattaching his shattered head, sneering that it is not so easy to kill. Linka tells Jin Shengxi to retreat to the palace if she values her life. He'll handle the rest. Jin Shengxi nods, promising to call for aid before flying back to the city. At the wall, she finds Wang Beishan still controlling the array smugly, as if all credit were his. Furious, she demands he open the formation and scolds him for idling while Linka risks his life. Wang Beishan arrogantly claims his guarding the array and should wait for Linka's victory. His shamelessness makes Jin Shengxi seethe. Eyes filled with disgust, Wang Beishan suddenly reveals murderous intent, thinking if both die, he'll gain all the glory. From above, Linka shakes his head, saying the formation he built wasn't meant for misuse. He waves his hand, activating the array according to its original structure. Instantly, golden spears form and pierce through space, leaving Wang Beishan staring in horror. Linka calmly withdraws his attack, face composed as if nothing happened. Wang Beishan rushes forward, shouting that the city wall is the formation's core and has the master. Linka casually knocks him aside, reclaims the spears, and mockingly thanks him for his service. Just then, the sheaf-headed alien blocks Wang Beishan, eyes sharp as blades, questioning who dares stand before him. Terrified, Wang Beishan begs for mercy, promising to guide him into the inner city. The alien scoffs in disgust and stomps him flat, blood splattering across the wall. Spotting the opening, Linka charges forward for a head-on clash. The alien sneers that Linka is knave, swinging his sword as their energies explode like thunder. A sky-shattering blast erupts, black mist engulfing all sight. Inside the city, the ground quakes violently, civilians screaming as if the world were ending. Walking through the palace, Shuling suddenly feels her heart seize, turns toward the battlefield, and rushes to save Linka. When the dust settles, Linka stands silent on cracked earth, clutching the alien's severed head with hollow eyes. Shuling runs to him in tears, crying his name in panic. Linka sighs softly, saying his relieved she came as if he'd been waiting. Then his body goes limp, he loses consciousness and collapses amid the ruins. Shuling grabs him, sobbing and swearing never to leave him again. Suddenly Linka opens his eyes, declaring that a promise once made cannot be withdrawn. He drops the alien's head, from which a faint violet aura with strange sentience escapes. Just as Shuling brightens with hope, the purple aura dives straight into her body. In an instant, her noble true form returns. She realizes it's the primordial water essence. Linka explains that with the evil Sun General's death, that essence should reverted to purity. Her absorption means grave harm to the evil Sun Patriarch. Shuling shakes her head weakly, admitting the essence's power is overwhelming her body. Linka embraces her without hesitation, soothing her and asking if she fears losing control. Shuling calmly replies that cultivators must pursue truth, not be bound by mortal emotion. Linka laughs solemnly, declares dual cultivation of joy, and erects a spiritual barrier around them. Scene shifts to the palace. Lu Wei stands under an umbrella, inquiring about the battle's outcome. An old man casts a spell, saying the city's spiritual energy has turned to spring rain and the calamity is over. He names himself Zhang Nian of the Zhang immortal clan. Another elder steps forth, doubting Zhang Zhenren's claim of peace. The sorrowful elder adds that the Wang clan's direct heir is dead and justice undone. So disaster isn't over, Zhang Yan retorts sharply, accusing the Wang clan of secretly altering the grand array. If not for Linga, the truth would remain buried. A mocking voice cuts in, sneering that the Zhang clan serves a mortal court, spoken by Zhangsun Gongfu of the Zhangsun immortal clan. Another man bursts into laughter, drawing all eyes toward him. It's Gong Shushan of the Gong family, who mocks the Zhangsun clan for taking worldly benefits while scorning royal authority, advising them to just retire. A gentle voice mediates, saying no one should be blamed for fate's tragedy. The speaker, a descendant of the Ma mortal clan, Gong Shushan, deliberately taunts Zhangsun Gongfu again, driving him to tremble with rage as the hall descends into chaos. At that moment, Leng Xuyan approaches Lu Wei, reporting that Lin Ka has safely returned and the alien girl is unharmed. Lu Wei nods and sits down, while the immortals in the distance keep quarreling noisily. Unable to bear it, Lu Wei commands silence with regal authority. Everyone freezes, staring at the Empress as if divine might had descended. She firmly declares the Wang clan guilty of grave crimes, confiscating 30 spirit fields and assigning them to the 4 great clans. Wang Bodhi trembles and kneels, kowtowing to accept the severe punishment. The remaining immortals bow in unison, voicing obedience to the Imperial decree. Deep down, Lu Wei knows it's Lin Ga's support that gives her strength to subdue the stubborn immortal clans. When the assembly ends, Unichli steps forward, dismissing everyone and inviting the immortals to return home. They leave one by one, each lost thought. Wang Bodhi secretly believes his kin couldn't have acted so foolishly. Gong Shushan smirks coldly, suspicious of the Lei Queen's sudden shift and deciding to investigate personally. Scene shifts to the Mei residence. A bald servant rushes in with news. He urgently reports that Lin Ka, guardian of the city gate, has returned. Ma Jiahong frowns, questioning why Lin Ka appears only now if the battle ended long ago, and asks about his whereabouts. The servant replies that the outer city was shrouded in dense fog and wild spirit surges made detection impossible. Ma Jiahong narrows his eyes, concluding Lin Ka hides secrets and the alien incident may be tied to him, ordering continued surveillance. Night falls over the capital along the stone path of the palace. Lin Ka strolls leisurely, carefree as ever. Inwardly, he grumbles that just as his meridians were stabilizing, Su Ling turned into an egg, nearly making him cough blood in frustration. Trapped between progress and madness, his Kai runs chaotic, so he plans to find Leng Xuyan to help clear the final blockage. While muttering, a flock of crows circles above, stirring an ominous feeling. Soon, a pack of shadowy dogs creeps from an alley, eyes gleaming like spies. An eerie sight indeed. Suddenly Gong Shushan appears, holding a lantern, hawking wares as he approaches Lin Ka. As she nears, he coldly waves her off, warning her not to touch him when he's in a full mood. With a casual motion, she slams face first into the ground. Her body instantly turns into a scroll, emitting eerie pinkish aura coils. Ahead, Wang Bodhi sits at a stone table laughing, flaunting 3 bright lanterns and inviting Lin Ka to buy one. Lin Ka smiles faintly, telling him to look into his eyes where the fire already burns. In a flash, flames erupt, consuming the spot where the old man sat. The truth reveals itself. The burning figure was just a lantern mimic. Shrieking as it melts, above, the crows scatter in terror, calling that they were only there for the spectacle. A vicious dog lunges out, eyes sparking lightning, roaring to avenge its kin. Lin Ka sneers, striking out and tearing its jaws open like ripping a lid off a pot. A deafening explosion follows, turning the whole area into a raging sea of fire. As dawn breaks, the fog disperses, and peace returns as if nothing ever happened. Suddenly, a twin-horse carriage screeches to a halt on the avenue. Blocked by something ahead, the guards dismount to check and are stunned to find a tiny figure blocking the road. Fearing trouble if they hit a royal, the small one yells not to call him a child. It's Lin Ka in toddler form, his aura still intimidating the guards. The coachman storms over, shouting that this is Prince Pingyang's carriage, and swings his whip at the boy. Just then, someone appears and catches the child, blocking the strike in a flash. The rescuer, a gentle girl in a thin robe, scolds the driver for attacking a kid. She is Lu Yun. Terrified, the coachman kneels, trembling and apologizing for striking an unknown noble child. Amid everyone's shock, Lu Yun lifts the boy and asks his name. Startled when he calls her directly by name, Lu Yun blinks in confusion, guessing he might be of royal blood, then decides to take him along to the banquet at Wangchun Pavilion to find his kin. Inside the carriage, Lin Ka sits dazed, unable to fathom why he's turned into a child, suspecting some bizarre curse. Lu Yun frowns too, unable to explain such a natural transformation. Lin Ka secretly ponders, mumbling as his hand tugs her robe, making Lu Yun wary, sternly warning him. She suddenly flips him over her lap and spanks him hard, echoing through the carriage. Lin Ka grimaces in pain, rubbing his rear and swearing revenge once restored. Lu Yun, satisfied, scolds that more trouble will have her reporting him to his parents. Lin Ka smirks darkly, suspecting his condition links to the 5 immortal families. Perhaps they've revealed themselves first. Scene shifts to Wangchun Pavilion, where 2 young men drink and praise the prosperity since the 5 immortal families arrived in the capital. Another joins in, saying every immortal banquet brings blessings and wards off mortal disasters. Lu Yun enters with Lin Ka, frowning and demanding his purpose, warning shall leave if he won't confess. Suddenly, Linka points straight ahead, declaring that's where he needs to go. Lu Yun gasps as pointing toward the area where the 5 immortal families usually appear, raising her suspicions. Before she can question him, Linka bolts, forcing her to chase after him. Ahead sits a quiet, lonely girl amid laughter and reverie, a stark contrast to the joy around her. She is Zhang Suji, sighing as she asks which clan hosts today's immortal feast. Ma Lingzhu casually answers that it's likely the Zhangxin family's turn, though the patriarch hasn't shown up. Zhangxin Rongyun coldly interjects, telling Lingzhu not to worry, elders have their own plans. The mood breaks as Gongling arrives laughing, revealing the patriarchs went off to handle an important matter. She curiously adds that yesterday she sensed spatial distortion and a heavy scent of blood in her mansion. Zhangxin Rongyun frowns, confirming her family faced the same anomaly and tightened security at night. Lingzhu glances at the empty seat beside him, eyes dim with hidden thoughts. He sits down, lamenting the chaos of the times, citing Wang Beishan's vacant seat as proof of unpredictable fate. Zhangxin Rongyun solemnly mentions the rumor that Wang Beishan was slain by a commander named Lin Gem. Suddenly, child-form Linka darts forward and hugs Zhang Suoji tightly, leaving her completely stunned. Suji laughs in delight, setting him on her lap and teasing the bold, adorable boy. Lu Yun arrives panting, bending over to catch her breath while scolding him for running too fast. Lingzhu's face changes at her sight. He hurriedly stands and excuses himself, wary of her temper. Zhangxin Rongyun and Gongling seize the chance to mock him, recalling when Lu Yun once beat and chased him off for being shameless. Lingzhu retreats awkwardly, claiming it was all for his clan's interests and royal relations. Lu Yun scolds Linka for mischief, while he stays calm and calculating inwardly. Zhang Suoji quickly mediates, urging Lu Yun to sit and have tea to calm down. Seeing the steam buns before him, Linka softens his tone, apologizing and promising not to run again. Lu Yun smiles and tells Suji she's not angry, only worried for the boy's safety. Those nearby nod in agreement, saying children must be carefully watched. Gongling suggests moving to Lingyan Spring to soak and relax. Zhangxin Rongyun agrees, saying doing something is better than idle chatter. Zhang Suji looks surprised, noting this was supposed to be a blessing banquet, yet everyone's leaving. Gongling tugs Lu Yun along, laughing that since the ancestors rarely appear, bathing in Lingyan Spring is blessing enough. Zhang Suji worries about the child as the others prepare to go. Someone reassures her that taking a little boy along is fine, easing her concern, so Zhang Suji carries Lingai and hurries after the group. Scene shift to the spirit spring, emerald waters cascading from a high fall. Serene and refreshing, wrapped only in a towel, Linka feels Smug has infiltrated the 5 immortal families, hoping to trace their origin and break his own seal. Lost in thought, has jolted when cold water splashes his face. Zhang Suji and Li are playfully splashing each other, sending waves toward him. Gongling teases Lu Yun about her fair skin. Lu Yun frowns, while Suji secretly suspects Linka fears water. Embarrassed by their stares, Linka chuckles and boldly drops his towel. He dives into the spring, making the girls gasp and blush as he mutters, "Hell discipline the mischievous sprites." Underwater, Linka scans the moving figures, jokingly guessing whose legs belong to whom. Gongling screams as something yanks her underwater. Panicked, she warns Lu Yun to stay away from the dangerous spot. Before Lu Yun can react, her towel slips off in front of everyone. She shrieks, accusing Gongling of pulling it away. Rongyun and Suji also get caught up, exclaiming in shock and confusion. Beneath the water, Linka laughs gleefully, reaching to snatch one more towel for fun. Just then, a pair of pale legs kick him square in the face. Linka flies onto the bank, aching all over, cursing himself for underestimating his weakened body. Before he can rise, he notices something falling toward his head. He catches it midair. It's an ancient bowl etched with Wu clan runes, proof the 5 immortal families are linked to the curse binding him. He figured that understanding the sigil's pattern might crack the spell. The bowl suddenly shook and leapt from his hand like a live creature fleeing. Linka gawked in horror as the artifact seemed to have its own mind. On the stream, the women exchanged puzzled looks while Lak Yun wondered if her spring raised scarf-snatching beasts. Kung Ling sternly denied it, saying the spirit spring was tightly guarded against intruders. Deng Yen grew suspicious, thinking Linka might be behind the prank. Zhang Sunai hugged the carried child Linka tightly, insisting such a tiny boy couldn't cause trouble. Lak Yen was about to argue when she froze, sensing danger above. Deng Yen snapped her head up, shouting a warning about something incoming. It was the ancient bowl, fleeing while cursing those who let a cursed intruder in and scolding useless wardens. Just as it fled, its path was suddenly blocked by another presence. Sunai dropped her towel over it, plunging the bowl into darkness. She instantly cast a spell, turning the spring water into a fierce attack. The bowl sensed danger and leapt from the water to dodge. Hovering midair, it roared angrily, calling itself the Elder and berating the rebellious juniors. Kung Ling unleashed a fusion strike, soaring like a fiery swallow to chase it down. A sharp spiritual force struck beside the bowl, shaking the area violently. Smoke engulfed the field, and amid chaos, Sunai still admired Kung Ling's might. After the clash, a road woman appeared, coldly vowing to investigate whoever disturbed the clan's sacred realm. The 3 still in the water speculated about Lin Gaz's identity, each with a different theory. Sunai quietly approached the towel-covered bowl, crouching to inspect it, lifting the cloth. She gasped to see it shattered, blurting a strange phenomenon's name. Bizarre spiritual wave spread, and all felt an unnatural shift. Kung Ling cried out in shock, realizing the clan's spiritual source was ruined. Deng Yan gave chase, shouting at the intruder who defiled the forbidden spring. The culprit was Linka, now meditating and unsealing an ancient curse. His aura burst out violently, forcing the women to retreat to stay steady. Linka fully released his seals, restored his form, rose over the water, and proposed a truce. Sunai hesitated, softly admitting he had a point. Deng Yan retorted fiercely, urging everyone to defend the clan and not let him escape. The women agreed, choosing to stall him while sending the princess for reinforcements. Linka clasped his hands with a mocking grin, recalling how elders once bullied him but praising the younger generation's spirit. Deng Yan shot back heatedly, affirming their lifelong bond could not be shaken. Suddenly, Linka asked an absurd question about her number of wives. Freezing the air, Deng Yan stood dumbfounded, utterly confused by his intent. Before she could react, a cold blade pressed against her back, forcing her still. All eyes turned toward the scene, tension freezing the air. The attacker was Lak Yun, smirking as she exposed Linga's disguise and manipulative scheme. Deng Yan roared in fury, accusing the Lak royal clan of breaking their oath and defying fate. Lak Yun coldly ordered Deng Yan to kneel and listen to Linga's words. Forced down, Deng Yan knelt, seething with anger and suspicion of their plot. Linka smiled mysteriously, pretending innocence. He flipped the blame onto the 5 immortal clans while lifting Deng Yan's chin as a warning. Deng Yan resisted firmly, unmoved by his manipulative tone. Losing patience, Linka pulled out an egg-shaped object. Voice turning oppressive, he declared he'd used the egg to rebuild the spirit spring and forced Deng Yan to summon her patriarch. He then sliced a drop of blood from the egg like handling a rare relic. Deng Yan doubted, believing the patriarch would never come. Ignoring her, Linka calmly placed the egg at the ruined spirit source. He felt relieved that the blood spirit inside still slept. Unaware its blood was taken, Deng Yan's nonstop nagging made him uneasy, fearing exposure. Enraged, Linka grabbed her and yelled, scolding her old-timed interruptions. Suddenly, he stopped, face darkening at a strange realization. Looking around, he saw the women collapsing, bodies feverish and dazed. Alarmed, he demanded to know what Lak Yun had given them. Lak Yun cheerfully admitted it was a family love incense that caused passion frenzy. The result, the girls all lunged at Linga. Clinging uncontrollably, he wailed in misery, stressing the dire situation amid the chaos. His only thought was to end this fast and escape. Amid the madness, Linke was swept into an awkward mess. At that moment, the egg cracked, sending chills down his spine with a warning to flee. Panicking, he wrapped the egg tightly, suppressing the surge while convincing himself it was stable. The scene shifted to the Zhang Manor, where a paper crane carried a secret message through the sky. The crane fell into Zhang Nian's cultivation room, waking him abruptly. The letter said the spirit spring had condensed a healing pearl and requested the patriarch's inspection. The old man scoffed, saying his ruined body wasn't worth such a treasure. Then cuff blood, he had been tricked by the demon clan into using a forbidden art to spy on Linka, suffering backlash. Meanwhile, the chief Sun Manor suddenly burst into flames amid screams of panic. People whispered that the patriarch returned only to combust uncontrollably. Another paper crane fell into the chief Sun estate right after. The burned patriarch, weak and charred, ordered to be taken to the spirit spring. Back at the spring, Linka threatened the girls loudly, promising to deal with each one. He shouted, demanding what title they should address him by. Half teasing, half menacing, Linka made the girls blush and tremble. In panic, they begged for mercy and called him patriarch. Linka barked again, ordering them to summon the real patriarch or face worse. Instantly, flocks of paper cranes carrying messages flew in all directions. At the chief Sun estate, the patriarch was rushed for treatment amid chaos. Their convoy was suddenly blocked mid-route by another group. A young woman angrily demanded to know who dared stop them. The other side claimed to be from the chief Sun clan, escorting their ancestor to the spirit spring for healing. The girl was shocked to hear they were heading to the same place. It turned out Kung Shaksun was in their group, unconscious and in need of the spring's help. Someone suggested they travel together for convenience. On a nearby rooftop, Ma Jiahong watched silently, eyes glinting with malice. He sneered, realizing their plight was even worse than his and suspecting the spirit spring hid secrets. Harboring ill intent, he decided to follow them and maybe kill both ancestors if he got the chance. Back at the spring, the girls wept in fear while Linka calmly tapped a pestle. Asking why the guests hadn't arrived, he pressed them further, demanding if they'd followed his orders. A trembling voice stammered that the guests were almost there. The spirit spring surged, flooding the pool with misty energy as the women stood immersed. The clan heads appeared one by one, calling for Kung Ling and Deng Yan to greet their grandfathers. Hearing the noise, Lin Ke tilted his head, realizing the patriarchs had arrived. The area was now sealed under thick wards, nearly blocking all sight. A chief Sun subordinate noted that despite its normal look, the place's spirit energy was astonishing. Deng Yan and Kung Ling stepped forward, demanding the patriarchs stay while all others leave. An elder barked angrily, saying there was no reason to hide a healing process. Deng Yan calmly replied the energy was too dense for outsiders and family secrets were best kept few. Chief Sun Gongfu pondered, then agreed and ordered everyone out. Kung Ling accepted Kung Shaoxin and told her people to wait outside. Someone reminded the spring was sealed, urging them to heal quickly before it was too late. Once the crowd left, Lin Ke instantly subdued the two imposter patriarchs in silence. Deng Yan collapsed, pale and despairing that things were beyond saving. She realized she had betrayed her clan leader and become an outcast. Kung Ling comforted her, saying the two patriarchs' injuries were already beyond help. She sneered faintly, implying that with them gone, no one could reveal the truth. Deng Yan froze at her smile. Eyes wide with dread and disbelief, Sunai stood nearby, worried that if grandfather came, even she might not survive. Linka stepped forward with a teasing threat, warning them of dire consequences if they failed. Sunai pursed her lips, replying curtly and bluntly expressing her stance. Lakyan suddenly hugged Sunai, scolding Linka for frightening a royal-blooded ally. Linga straightened his robe, sternly clarified debts and favors, and declared the real work would begin. He approached the two patriarchs wreathed in fire, gaze steady and calm. As his spell activated, the flames vanished, revealing their charred bodies. Both opened their eyes. Chief Sun Gongfu shocked the fire was gone. While Kung Shaoxin was still dazed, seeing who stood before them, both men's faces changed instantly. Kung Shaoxin panicked, shouted, and dragged Chief Sun away without a word. Linka laughed, casting a spell while reminding them had already given a chance to retreat. A massive watery hand descended, effortlessly seizing the two who relied on twisted ancient arts. Despite his wounds, Kung Shaoxin recklessly activated an ancient painting enchanted in desperation. Chief Sun Gongfu also unleashed all his power, igniting the Dream Soul incense within his ancient lantern. In a blink, all counterattacks were crushed by Linga's flames, vanishing like burned paper. His childlike clone had foreseen this outcome perfectly. Even so, Linka noted the attack's power was weaker than before. He wondered if lacking synchronization made both bodies less effective together. Chief Sun Gongfu suddenly spoke, questioning how much Linka truly knew about them. Linka replied calmly that he never cared to investigate but was forced to dig deeper, then strode past casually. Facing Kung Shaoxin, he coldly demanded to know why they targeted him and the real motive behind entering Li Kingdom. Kung Shaoxin softened her tone, pretending to yield and cooperate. Linka sneered, sitting on Chief Sun Gongfu's chest, making him groan in pain. He ordered her to start with the secret of the 5 coins before deciding whether to continue. Kung Shaoxin reluctantly confessed the 5 great clans originated as Tom Raiders in Chen Mountain. Long ago, they joined forces to enter the caverns seeking treasures, but they stumbled upon the tomb of a mysterious shaman. Dividing the relics and inheritances, they began cultivation and formed the 5 immortal clans. In recent years, alien assassins repeatedly infiltrated, spreading chaos everywhere. They avoided major sects and empires, preying only on weak mortal cultivators. Linka listened thoughtfully, confirming his suspicion that Li Kingdom's disaster involved foreign interference. Kung Shaoxin continued, saying the clans struck first out of fear and ambition to rise above their lowly status. Linka smirked coldly, remarking that the Kung clan was hardly innocent. Kung Shaoxin feigned grievance, blaming circumstances and claiming helplessness. She pleaded and tried seduction, hoping to sway Linga's mood. Linka narrowed his eyes, asking what excuse she had now if shade once been forced. Suddenly, Majia Hong ambushed from behind, slashing at Linka. Linka calmly caught the sword's blade between 2 fingers, stopping it dead. Majia Hong gasped in disbelief at the impossible strength before him. At once, Kung Shaoxin turned hostile, signaling an allowed attack with her ancient painting. Chief Sun Gongfu tried to rise and assist, but his wounds left him powerless. A massive pillar of fire erupted as Linka shot upward, escaping the siege. He declared coldly that even 5 together had failed before. What chance did 3 have now? Kung Shaoxin retorted that last time was a sneak attack, but this time would be a fair duel. Chief Sun Gongfu gritted his teeth, draining his spirit power to unleash the Earth Mother axe, shaking heaven and earth. Majia Hong finally realized his foe far exceeded expectations and was no longer easy prey. Linga's clone guarding the egg pointed at the spring, asking if they knew what was emerging. From the egg, blood spewed thick black miasma. Making Majia Hong panic at its sinister origin, the black gas swirled violently, sentient and striking everyone nearby. Weapons and bodies alike corroded instantly under its toxic aura. Chief Sun Gongfu turned in horror, shouting to know what this abomination was. Blood streamed from his eyes as his agonized screams echoed bleakly. Majia Hong cried out that it was the ancestral corruption of the alien race. Never look at it directly. Linka calmly cast spells, laughing that they'd inhaled tainted Kwai, handing him the advantage. The black mist spread, igniting a sea of fire that sealed every exit. Chief Sun Gongfu struggled hopelessly, screaming like a man trapped in an endless nightmare. Majia Hong tried to flee but collapsed amid the flames. Eyes wide with terror, Kung Shaoxin went mad, realizing the aliens had long infiltrated the Holy Scripture and they'd walked into a trap. Kung Ling blocked her path, asking coldly if she planned to beg. Overjoyed, Kung Shaoxin rushed to hug her, pleading to leave and warn the clan. but she froze as a blade pierced her abdomen, disbelief flooding her eyes. Kung Ling calmly withdrew her sword, pushing the dying woman into the black mist. Holding her command token, she smiled coldly, declaring an end to Kung Shaoxin's 80-year rule. Consumed by darkness, Kung Shaoxin still cried out Kung Ling's name in despair. Kung Ling replied coolly that from now on, she would lead the clan. Lin Ke appeared, dragging Ma Jiahong by the collar, mocking that he'd underestimated Kung Ling's ruthlessness. Deng Yan stumbled out of the chaos, covered in ash and exhaustion. Kung Ling faltered at the sight of her, voice uncertain. Deng Yan coldly raised another command token, declaring her patriarch long dead. Lin Ka threw Ma Jiahong to the ground without a word. He stated bluntly that indecision was forbidden, choices must be absolute. Lin Do directly appointed Kung Ling and Deng Yan as heads of their clans, asking if they dared bear the weight. The two exchanged looks. Kung Ling worried their strength and status wouldn't earn loyalty. Lin Ga's icy tone threatened that defiance would be paid with lives. Terrified, Ma Jiahong knelt, begging for mercy and offering his usefulness. He secretly deemed Lin Ke dangerously powerful, worth wagering his future to follow. Lin Ke sensed a disturbance, warning Ma Jiahong his chance to prove loyalty was coming. Startled, Ma Jiahong turned as clan reinforcements arrived in alarm. He immediately took charge, projecting the firmness of one in command. Ma Jiahong calmly announced the two women as the new matriarchs of their clans. Kung clan disciples erupted in fury, rejecting Kung Ling's sudden rise. Chief Sun subordinates shouted accusations of conspiracy. Denying Deng Yan's claim to succession, Ma Jiahong enforced order with violence, striking down the dissenters to establish dominance. He shouted that his word was law, allowing no doubt or defiance. The surrounding disciples were petrified with fear. Kung Ling displayed her command token, claiming succession by last decree. She named Ma Jiahong as guardian, forcing all to bow in thanks. The Kung clan women reluctantly accepted and expressed hollow gratitude. Ma Jiahong smugly praised the unity between the great clans. Deng Yan ordered a discreet funeral, showing youthful authority with firmness. Both factions obeyed and quickly withdrew from the scene. Lin Ke assigned Ma Jiahong to oversee matters, warning of dire consequences for failure. Terrified, Ma Jiahong nodded repeatedly in absolute submission. Lak Yun cautiously asked what the group's next move would be. Lin Ke half-joked, half-serious, saying he'd personally visit the Zhang patriarch. Su Nai tried to stop him, insisting the Zhang clan was harmless and loyal. Lin Ga's understanding tone gave her brief hope of peace, but he coldly declared that was precisely why he must go, then strode off. Suna panicked and ran after him, desperate to stop him. Scene shifted to the Zhang clan, where Zhang Nian meditated as a furious woman faced him. Ling Xian slammed the table, scolding him for complacency amid chaos. She relayed Empress Huang's orders, accusing the Zhang patriarch of delay and evasion. Zhang Nian stayed silent for a long time, expression heavy with conflict. He admitted he'd lost Lin Ga's trail. Guessing the man was trapped by dark sorcery, Ling Xian snapped back, insisting Lin Kao was too powerful for that. He must have been captured by the ambitious Zhang Nian. To realize the backlash had suffered was linked to the other clans meddling. His words made Ling Xian turn hostile, drawing her sword and accusing the 5 great clans of sacrilege. Zhang clan guards formed up at once, ready to defend their patriarch. Zhang Nian remained composed, stating he had hidden nothing from the court but refused to die meekly. Suddenly, Panic's subordinate burst in with grave news. Before he could speak, unseen force flung him down, shattering his mind. Zhang Nian instantly went on guard, sensing an intruder. Lin Ke strolled in casually, mocking the incompetence of their guards. Zhang Nian froze, stunned to see the man thought lost standing alive. Ling Xian's joy overflowed as she confirmed Lin Ke's safety. Lin Ke comforted her, then coldly questioned the patriarch's earlier speculation. Sitting down as if in his own hall, he surveyed the chamber with dominance. Zhang Nian dismissed his men, agreeing to face Lin Ke directly. Lin Ke bluntly ordered the Zhang clan to submit to the Empress and serve as national guardians. Zhang Nian replied with mockery, reminding that his clan had refused far greater offers. Lin Ke calmly cracked his knuckles, saying times had changed because they'd angered him. He gave them a choice of life or death, punctuating it with a threatening snap. Su Nai suddenly rushed out, hugging Zhang Nian and crying out to him. Zhang Nian roared in rage, thinking his granddaughter had been harmed. Su Nai hastily denied it, whispering something that left the old man stunned. Lin Ke remained calm, pressing the Zhang patriarch for a final decision. Zhang Nian paused, admitting Lin Ke's power was enough to make them yield. Yet he had more to say. Citing Suna's words, he declared the Zhang clan would rather perish than serve one bearing alien taint, and activated his spell. A grand formation appeared, summoning spirit pearls and countless skull relics of the shaman god slain by the primordial alien. Zhang Nian vowed that if Lin Ke survived the trial, his clan would swear absolute loyalty to the empire. For the first time, Lin Ke looked genuinely surprised, caught in the array unprepared. Ling Xian shouted in panic, accusing Zhang Nian of stubbornly inviting disaster. Su Nai quickly explained that the rumors came from Patriarch Ma, stressing Lin Ke's role as guardian of the realm. Zhang Nian secretly knew Lin Ke was innocent but used the pretext to preserve clan honor. He publicly promised the shaman god array would target only alien essence if Lin Ke emerged unharmed. They'd serve the Empress faithfully. Inside, space expanded endlessly, filled with resentful energy and alien hatred at its peak. Outside, Zhang Nian grew horrified as the formation spun out of control. It turned out Ling Xuyan had secretly mobilized elite troops to encircle the area. Martial law was declared, civilians evacuated, and the Black Underworld army sealed the city, leaving Zhang Nian despairing. Regretting his own folly, he found himself trapped with no path to escape annihilation. Ling Xuyan sneered that he had merely clung to Lin Ge's strength, believing Linka wasn't alien but hiding some greater secret. All pleas were ignored as she ordered the Zhang clan's immediate subjugation. Within the array, the shaman idol opened its eyes, emitting 2 icy beams scanning the void. It quickly locked onto a target radiating dense alien aura marked for destruction. Linka chuckled, mocking the idol's shallow grasp of alien contact. The idol concluded Lin Ge's corruption was deep and unrepentant. Unleashing its full power, the giant statue dove from the sky, shaking the earth, but Linka dodged in time. He mocked the array's flaws, startling the idol when his voice echoed from behind, calmly standing on its shoulder. Linka explained the idea of unseen resonance among living beings. Then he kicked down fiercely, making the shaman idol reel. It could only howl in pain. Completely overpowered, Linka ended the strike, dusting off his hands like he'd done something trivial. Yet suddenly, things took an unexpected turn. The idol wasn't destroyed, it entered a supreme counterattack state. Its aura shifted from pale red to dazzling gold, signaling an unnatural evolution. Linka froze, unsure what the change meant. Someone patted his shoulder from behind, hinting at the strange aura within him. Linka instantly struck back, demanding the stranger's identity. The unknown figure only smiled, raising a dark crimson egg radiating evil energy. Linka was stunned, realizing the artifact had been stolen without his notice. The foe reveals that the one sealed inside the Wu divine idol is none other than Wu Shenyu. Linhen realizes the truth. The figure before her is the heir of Dao Canon's relics worshipped by clans. The enemy warns that the Blood Womb's barrier is nearly unbreakable. He unleashes an ancient spell, boasting he'll crush the rebel with ease. Linky suddenly shrinks in size, utterly panicked. The foe presses his advantage, exploiting the strange condition to threaten her. He taunts Linky to destroy the Blood Womb herself, dangling the egg before her. In truth, Linky had already slipped away, leaving him ranting to thin air. A golden flash slices across, severing his arm instantly. The foe freezes, unable to believe Linky was untouched. Linky seizes the divine blood egg, reclaiming it like her rightful treasure. She coldly warns Lao Gudon to end the old era and accept his sealing. The man rages, claiming to bear the fate of the Wu clan and summoning ultimate power. His body towers like a god as the ancient divine weapon descends upon heaven and earth. The terrifying sight stuns Lang Shuya. While Zhang Nianda doubts his lifelong faith, Zhang Nianda mutters defense, insisting he merely followed ancestral will. Unaware of deceit, Linky summons the golden Jinwu Phoenix. Descending like dawn tearing through darkness, she approaches Zhang Niani, earnestly asking to borrow Su Mi for urgent aid. Elder Zhang protests, insisting he can take responsibility in his granddaughter's stead. Linky refuses flatly, hoisting Su Mi skyward before anyone can react. The Wu divine idol sneers, calling the Jinwu nothing but flashy decoration. In the sky, Linky orders Su Mi to sync perfectly with her control. Su Mi agrees firmly, aiming only to slay the monster below. Linky reveals she's delocked, needs Su Mi to break it, and suddenly kisses her. Instantly, his spirit fire erupts, blazing through space itself. From afar, Leng Xuyan recognizes Linki's signature tactic. The Wu divine idol roars in fury, declaring Linki's struggle useless. Spiritual energy explodes, only ruins remain, and a single scarf drifts down. Wu Kui laughs triumphantly, dreaming of reviving the Wu clan and assimilating humankind. The ancient divine weapon adds, let races slaughter each other while they rest and recover. Suddenly, spiritual energy gathers, forming a phenomenon that stuns Wu Kui. Linky reappears, furious for being ambushed mid-ritual. Wu Kui growls defiantly, uninterested in right or wrong. Linky stumps once, shouting a word of absolute power. Instantly, countless prismatic beams rain down like divine meteors. Zhang Nianda feels purified, his body and soul cleansed. Leng Xuyan warns the old man to restrain himself amid the anomaly. Wu Kui screams in panic, unable to accept his divine right being broken. The ancient divine weapon launches a cataclysmic blast toward Lin Qi. Linky calmly counters, vowing to bury them back in the savage age. With a gentle palm, she tears the devastating strike in half. Without pause, Linky charges the ancient divine weapon, boldly claiming humanity's sovereignty. His punch lands on the foe's chest but draws only mocking laughter. Linky admits its strength is real, then unleashes the mighty divine palm. The blow pierces the weapon's chest, sending its massive body reeling. Wu Kui screams in disbelief as the supreme weapon shatters before him. Linky calmly questions the Wu clan's historic failure, his glowing finger aimed at Wu Kui. A torrent of fire erupts, engulfing the enemy in an instant. Zhang Niani watches, eyes blazing as if witnessing destiny's finale. Linky lands with Su Mi, softly confirming the Wu god is gone for good. Setting her aside, he advises the Zhang clan to abandon their obsolete cultivation path. Zhang Niani hastily agrees, pledging loyalty and offering Su Mi for Linki's tutelage. Leng Xuyan coldly mocks the Zhang clan's lightning-fast change of allegiance. Elder Zhang chuckles awkwardly, hinting he can supply more hands if the court requires. Leng Xuyan grows silent in displeasure as Zhang Niani senses her changed heart. She approaches Lin Qi, urging him to report back safely. Huang Nai is worried, With that, she mentions a strange card game and ascends in a beam of light. Su Nini, puzzled, asks about the odd game called poker. Linky laughs, vaguely saying it's a game where noise means fun. The lingering aura condenses into a crimson pearl floating midair. Linky takes it, startled by its strangely familiar feel. The gem is the Wu clan's sole pearl, hiding secrets tied to the aberrant child. Linky silently plots new moves as alien tribes eye the Li Kingdom. At night, two outsiders discuss the vanished power traces and reporting to their superiors. Another objects to haste, suggesting a secret tunnel to scout first. Suddenly a voice interrupts, saying if they want in, just use the front gate. The two aliens whirl around, demanding to know who spoke. Before them stand two beauties, Leng Hanyan and Yu Liying. Feng Di grins lecherously, mocking the girl's bravery. Yu Liying smiles confidently, offering to lead them before any bloodshed. Feng Di and Vika eye them warily. Unsure why they'd aid alien foes, Leng Hanyan soothes them sweetly, praising their looks and urging haste before the gate closes. Feng Di sneers that humans are too naive to be cautious. Proud of the body granted by the progenitor, he follows the girls toward the city gate. The girls present travel permits to the station guards. After inspection, the soldier confirms their sect identities and lets them pass. Vika marvels at the easy process, while Feng Di laughs, praising the girls' skills. As they step inside, a strange aura flares like a warning signal. The guards shout aliens detected, sending the two into panic. The cry to kill rings out, killing intent surging like a wave. A shadow leaps from the wall, murderous aura chasing its prey. One cold sword strike, both aberrants die instantly. No time to react. Feng Di dies in fury, lamenting he never got to show off. The soldiers bow in gratitude to the expert who intervened. A plainly dressed man appears, saying curtly it was merely his duty. Seeing the alien corpses, everyone grows uneasy and wary. The man drags the bodies away, naming himself Wang Kamen and promising future aid. The soldiers whisper that the Wang clan has fallen since its lord was injured. Hearing the gossip, Wang Kamen glances coldly, inwardly mocking their naivety. Scene shifts to the Wang Manor. Its gate stands wide open, arousing his suspicion. Furious, he demands to know who dares trespass upon the Wang estate. Servants panic, reporting Commander Lin and the Ma clan are confiscating assets, forcing the lord to hide. Wang Kamen rages, refusing to accept suppression while the lord still lives. The servant explains the capital's power has changed. This is an imperial decree. Wang Kamen decides coldly he must see the clan head himself for answers. Carrying the alien corpses, he slips through a hidden path to the rear court. He arrives just as accusations ring out that the Wang clan's crimes remain unrepented. Linky follows, declaring he acts under the Empress' command to punish. Wang Kamen grits his teeth, hatred for Linky burning deep. Linky stays calm, saying he's only auditing property, not harming anyone. Ma Jiang cites confiscation law, stressing even women must be registered. Linky eyes the favored beauty, deciding to place her safely in the inner palace. Wang Kamen snaps, ready to fight Linky but is restrained by the steward. The steward advises that losing one woman is nothing compared to the clan's revival. Wang Kamen swallows his fury, convincing himself it's unimportant. Ma Jiahong dismisses him coldly, calling the next person forward. The next woman's arrival shocks Linky speechless. Her childlike appearance chills him. He suspects the second son has lost all humanity. Ma Jiang hurriedly explains she practices Wu sorcery preserving youth. She's the main wife and Kamen's mother. Linky's tone darkens as he decides to personally take her into the inner palace. Wang Kamen's rage explodes. He tries to rush out and fight. The steward suddenly strikes, and he collapses after calling for his mother. The steward sighs tiredly, grumbling about dragging two alien corpses too. Scene shifts to a haunted courtyard. Candles flicker amid a sinister formation. Wang Bodhi sits healing, his energy unstable but unbroken. The steward reports the second son's return and outsiders gleefully looting outside. Wang Bodhi sneers, saying that wealth was bait to prolong his life. The steward is stunned, worrying the records will be disastrous this year. Wang Bodhi roars that survival matters more than fortune. The steward bows in agreement but notes that sacrificing the women delayed Lin Qi. Hearing his wife and daughter-in-law were taken, Wang Bodhi's face pales. Rage makes him cough blood, his body trembling violently. All candles extinguish at once, the air turning deathly cold. Wang Bodhi swears through clenched teeth never to forgive Lakbai and Lin Qi. The steward, terrified, begs him to stop wasting resources for accounting's sake. Before he finishes, a sword pierces his chest. Wang Bodhi, eyes bloodred, screams for him to manage Hell's ledgers instead. Then he notices every candle in the array has gone out. His face pales, realizing the 7-star lamps are fully extinguished. Wang Kamen awakens, saying this retreat was planned and the alien corpses were brought intentionally. Wang Bodhi stays silent, then agrees it's time for ruthless revenge. He begins siphoning the dark energy from the two bodies. A summoning chant echoes amid swirling black mist like a storm rising. In the front yard, Linky calmly oversees the treasure transport, eyes fixed on each chest. Suddenly he senses a deadly aura swiftly approaching. A flash attack narrowly misses, followed by a teasingly familiar female voice. Another surge of energy presses in, putting Lin Qi on full alert. He catches the aura, smirking as two familiar faces appear. Yu Liying manifests, sarcastically mocking Lin Ke's shamelessness. Leng Henyan solemnly reads the Imperial edict, restoring her title as national preceptor and ordering Lin Ke's cooperation. Lin Ke shows clear displeasure, feeling his being used as a bargaining piece again. Leng Henyan calmly explains it's the outcome of political compromise. She then sternly commands Lin Ke to obey. Lin Ke steps closer, playfully breaking the solemn mood. Leng Henyan, angered, orders the rear-yard array opened and vows to punish his insolence. While casting spells, Lin Ke leisurely admits there's indeed something hidden there. As the formation opens, he deduces Wang Bodhi is hiding inside. Suddenly a twisted hand lunges out, startling Lin Ke, dodging narrowly. His shock to find the foe fully recovered, Wang Kamen rushes in, panicked, calling his father's name, has instantly struck away before finishing his words. Wang Bodhi denies his old identity, declaring he's become something else, body oozing demonic energy. Truth revealed he absorbed aliens and turned into a demonic aberration. Losing his humanity, Leng Henyan gasps in horror. Realizing the progenitor has possessed him, she swiftly summons her artifact, beginning an exorcising spell. She calls for aid, aiming to subdue the demon with divine power, but a red beam from the demon's eye blocks the relic. Yu Liying charges in to join the fight. Together they bind the demon temporarily with a sacred cloth. As strength fades, Leng Henyan urgently calls Lin Ke for help. Their artifact begins tearing apart. They realize defeat is near. Lin Ke reminds them they still carry a similar item. Leng Henyan flushes with anger, while Yu Liying snaps irritably. Lin Ke weaves sigils, forming a grand array wrapping his body. He sighs that in such chaos, it's hard to focus on battle. Leng Henyan coldly reminds him protecting the Holy Scripture is his sacred duty. Lin Ke smirks, hinting at his usual rule when things spiral out of hand. Leng Henyan firmly refuses, saying she'd rather die than compromise with him. Yu Liying impatiently urges her junior to put the greater cause above pride. Leng Henyan snaps back, daring Yu Liying to act if she's so eager. Suddenly, Yu Liying embraces Lin Ke, showing unwavering resolve. The sight leaves Leng Henyan furious and embarrassed, scolding her sister for betraying their sex intent. At the peak of tension, Wang Bodhi breaks free and lunges at Leng Henyan. Startling her, Lin Ke appears just in time, gently pulling her into his arms. Yu Liying sighs in relief, amused that her junior is finally caught in the chaos. Wang Bodhi, fully deranged, roars to annihilate every traitor. Lin Ke, holding both beauties, confidently vows to capture the demon and deal with it post-seal. In an instant, an unseen force strips the outer robes from both women. The torn garments twist into bindings, wrapping around the furious Wang Bodhi. Yu Liying blushes yet smirks, while Leng Henyan fumes over her stolen clothes. Lin Ke laughs boldly, casually removing his own robe for fairness. He hugs them close like treasures, prompting Leng Henyan to snap at him to focus. Bagua Array manifests Phoenix Fire and Blackfish Water fuse in perfect balance. Wang Bodhi, entranced, staggers into the array's heart amid murderous screams. A spiritual vortex rises, lifting his body from the ground. Lin Ke coldly remarks that it's absurd this fool once broke his yang flame. Hearing that, Wang Bodhi turns with empty, vacant eyes. The array's force crashes down, making him scream and vomit black blood. Lin Ke ignites his yang flame, declaring hell preserve his foe's so-called dignity. Wang Bodhi staggers in agony as white smoke shrouds the field. He raves madly, blaming everyone else for his downfall. In fury, his aura erupts and summons a divine blade. Gripping the weapon, he howls his intent to kill Lin Ke. Lin Ke calmly raises a colossal dharma form, deeming resistance futile. The two powers collide, shaking space itself. The divine blade shatters under pressure. Lin Ke's energy surges in, invading the demon's body. Gravely wounded, Wang Bodhi wails in despair, refusing extinction. Lin Ke cuts him off coldly, giving no chance. Casting his final spell, blazing crossfire seal erupts, burning the demon like a verdict of doom. As breath ceases, Wang Bodhi's form dissolves into mist, his tragic end for being one step late. Yu Liying cheers triumphantly, while Leng Henyan merely nods in quiet satisfaction. Wang Kamen awakens, injured, stumbling out of the ruins. Seeing the women's altered attire, he blurts a question and gets harshly shushed by Yu Liying. Above, Lin Ke hovers among clouds, silently surveying the chaos below. Feeling the energy settle, he concludes the Wang clan is erased from the immortal race. Wang Kamen panics, begging mercy, offering to purge remnants in exchange for life. After brief thought, Lin Ke agrees and stays his hand. Granted pardon, Wang Kamen orders his kin to guard the city as a tournament. Lin Ke descends to the ground. Standing firm, he eyes the retreating group with suspicion. Suddenly, flames burst from Wang Kamen's body. Lin Ke startles as the golden crow yang flame. His mind races, things are growing far more unpredictable and fun. Leng Henyan, as national preceptor, abruptly commands proper lodging arrangements. Lin Ke instantly pretends exhaustion, kneeling and claiming he's spent all his strength. The two women lift him up. Yu Liying half-jokingly doubts his supposed weakness. Lin Ke chuckles, admitting she's right, promising to take them to a safe haven he prepared. Yet his eyes secretly stay locked on Wang Kamen. Wary as ever, deep down, Lin Ke decides to keep pretending weak to see what plots remain. Meanwhile, Wang Kamen quietly smirks in triumph. Scene shifts to their new lodging Spring Breeze Pavilion. Seeing the sign, Leng Henyan frowns, realizing it's a brothel. Lin Ke calmly says the grandest place in the holy capital is fit to host them. when Lang Henyan angrily demands to return to the preceptor's estate. Lin Qi informs her it's already destroyed. With no choice, Lang Henyan grudgingly stays, insisting it's for one night only. Inside, the music and dancing sweep her into the indulgent mood. The wine hits her fast, she drinks freely, ordering endless refills and songs. Watching, Lin Qi asks Yu Liying about her junior's infamous low tolerance. Yu Liying, also tipsy, sways close to him, her voice hazy and seductive. She hints the drunkenness is an invitation, then leans fully into his chest. Lang Henyan joins playfully, trapping Lin Qi between them, who's too baffled to react. Henyan giggles, rifling through Lin Qi's robes with teasing words. Her hand finds something round, surprisingly not what she expected. Pulling it out, she stares it's just a blood spirit egg, puzzling her. Yu Liying laughs, saying she grabbed the wrong thing and boasts she'll find the right one herself. Blushing, Lang Henyan hurriedly tosses the egg aside, declaring she needs nothing else. She forcefully pins Lin Qi down. Pinned by both, Lin Qi pleads for a pause, citing his exhaustion from battle. Lang Henyan snaps for silence while swiftly stripping off his robes. One searches eagerly, the other clings close. Lin Qi is both thrilled and terrified. Their search intensifies as the forgotten blood spirit egg begins to pulse strangely. Scene shifts to morning. The sun gleams upon the towering city walls. Wang Kaiman's subordinates assemble beneath the fortress. A stern officer yells, warning them to stay orderly and grateful to be alive. Some soldiers mutter complaints, cursing their lord's decisions. The whisper reach Wang Kaiman's ears. His face darkens, fury blazing in his eyes. Without a word, he strikes a subordinate, roaring it's all for the royal clan. The beaten man collapses, utterly confused. Another shouts they were cursing Wang's body, not him. Realizing his mistake, Wang Kaiman fakes sorrow, claiming he only defended his father's honor. A distant attack lands with a shout, forcing silence across the ranks. A cold order rings out. Wang Kaiman must scout beyond the walls if he dares. The troops jeer, hoping he meets monsters to humble him. A cage is rolled forward, escorting Wang Kaiman straight to the gate. His sentence to patrol outside for 7 days. Warned not to flee, a twisted grin appears, his true face emerging beneath the mask. He mutters his sacrificed everything, even his son, so there's no turning back. The being once called Wang Bodhi now wears a completely alien form. He vows to use his dead son's name to lead the aliens back to seize the city. Chanting a spell, he gathers surrounding spirit energy like clouds over mountains. In a blink, a massive formation appears before the gate, shaking the heavens. He mutters it's the progenitor's array made to summon high-ranking aliens. Everything's set. Is convinced this time his grand plan will succeed. Deep in a secret forest, Aurora flares amid chilling blood mist. A voice echoes, demanding who dares use the sacred clan's summoning array. Wang Bodhi kneels, claiming his blood has been purified and begs for an army. But instead of reinforcements, spies of the progenitor emerge from the trees. One doubts it, saying the progenitor is at the front lines. This breach is impossible. Another grows wary, sensing something off in his sacred aura. A third summons a spirit blade. Ready to strike, Wang Bodhi, confused, insists they're all servants of the progenitor Tiang. Realization twists, his horrified that the god he worships is Tiang. Sealed memories awaken, flashing the image of the blood progenitor. An alien snarls, condemning him as heretic and ordering his execution. Wang Bodhi panics, begging them to stop in despair. The spell ignites rampant power, crushes his body. Some aliens notice the anomaly and shout to retreat, but their escape paths are sealed by a web of blood mist. Screams erupt as they realize they're trapped inside a killing array. Light from the blood spirit egg descends, its eerie force engulfing all. A frigid command rings out, sacrifice alien essence to feed the cocoon. Violent blood energy invades Wang Bodhi, draining his life like marrow drawn out. He cries for help, realizing he's lost all control of his body. The aliens gasp as the heretic's true master reveals itself, mocking his foolish loyalty. Orders to kill ring out, they rush to silence him before the capital notices. Scene cuts to Spring Breeze Pavilion inside the city. Lin Qi, half asleep, enjoys his peaceful moment between the two beauties. A sudden dread hits, jolting him upright. His stunned to see the blood gold egg has vanished. Yu Liying sleepily mumbles it must be with Lang Henyan. Lin Qi denies it, describing its unique aura, confusing both women. Outside the city, a thunderous explosion shakes the ground. Lin Qi instantly senses chaos. His intuition screams the blood spirit is in danger. Soldiers on the wall gape at a distant sea of surging blood mist. Alarms rise, some fear. Wang Kaiman encountered alien forces. On the battlefield, Wang Bodhi lies dying amid carnage. Soaked in blood, he mutters hopelessly, not understanding why submission still led to betrayal. The alien Mayan Zhou coldly orders to restrain him and finish the job personally. The aliens pounce, surrounding him like hungry beasts. Mayan Zhou charges straight for the blood spirit egg. He roars, believing its destruction will grant him supreme rank. Wang Bodhi stares blankly, clinging to a faint hope of salvation. Fate closes and he screams as spirit chains bind him tight. Mayan Zhou swings his spear down toward the egg with killing intent. A burst of golden light flared up, blocking the strike like a divine shield. The egg hit the ground with a mountain-shaking thud. Zhou didn't hesitate, thrusting his spear to break the defense. The barrier cracked, light scattering like shattered glass. He called to his comrades, thinking the enemy was about to fall. Before he finished speaking, an invisible killing aura sliced off his head. The remaining 3 aliens froze, horrified by the swift death. a mysterious figure stepped out, lifted the blood spirit egg, and spoke a chilling warning. The ban on leaving the safe zone was restated with clear irritation at their disobedience. The egg twitched as if grumbling, making Linka realize it blamed him for overusing its essence. He apologized softly, hid the egg in his robes, and promised more care. Surprised it awoke Mipupation. Seeing the danger, the three aliens tried to flee for their lives. Spiritual energy instantly sealed the space, forming an inescapable cage. Linkier appeared behind them in radiant aura, calmly telling them to stop. He bluntly said the mishap had drained the blood essence, so punishment couldn't yet be unleashed. With a cold smile and killing intent rising, he declared he'd borrow their essence instead. The Dharma form behind him awoke, spiritual power surging like a storm. The three aliens roared and charged with their blades in desperation. Linka's clone lazily waved his hand, shattering their weapons and blasting them away. He seized their souls in that moment, letting none escape. The blood spirit egg was brought out to absorb all the stolen life force. Holding it, Linke rejoiced to see signs of hatching appear. Crimson light exploded as the blood spirit emerged, radiant like a reborn phoenix. Watching this, Linka felt pure joy. The long struggle had paid off. The blood spirit, though happy, scolded him for taking full credit for breaking the cocoon. The surviving aliens trembled in despair, realizing the anomaly had fully awakened. Before being slain, both aliens committed suicide as an offering. Linke was stunned, saying he only needed a bit of essence, not total annihilation. A dying one regretted speaking too late. Nothing could be undone now. Linka smirked, saying curses were useless, so he feared nothing. The blood spirit suddenly panicked as the corpse's evil aura didn't fade but grew denser. A massive bullhead manifested midair, devouring the swirling dark energy. Linka quickly formed seals, condensing bright spiritual light in his palms. He charged straight at the bullhead, their clash shaking the very space. The more demonic energy it absorbed, the stronger the bull became, seemingly without limit. A gloomy voice revealed that the blood ancestor's anomaly drew on the water ancestor source, and the speaker had met the foe again. The blood spirit turned pale, recognizing it as a fragment of Shuizu Taiyang. At once, Taiyang's eyes fired two terrifying beams like divine swords. Linka sent his clone to block, their powers colliding and ripping the space apart. Even mid-battle, he grumbled irritably about being treated as if he didn't exist. Taiyang looked down with contempt, calling Linka a mere servant of the blood ancestor who dared act arrogant. A sudden burst of dark force blasted Linka backward, slamming him into a tree. The blood spirit cried out in panic at his injury. She rushed to catch him, while Linka was stunned that the foe could pierce through his Dharma form. Taiyang laughed triumphantly, declaring neither water nor blood ancestor's hairs could match him. He transformed into a godlike figure, scoffing at prophecy and sentencing his foes to death as he vowed to seize their essence. Taiyang conjured a vortex of spiritual force closing in. Without hesitation, Linka summoned the supreme guardian beast, Jinwu Phoenix. Riding the beast skyward, he laughed, mocking Taiyang's greedy ambition. On the city walls, soldiers stared in terror, mistaking it for Wang Kaming's power. The commander barked orders, correcting them and activating the city's defense array. An arrow shot skyward, igniting the Great Formation as a signal. When it pierced the air, the gate array flared to life in full power. Blessed by the formation, Linka shone with divine aura, dominating the battlefield. Taiyang roared with excitement, admitting the opponent was worthy of being his enemy. Linka smiled, merged with his Dharma form, and dared him to reassess. He unleashed a grand formation with an overly majestic name. Stirring the heavens, extreme energy burst apart the sky, dazzling citizens who thought someone was ascending. Above the Imperial Palace, Lu Wei and Lang Xuyan soared up, watching the distant clash. Lu Wei trembled, sensing Linga's overwhelming power for the first time. Lang Xuyan worried silently, remembering he always needed extreme yin to aid his cultivation. Lu Wei shot her a suspicious glare, scolding her for not focusing on the city's peril. Then she darted off, leaving Lang Xuyan stunned midair. Back on the battlefield, Taiyang grew uneasy, realizing Linka followed the rare path of ultimate sun and considered retreat. Linka flashed forward, his cold gaze denying Taiyang's thought. He declared the one who couldn't remain wasn't the city but Taiyang himself, then punched him, making him spit blood. Taiyang was hurled far but barely steadied himself midair. He laughed, puzzled that Linka had saintly might despite lesser cultivation. Suspecting a disguise spell, Linka couldn't be bothered to explain. He kicked him again, deeming a clone like Taiyang unworthy of effort. Taiyang countered instantly, summoning a half-man half-bull monster to charge. The beast was blocked by Linga's protective aura, spiritual energy swirling across heaven and earth. Spear in hand, Taiyang sneered that the little struggle had reached its end. He roared judgment of death and hurled his spear like thunder. Linka tilted aside, dodging easily, face calm as ever, seizing the moment. Taiyang suddenly bound the blood spirit, throwing her into panic. He unleashed the divine art. Heaven devours the land, shaking the whole region. Taiyang mocked that killing a few servants wouldn't phase his true body. Gravely wounded, the blood spirit pleaded to seal herself for a century if he would withdraw. Taiyang laughed madly, declaring her death was his only goal. Amid his ladder, he froze. Linka had appeared right before him. Without a word, Linka slapped him down like thunder striking. He coolly quipped that the lauder was simply annoying. Taiyang raged and gaped, Overwhelmed by the sheer force, before he could react, another kick sent him flying miserably. Linka calculated inwardly, realizing his ultimate sun power could sustain the Dharma body only briefly. Behind him, the blood spirit trembled. Worried for his safety, Linka reassured her, saying he was like the sun, untouchable, and told her to act at the right moment. Understanding his intent, the blood spirit readied herself to sacrifice to empower him. Linka stopped her immediately, insisting it was critical but not worth her life. Just then, Lu Wei and Lang Xuyan appeared, declaring they would channel ultimate sun energy directly. Calmly, Linka stepped into the formation, guiding everyone's breathing as instructed. Taeyang's face darkened, vowing through clenched teeth to torment Linka to death. He roared, splitting his form and summoning a massive blade to strike down. Linka retreated at once, forming a bagua barrier for defense. Seeing this, Taeyang grew even more arrogant. Convinced he'd reached immortality, he summoned twin warblades, gripping them coldly while declaring Linka's miserable fate. His opening assault roared like dragons and tigers, smashing Linka hard and hurling him midair. The maidens caught him in time, saving him from a deadly fall. Lu Wei panicked that the sacred scripture's destruction might doom them, while Lang Xuyan vowed to alert their sect to hunt Linka down. Suddenly, Linka stood up with a faint smile, his weakness a ruse. His eyes gleaming with a trap, he mocked Yang, saying that after all his years, he was nothing but a lonely shell. The taunt struck deep. Yang roared, horns bursting with world-shaking power. Twisted tendrils sprouted from his head as he screamed, invoking the water ancestors will to annihilate all. Linka grew excited, calling this the long-awaited moment and summoning reinforcements. In a flash, two women appeared with spirit talismans, swiftly casting seals without hesitation. The talismans fused into a formation blocking Taeyang, shaking his spirit with fear. The rampaging demon god froze instantly, bound tight by the seal. Taeyang roared in fury, demanding to know who severed his link to the demon god. Longka calmly introduced herself as from the Xianu sect, skilled in sealing alien spirit veins. She pointed out that when Taeyang exerted full control over the demon god, his true body was at its weakest. Taeyang froze, realizing he'd been outplayed from the start as clone and every move part of the trap. Longka smiled coolly, saying she merely adapted, as villains always test before striking. Taeyang still laughed, claiming his true body was merely delayed at the front and had not lost. He warned darkly that the demon god would trace the spirit line, making this capture meaningless. Though the spell cut their bond, the spiritual link between Taeyang and the demon god wasn't fully broken. Taeyang believed once he shattered the barrier and reconnected, his foes would die instantly. Longka drew her sword, killing intent blazing, vowing to slay him before that happened. Taeyang sneered proudly, certain she alone could never kill him. A group of stunning maidens appeared from afar, shielding Long Kai and pledging to take on her burden. Long Kai ignited her spirit flame, her icy gaze giving Taeyang one last chance for final words. The maidens bared their upper robes and embraced Long Ka, one softly naming herself Qin Huifai. Long Ka swung his sword straight at Taeyang, forcing him to dodge upward in panic. The killing intent alone wounded him deeply. He swore vengeance through endless fury. The demon god's figure faded, as if erased from reality itself. Long Ka laughed calmly, claiming her blade always struck one step ahead of fate. After the battle, only ruins and drifting smoke remained outside the city. When the dust settled, soldiers opened the gates cautiously, confirming the war was truly over. The scene shifted to a morning court session. With all civil and military officials gathered, Eunuch Liu announced the emperor was resting after a fierce battle with the aliens and dismissed the court. As they bowed to leave, Princess Jin Shengxi rushed in with grave urgency. She loudly demanded an immediate audience with the emperor for a matter of utmost importance. Eunuch Liu gently blocked her, advising patience until the emperor was free. Shengxi coldly declared it concerned the front lines of Han Kingdom and strode past him. She knocked Liu unconscious with a swift palm strike and dashed toward the inner palace. At the Celestial Envoy Hall, Shengxi stood tense before the doors. She burst inside, reporting secret intel about Taeyang the Water Ancestor's conspiracy, but the scene before her left her speechless in shock. Long Kai and several beauties were playfully teasing each other amid suggestive laughter. Shengxi blushed, turning away and apologizing for her intrusion. Instead, Long Kai cheerfully called her back, saying her timing was perfect. Shengxi blinked in confusion, suspicious about what sharing he meant. Long Kai casually said the treasure was one of a kind, easing her for a moment, but when he slyly added at 6 faces, Shengxi nearly choked in disbelief, curiosity overpowering her. Shengxi shoved Long Kai, demanding to see this 6-faced treasure. Long Kai instantly cast a spell, revealing a radiant 6-colored crystal. Shengxi gawked, stunned that the so-called treasure was just a 6-sided gem. Long Kai calmly explained it was the condensed remnant power of Taeyang's destroyed clone. Yu Liying laughed, teasing that the princess blush hinted at naughty thoughts. Shengxi panicked, denying furiously that she had any improper ideas. Yu Liying's tone turned serious, guessing the true goal was to refine the treasure together. Shengxi awkwardly nodded, confirming the task was purely artifact refinement. Long Kai lifted the crystal, declaring 6 people were needed, 1 for each facet to complete the ritual. He tossed it skyward, activating a grand formation enveloping the hall. The 6 maidens swiftly took positions, each aligning with the face of the artifact. During refinement, all energy fluctuations were sealed. One mistake could obliterate the palace. Shanxi felt the crushing pressure. Terrified by the lingering might of the water ancestor, Lu Wei tilted her head skeptically, asking what role Longa played if all others refined directly. Longa smiled, saying he would stand outside the formation to channel Kai through their meridians. Lu Wei warned him to stay focused during this critical moment. The blood spirit suddenly felt stifled, urging Longa to begin guiding them at once. Leng Henyan frowned and warned she wouldn't forgive him if he tried anything improper. Longa grinned slyly, leaning close and reminding her that agitation could trigger an explosion. As he stepped nearer, he suddenly froze when his eyes met Shanx's. Longa switched to teasing, hinting the princess seemed disappointed and truly wanted to see the treasure. Shanxi squeezed her eyes shut, her resolve to stay pure thoughts completely shattered. Longa then explained seriously that the ritual was to counter the water ancestor's slaughter and protect the nation. Shanxi still doubted, questioning why her clothes had been removed. Longa calmly said he needed her heirloom artifact to unblock her lunar meridian so Kai could flow smoothly. Seeing her hesitation, he softly reassured that if anyone lost out, it would be him. Shenxi, still uneasy, asked nervously if the process would hurt. Longa gently covered her eyes, saying that if she couldn't see, she wouldn't feel pain. The scene shifted to dusk as Eunuch Liu awoke. Staggering to his feet, he slowly made his way toward the emperor's chamber, wondering if his majesty had recovered. Pressing his ear to the door, he decided to enter if he heard voices inside. From within came strange arguments filled with baffling terms that made his head spin. Longa's laughter boomed, claiming everyone guessed wrong and naming an even stranger concept. A thunderous explosion erupted inside, sending Eunuch Liu fleeing in terror. Inside, the blast tossed everyone around. They scrambled up in utter disarray. The blood spirit crawled up, eyes shining with admiration, praising Longa's unmatched knowledge. Leng Henyan nodded warily, admitting their chaotic result still counted as victory. Longa was astonished to find the artifact had turned into a dice, granting him full control of his master's seal. He explained that whenever he gathered enough extreme yin, he could roll the dice to unlock the seal to varying degrees. If it landed on 1, the result would be disastrous fate's cruel joke. But if it landed on 6, he would attain supreme majesty, dominating heaven and earth. Holding the dice, Longa resolved to keep this secret, offering only vague excuses. Realizing power now hinged on luck, a chill ran through him, drawing the maiden's puzzled gazes. Lu Wei frowned, demanding the real use of the treasure and the meaning of his bizarre jargon. The blood spirit blinked, still not understanding what 5 bats through the gate even meant. Longa scratched his head awkwardly, explaining it was merely 5 bat symbols for great fortune and explosive luck to fight to Yang. Hearing that, the blood spirit gleefully hugged him, showing her affection openly. The hall doors burst open as Eunuch Liu stumbled in, coughing through the smoke. Carrying an urgent decree, his trembling voice reported grave news concerning Tiang the water ancestor. Lu Wei immediately turned serious, asking if the intel came from Han Kingdom's front lines. Eunuch Liu respectfully presented the letter, saying Tiang had led 100,000 troops and captured 12 cities in one day. Shanxi turned pale with shock, refusing to believe it since the Azure Beast guarded Han's borders. Lu Wei finished reading and concluded that the Azure Beast commander had inexplicably fled Han with his entire clan. Longa inwardly mocked, suspecting the man fled out of fear of getting tangled in his own romance. Shanxi suddenly knelt, begging the emperor to send troops to save the nation Imperial. Lu Wei coldly refused, citing dangerous routes and claiming Han had ample forces to defend itself. He said the real problem lay in leadership and proposed sending Lin Ka with Shanxi to the front. Leaving Lin Ka silent, Lin Ka immediately objected, uneasy about facing the original master of the artifact he just forged. The blood spirit gripped his hand, reminding him that 5 bats through the gate was the key to defeating the foe. Lu Wei decisively finalized the plan, declaring Han must not fall and ordering them to depart at once. Shanxi and the blood spirit dragged Longa off despite his protest that 5 bats was pure nonsense. At the city gate, Longa led the cavalry, secretly impressed by Lu Wei's meticulous preparations. Suddenly, Crimson Hand grabbed his robe, freezing him in place. He turned to see Commander Magia, flamboyantly dressed and smiling as he clung for a farewell. Magia coquettishly vowed eternal loyalty, even leaning in for a kiss, making Longa recoil in horror. Unable to take it, Longa struck him squarely, sending Magia flying with a pitiful cry. Dismounting, Longa frowned, wondering what on earth was wrong with that man. Zhang Suoji explained Magia had been poisoned by Charm venom while cleaning up Prince Wang's remnants. Longa was intrigued by the toxin and even asked for a few vials. Zhang Suoji handed him the last bottle, warning him to guard it carefully. She added that the potion only affected men. Stunned, Longa thought a moment, then quietly returned the vial. Before he could speak, Zhang Suoji ran off, leaving him standing frozen. From afar she waved, assuring him the capital would remain well guarded. Moments later, the city gates closed. Longa panicked and knocked. Realizing the soldiers were still inside, Shanxi and the blood spirit calmly told him the journey would be only the 3 of them. The blood spirit smiled and waved, revealing it was all the emperor's plan to send him off swiftly. She eagerly urged them to set out, itching to face and crush Tiang the water ancestor herself. Longa, however, looked grim, suspecting Lu Wei's haste hid a deeper scheme. The scene shifted to the Imperial city, where Lu Wei stood alone atop the highest tower. Gazing into the distance, she closed her eyes and thought, confident Long Cao was fermented enough to balance the clans, and that the sacred scripture was now under her control. Lu Wei silently affirmed that sooner or later Long Cao would realize she alone was his true companion to the end. The scene changed again. The trio now stood before a lavish, glittering brothel. A seductive madam smiled invitingly, offering free company with the finest beauties. Shanxi and the blood spirit froze, the princess doubting this path led to the front lines. It felt like they'd circled back to the capital. Long Cao hurriedly held up his dice, insisting his artifact pointed only this way and must not be questioned. Shenxi glared, retorting it was just a dice, not a compass, scolding him for his clueless sense of direction. Long Cao snapped back, blaming their detour on her, mocking a princess who didn't know the way home. Hearing the argument, the madam stepped in to explain this was merely the Yun City branch of Spring Breeze House, not the capital's main hall. Upon hearing Yun City, Shanxi brightened instantly, realizing they were already close to Han Kingdom's border. The madam softly advised that after Yun City lay Han, but strange events plagued the nights best to rest safely till morning. Shenxi agreed to stay one night but strictly forbade Long Cao from mingling with the girls. Long crossed his arms and smirked, saying the dice had purpose. He chose fate, not women. Yet once inside, he joyfully embraced three beauties while extreme yin quietly seeped into the dice. Shenxi was stunned, spitting out her drink as if struck by lightning. Long Cao kept teasing, mocking her for acting as if she had never seen a man and woman together. Furious, Shenxi stomped up the stairs, dragging the blood spirit to complain directly to Lu Wei. The nearby courtesans whispered, thinking Shenxi was a defiant servant. Long Cao waved dismissively, demanding all beauties be called out to watch his performance. Upstairs, Shenxi punched the wall in restrained anger, the sound echoing heavily. Rage filled her face while Han was at war. Long Cao still indulged in lust. The blood spirit calmly sipped tea, advising her to trust him had been chosen to lead for a reason. Shenxi recalled his pleading, childish manner, a thought that made her cringe. She hugged herself tightly, gritting her teeth, thinking disliking him was already a huge concession. The blood spirit handed her a soundfall talisman, explaining it could eavesdrop across the entire brothel. Tiny messenger bats spread through Spring Breeze House, silently recording every sound. In one room, Long Cao drank alone while the madam and a woman in black spied from outside. The black-clad woman doubted the target's identity, but the madam insisted the three from the capital were the water ancestors marked prey. The woman's face twisted strangely as she ordered them to strike once Long Cao lowered his guard. Hearing this through the talisman, Shenxi panicked, realizing aliens hid within the brothel. The blood spirit calmly corrected her, not hid. The entire house was an alien den. At that instant, thunder ripped open the sky, lightning crashing upon the district. Moments later, a wave of alien warriors stormed toward Shenxi and the blood spirit. Killing intent blazing, they roared and charged, slaughterlust in full display. Shenxi froze in terror, unable to react in time. The blood spirit merely smiled and raised her hand. Casting a spell, a wall of fire erupted, shielding them and incinerating every alien attacker. Shenxi stood dumbfounded as the world around became a sea of flames. The blood spirit ended the spell, smiling smugly, asking if Long Cao wasn't sometimes worth trusting. Meanwhile, in the main hall, Long Cao still played dice obliviously. Unaware danger was near, he laughed like a child, fascinated by the spinning cube. Suddenly noticing the eerie silence, Long Cao wondered if his show wasn't exciting enough. Just then, two aliens burst out, charging straight at him with a battle cry. The dice dropped, rolled a few times, and stopped on 3 pips. Long Cao stayed calm, unlocking the seal and deeming 3 points an acceptable result. Vast aura surged forth, forming a barrier. He felt confident that 30% power was enough. Inwardly, he calculated carefully, knowing he was only allowed to use that limited strength. A black-clad alien panics, baffled why Long Cao isn't poisoned despite her secret technique. Long Cao calmly says his years of cultivation let him tell genders just by aura. The alien screams in rage, declaring all Saint Clan assassins of Yun City ready to kill him. In a blink, Long Cao strikes cleanly, wiping them out like dust. Only the leader survives. Long Cao approaches coldly, asking why the poison failed. He suddenly leans in and kisses her before she can react. Moments later, her face twists in horror and pain. A deafening explosion shatters the room into flying debris. Just then, Xu Ling and Shanxi rush in through the smoke and fire. Shenxi pants with guilt, admitting she misunderstood and missed the alien nest. Long Cao turns away coldly, voicing disappointment without emotion. Thinking she's blamed, Shenxi bows and promises absolute trust, but Long Cao mocks that even a nest of assassins is full of trash. Shenx flushes with shame and anger, stomping furiously at his teasing. Long Cao ignores her, hands behind his back, walking toward the barely breathing foe. The alien laughs madly, flashing a kill order from the Twilight ancestral founder and boasting of luck. The alien remnants roar and charge, desperate to seize their chance to kill him. Linka sneers, pitying their blind stupidity. He instantly summons his Dharma avatar and activates the Golden Crow sword array. At his command, countless sword lights rain down, slaughtering aliens like a storm. The survivors still charge insanely, shouting their founder's name as they die. Linka presses harder, his aura surging like a raging tide. He channels power, summoning a majestic giant sword in the air. Countless other swords appear, sealing off the entire battlefield. One alien sneaks behind, trying a stealth attack. As she moves, Linka senses it and turns, seeing through the plot. Earlier, on their trip to Korea, the group stopped for the night. Their lodging, Spring Azure Brothel, seemed calm but hid danger. There, they were ambushed by lurking aliens. During the fight, an enemy launched a deadly sneak attack. The blade aimed at Linga's back, but he sensed the killing intent early. His clone appeared, crushing the weapon before her terrified eyes. Linga's fist closed in, telling her this was all a reverse trap. His punch sent her flying, exploding midair. Linka landed steadily, silent amid the lingering smoke. Behind him, Suling cheered loudly, thrilled by his decisiveness. Linka glared at the crawling survivor, demanding she reveal Korea's battlefront. The alien knelt in ashes, seething with humiliation. Suddenly, a strange feeling struck. She trembled and touched her face in panic. Before her appeared a grotesque, twisted visage she couldn't believe was hers. Linka raised his glowing sword, mocking that aliens have no true form, refused to speak, and die. He swung his blade, sending a slash of sword kai tearing through her body. The mighty slash splits the alien in half, erasing any chance of survival. But as Linka approaches, he frowns. Inside is hollow. He stumps hard, trying to shatter the false scene before him. Spiritual energy bursts out, waves of force exploding in all directions. Amid the chaos, a grotesque vision appears, aliens shrieking beside ancient chests. A tentacle emerges, and a cold female voice claims to be the Saint clan leader of Yun City, mocking Linka. Instantly, countless writhing tentacles surge out like living beasts to attack. Linka's face darkens, realizing she had prepared a substitute body for the ambush. Shinexai Suling rush, fending off the tentacles and pulling Linka back as the situation spirals. The scene shifts. Linka lands safely before a disciplined army formation. Seeing him, the commander cheers and orders the troops to welcome him. The general hurriedly bows, asking Linka's identity and the alien status at Spring Azure Brothel. Linka exhales softly, surprised Yun City still has survivors. The general, calling himself Fenwen Hu, says the border has been harassed by aliens but held firm. Linka nods coolly, saying that's good enough, and orders them to stand down. Fenwen Hu joyfully asks if the aliens are completely wiped out. Linga casually points back, saying one remains. Wen Hu thinks it's his chance for glory and thanks him eagerly. Linga just sighs helplessly, letting him misunderstand. Wen Hu charges ahead, promising to petition for Linga's promotion once victory is his. But before he gets close, a tentacle smashes him away, his weapon flying. Linka stunned by the swift defeat. Linka strides forward calmly, watching Wen Hu writhing in pain on the ground. Wen Hu trembles, begging to credit Linka with the victory. Claiming only a small part for himself, Linka nods slightly. Suddenly, Wen Hu kneels, hugging his leg, vowing lifelong loyalty if the aliens are slain. Linka glares and kicks him away, shouting to stop the ridiculous act. At that moment, the alien completes its transformation into its true form. It grins wickedly, boasting that its body is forged from all fallen warriors of Yun City. Then its tongue extends endlessly, lashing straight toward Linka. Linka dodges in shock, realizing the entire Spring Azure Brothel is its body. He immediately counters, slicing the grotesque tongue in half. Linka smirks, declaring hell keep the spoils and give it one last chance to reveal its true self. The alien screams in agony, convulsing like a mortally wounded beast. It goes berserk, unleashing a beam of immense energy to retaliate. Linka swiftly raises a defensive artifact, forming a solid shield. After observing, he notes the attack lacks power to pierce his barrier. Below, Fenwen Hu orders a barrage of flaming arrows for support, but the rockets bounce off harmlessly, doing no damage to the alien. Wen Hu panics, shouting for the troops to take cover. Too late, the army is engulfed in the alien's fiery counterblast. The alien laughs maniacally, mocking that humans will nourish the Saint clan. Linka's artifact starts to weaken, its protective light fading away. He mutters darkly that the seal's limit has been reached. Unwilling to drag it out, Linka decisively summons his Dharma avatar again. Power erupts, cracking the ground and shaking the very air. Fenwen Hu stands frozen, believing a god has descended. The alien panics, unable to believe a human could wield such power. Linka sneers, saying he's only unlocked 30% of his seal. The avatar channels more force, summoning a majestic blazing fire phoenix. He coldly explains that this is what made the Water Clan hunt him relentlessly. The fire phoenix roars and dives straight at the alien. A golden beam shoots in the foe's mouth without mercy. A thunderous explosion ignites the land into a vast sea of fire. Linka withdraws his avatar, surprised to see the alien twitching in the ruins, but it's only the last flicker of dying energy. The alien gasps its defeat, warning stronger Saint clan forces await ahead. Linka frowns and snaps his fingers, silencing it mid-sentence. Flames surge, burning the alien alive amid its cursed screams of vengeance. Suddenly, a hidden projectile shoots out of the fire, glowing like a falling star. Shinexai cries out it's the alien frontline's signature tracking device. Linka catches it effortlessly, declaring his identity makes such tricks useless. He lifts it mockingly, scoffing at the petty scheme, but an invisible force rebounds, driving the dart straight into his forehead. A sigil flares to life, making Linka stagger momentarily. Fan Wenhu shouts in terror, Linka's been marked. Linka grits his teeth, cursing that his sealed cultivation acts up at the worst time. Hearing that, Fan Wenhu spins and runs, yelling the danger is over. Linka doesn't bother chasing, raising a saint order to calm the troops. Seeing the order, Fan Wenhu rushes back, kneeling and flattering him profusely. Linka pats his shoulder mockingly, demanding intel about Korea. Fan Wenhu trembles, admitting Korea is on the brink of destruction, surrounded by aliens. Shinexai is horrified the crisis is far beyond imagination. Linka gravely asks about the meaning of the hunt sigil on his forehead. Fan Wenhu explains it lets aliens track anyone who's harmed their kin. Linka grasps the situation, realizing Korea still has a slim hope of reversal. Suddenly, Fan Wenhu clings to his leg, begging him to stay for a meal first. Out of patience, Linka palms him away, shouting to stop the nonsense. He, Shinexai, and Shuling leave decisively, leaving Wenhu to guard the rear. As Wenhu loudly praises loyalty, Linga pelts a rock at his forehead to shut him up. Linga's group halts at a great river marking the border crossing means entering the deadly pursuit zone. Shinek steels herself, calling the northern lands her home worth dying for. Shuling beams with excitement, thrilled to share the perilous road. Linka gently urges the group onward, his tone steady and warm. Shinexi instantly snaps, stepping back and scolding his improper behavior. Linka calmly explains he needs to act now to gather strength for breaking the seal later. Shinexai reluctantly accepts, while Shuling gets thrilled to help his cultivation. Linka performs a special technique, creating a realm tinged with indulgence. Spiritual energy condenses into a closed space, shrouded by mist and barriers. Shinexi storms off, caring only about saving the nation, not private matters. Shuling naively steps closer. Curious and excited by the strange atmosphere, Linka immediately stops her, sternly forbidding her to drink wine. He teases by hinting at another, more suggestive way to restore energy. Shuling pouts, feeling treated like a child and comparing herself to Shinexai. Linka snaps, ordering her to drop the act and show her mature form. Shuling transforms instantly, revealing her full-grown form in defiance. Linka blushes but nods, signaling to begin the necessary process. The three enter cultivation mode, the air glowing faintly pink and hazy. Nearby, a group of aliens senses the signal of the hunt mark emanating. They confirm it's linked to the one who destroyed the ghost chamber and now hides in the mist. The squad swiftly surrounds the area where the aura still lingers. One mocks the target, eager to prove this land's danger first, and three aliens ignite killing intent and charge straight into the fog to slay Lin Ka. The moment they touch the barrier, a violent explosion shakes the area. As the dust clears, only an empty space remains, no prey in sight. One sharp-eyed alien spots something suspicious beneath wooden debris. Peering closer, he finds a small dog tied up, left as bait. The two-horned one picks up a leftover dart, realizing the ghost chamber trace is gone. In contrast, the three-horned one declares it a direct act of war on Korea's border. The two-horned one freezes, confused by the deeper implication. The three-horned one concludes the target has crossed the river into Korean lands. A long-eared alien grins slyly, urging they alert allies to ambush the route. The scene shifts to a calm river, where a small boat glides silently. Aboard, Linka's group is safe and intact. Shinexi looks worried, cautiously asking if the pursuit is truly cut off. Linka reassures her that with the Liu Ren divine helm, most traces were erased quickly. He admits the cost was draining extreme yin energy, weakening his artifact. Suddenly, a strange man appears, flirting brazenly and stunning everyone. He offers flowers and, under a noble pretext, lunges to kiss Shen. A thunderous slap hits him, leaving him dizzy and breathless. Enraged, he blames Link, who just stares back cold and innocent. He grabs Linka's collar, demanding the woman her face disaster. Before he can finish, a lightning-fast punch ends him instantly. His body flies off the boat, splashing into the river below. Two burly followers roar in anger, accusing Linka's group of betraying their master. Linka mocks them, saying they sound like he just refused to pay the ferry fare. The bald one declares the ferry toll is a tribute to General Xiao 1,800 taels. No excuses. From the river, the drowning young master screams for help, ordering his men to save him instead of arguing. The top-knot man rescues him ashore, while the young master casually blames the punch on someone else. Suddenly, a massive boulder hurtles toward them at terrifying speed. The impact smashes the top-knot man, making him spit blood instantly. He collapses, limp like a felled tree. His body sinks into the river as more boulders rain down. The young master shouts in alarm the aliens have set an ambush. Chaos erupts on the boat as people are struck by the relentless stone barrage. Linka, irritated, stomps hard and curses aloud. The stomp flips the boat upright, accidentally turning it into a shield. Shinexi calmly analyzes that this is harassment, not a true pursuit. Linka instantly orders retreat, deeming unwise to clash now. The young master protests, saying the supplies aboard are vital to rescue General Xiao's besieged troops. Hearing that, Linka softens, acknowledging their patriotism. He uses magic to lift the cargo skyward, commanding everyone to abandon ship. The old vessel crumbles, sinking into the cold depths. From afar, the aliens watch with scorn, calling them cowards. Another says once the supplies are lost, those humans pose no threat. In the forest, the group rests as Yingxia gently sets the cargo down. The young master, ashamed and grateful, bows to thank Linka for saving them. Linka graciously replies, suggesting they keep the supplies and tell him about General Xiao. The young master eagerly praises General Xiao as an undefeated hero against the aliens. He worries the prolonged siege is a ploy to drain their army's strength. Shinixi connects the clues, realizing General Xiao is actually Lady Xiao Chencheng of their homeland. The young master sighs, saying his father vanished delivering supplies, dooming the mission. Linka smiles confidently, assuring their delivery will succeed perfectly. The young master is stunned, unable to believe such certainty. Linka calmly reaffirms he'll personally escort the convoy and guarantee success. The young master presses closer, doubting that confidence since Lady Xiao may not even be able to fight back. Linka replies gravely that his faith isn't based on her rank as commander. He reveals his true reason that Xiao Chencheng is a woman, his gaze hinting at intrigue. Shinixi teases half seriously, warning him not to let beauty disrupt his sealed focus. Linka privately reasons rescuing Xiao Chencheng is essential to restore his missing pure yang power. The scene shifts to a dark cave beyond the siege of Vida Valley. Inside, aliens gather plotting murder, the air thick with killing intent. A silver-horned elder reports the one hunted by the ancestor has entered Korea and the ambush is ready. A fat alien laughs arrogantly, boasting about invading Li Nation and slaughtering its royal clan. A reed-haired one snaps back, saying killing Xiao Chencheng alone will doom all humanity tied to her. The only female alien coldly agrees, calling humanity's supply mission a foolish fantasy. She reveals Xiao Chencheng has been possessed by a body-snatching curse, her eerie smile chilling the air. The scene shifts to Vida Valley, shrouded in thick fog and war. On the ramparts, Boy Nagu soldiers fight desperately, shouting to hold the line. The tide turns as aliens collapse a wall corner, forcing the defenders back. A gravely wounded soldier reports the western wall has fallen, disaster imminent. Suddenly, two battling aliens act strangely, staring at each other in confusion. They abruptly receive an order to retreat, and all alien forces withdraw without reason. The defenders stand baffled, unsure why the enemy left. The deputy general calms the troops, ordering no questions and immediate report to the commander. Inside the command tent, the deputy kneels before Xiao Chencheng's pavilion, formally reporting. He says the aliens withdrew again per their usual short attack pattern. From behind the curtain, the female general replies briefly, showing she understands, despite obedience. The deputy's eyes linger suspiciously on the trembling drape. He boldly asks to meet her directly to share his theory of the enemy's intent. Before he steps in, a powerful, aura-filled arm blocks his path. A cold voice declares all plans are foreseen and forbids further entry. The deputy apologizes and retreats for his offense. After he leaves, another female voice sneers that such concealment can't last. The tent's candle suddenly flares with eerie, otherworldly light. The alien woman peers into the flame, slowly inquiring about Xiao Chencheng's state. Xiao Chencheng's true soul speaks through her free arm, vowing the army won't bow and mocking her captor. The alien chuckles, admiring the princess general's defiance. She reveals Xiao's right arm was forged into a weapon to resist control her current body, missing that limb. Pale green energy begins to gather within the tent. Xiao's semi-spiritual head and right arm manifest, declaring she'd rather self-destruct than be overtaken. The alien lunges in panic, tempting fusion for immortality. Xi Xinchen coldly refuses, sealing both their souls and launching a counter spell. The alien shrieks in rage, daring her to a battle of soul endurance. Amid the struggle, white mist suddenly pours from the tent's ceiling. Lin Ke appears through the fog, grinning and proclaiming he's here to save the damsel. He casually hoists Xiao Chencheng over his shoulder and walks off. The alien soul trapped inside the body is too stunned to react. Linka laughs proudly while running, vowing to return for the others once he regains strength. The entire act is witnessed by Vice General Chen and the distant soldiers. Chen orders a covert pursuit of General Xiao and tells the troops to hold the lines unchanged. A soldier nervously asks who will guard the camp if he leaves. Chen walks away silently, knowing its allure but unable to abandon his commander. Linka carries Xiao Chencheng along perilous cliffs, the howling wind warning of danger ahead. After a long trek, he complains the dense formations block his magic and suggests she walk herself. Xiao Chencheng appears frail, gazing pitifully at him, begging not to be left alone in the wild. Linka fully believes her, smiling that physical contact is needed for complete healing. The possessor instantly embraces him, gently urging him to examine her injuries closely. She deliberately reveals her missing arm, heightening her fragile allure. Linka panics, admitting his medicine can't mend severed limbs. She grabs his hand, placing it on her chest, hinting he should act in the patient's stead. Linka lights up in sudden enlightenment, asking to absorb Yin energy while treating her. The alien smiles consentingly, but Linka soon senses something feels off. The alien's soul is forced out of the body. Enraged it can't control or escape, she quickly plots to use Linka as a vessel for her escape. She secretly plans to kill him fast before Shilifa's reinforcements arrive. Pretending pain, she moans to draw Linga's attention to her lower abdomen. As he hesitates, crimson blast erupts from behind. A deafening explosion shakes the entire area. Violent flames surge, devouring everything nearby. In the inferno, Shilifa appears laughing madly, Declaring death in the water ancestor's name, the ambush fails to harm Lina. He instantly carries Xiao and Cheng upward, shouting that they've been exposed and must retreat. The alien, stunned, stammers a reply while glancing back at the blazing chaos. Her spirit howls furiously, cursing Shalifa for ruining her time-estalling scheme. Shalifa also panics, shocked that his inherited killing art did nothing. Deep in the forest, Vice General Chen looks up to see Linka soaring by with Xiao Chen Cheng like a celestial figure. He shouts in excitement, confirming General Xiao has been found.